gentlemen, it is time to get into the top 16 here at the Battle Spirit Saga Grand Open. We have Spencer over here playing Purple Control. Spencer Collins, I believe it is. Oh, Spencer Freeman, my bad. Spencer Freeman on Purple Control. Again, an accomplished card game player in his own right, top-8ing national championships of other TCGs, doing very well across the board. Now, bringing his control style to Battle Spirit Saga. Talked to him a little bit this morning. I tried to chat a little bit with some of the players coming into this one, and he seems pretty excited. Like him and Wesley, actually, his opponent, actually play a lot of games together, and they have a lot of experience running into each other in other TCGs. So they know each other well. You can see kind of the smiling chatting as we look over on Wesley's side. He's playing that white aggro. Funny enough, top 8 in the World Championships of a different game. But what struck me and what I asked him about this morning is that he did it playing an extreme control deck. And so I was like, why the wild shift from, kind of the top end of control to the fastest of aggro here coming in today? And he's like, well, at this point, it's similar to the list I'm playing in across the board in fairly different TCGs. I want to kind of keep that similar. And it just feels like it's the best deck in the meta right now. So yeah, interesting to see though. So it'll be a cool matchup. It's always fun when the players know each other,
So between the two matchups with the white aggro versus purple control, if you had to make a prediction, who do you think is going to come out on top here?
I mean, my money's on white aggro, honestly. I feel like it's just so low to the ground, so fast that it a lot of times will give purple a lot of trouble before they can really get established. If they can, then obviously purple can just lock down the board with something like Dark Bishop Apocalypse and Maduke, right? We saw that happen yesterday, but white aggro is just so scary because you can have theoretically 4 things on the board by turn 3, 3 things on turn 2 sometimes if all goes really well. So we'll just have to wait and see what happens.
So I think what's a really interesting point is that for all of you that don't know, this is an open deck list for top 16. So
right.
Both players do know what's in the other player's deck, and Wesley doesn't actually have Fulla in his main deck. It's in his sideboard. So that might actually make this game one a little bit rougher versus Purple Control. Yes, he does have the Pegasion, but still, is that enough to win out this game 1?
Yeah, we'll see. I'm curious to see who's going to go first. Okay, well, that's the answer right there. It is Wesley. He's going to throw out the other Ice Princess to begin things.
All right, and this is a pretty solid start coming out from Wesley. It's a relatively powerful spirit that is only seen in white aggro.
Yep.
When the spirit attacks or blocks at level 1, 2, and 3, place a core from your trash into your reserve. If you place a soul core into your reserve with this effect, you gain 3,000 BP for this turn. And then in response, Spencer's going to go ahead and play his Cavalier. So both players setting up their spirits. This will establish some cost reduction going forward, but pretty solid turn all around from both players.
Yeah, Dark Lancer Cavalier, like you mentioned, for Spencer Freeman. That gets that purple card draw engine kind of going. Nice early play there. And you've established a blocker. So we'll see what Wesley has in mind for his second turn as he draws up here.
Yeah, and we do see that Wesley has invested the additional core into his Librarian, which I think is very important in order to bypass Purple's core drain, if you will, to make it a little bit harder because a lot of their effects are drain 1. But immediately he's going to go with the automated gunner, the 0 drop with until the 1 to stabilize it, of course, but really powerful aggro coming out. Do you know how much BP is on the gunner? Oh, there's the answer. 1. Yeah.
But the funny thing is, with white aggro, the BP almost doesn't matter on your spirits, right? The only thing you care about is getting as many spirits on the board as possible.
Right.
You want to be presenting 4 attacks, 5 attacks per turn, right? So the automatic gunner is just nice because he's 1 core, right? Cost 1, discount of 1, 1 core to get him to level 1. BP doesn't matter. Just get that thing in there, get it swinging,
So,
oh, that's so big.
The Valkyrie Mist coming right on out.
Yeah, Valkyrie Mist coming in and going to be able to bounce the Cavalier back to the hand. So Spencer Freeman defenseless right now. And the swings are going to come fast and hard from Wesley Dong.
So knowing that Spencer is playing a bit more of a control purple style, if you're the white aggro player, how do you feel about just going straight to the face with everything?
I would be very tempted. And yeah, you can see Wesley is too. He's going to go ahead and swing with all 3. And why not? You reduce your opponent to 2 life right away. Looks like a deadly balance is hitting the board, though, for Spencer Freeman. That being flashed in there at the end.
Yeah, and so because he's flashing it towards the end, it does mean that he can just choose not to pop the Valkyrie Mist, so then that attack could still possibly connect, but it does look like a regain is going to come right on out, and I imagine he ends up sacrificing the automatic gunner.
Yep, that's right. I mean, automatic gunner, it did its job. It got in. It swung once. He's actually going to regain the head librarian there, and is he going to swing again? Okay, leaving that one to block. Or will he?
Yep, he's going to go straight into it.
Going to go, and that is actually going to reduce Spencer yet another life.
So I think what's really interesting is that with the Librarian, its ability to regain the core from the trash is really important because the core that he had spent initially on the Valkyrie, he was able to recycle it, and that core that he recycled was being used to pay for the cost of the regain. And Librarian's effect is not once per turn, so even though you paid the cost of that core for the regain, you're able to get it back. So this Librarian really generating a ton of value.
This is what I'm talking about. This is what white aggro does. On turn 2, he has reduced his opponent to 1 life, which is just absolutely crazy.
Yeah, and so Purple Control being a little bit of a slower deck, obviously, it does mean that it's going to be a little bit harder to punish Wesley here, but Beldegor is going to come on down, and that will get rid of one of these spirits, and it does look like the Librarian will be the one to bite the bullet here.
And that's the funny thing about this is that, okay, sure, you did 4 damage on turn 2, but you can see that the removal is still strong for Purple, right? A Deadly Balance, Beldegor hitting the board as well. And so Wesley Dong needs to keep up the pressure. You know, the question is now, can Spencer Freeman stabilize? And it might look like it's dire straits, 1 HP to 5, but it is potentially far from over depending on what's in Spencer's hand.
So knowing that Wesley doesn't have the Fulla in his main deck, that does mean the cards like Core Drain, cards just in general that Siphon are going to be really impactful. And so we know a lot of those flash abilities like Core Theft, for example, might come on down and interrupt Wesley's aggro turns. But it looks like Spencer is contemplating the Cavalier, Yeah,
he showed it. Now deciding, pulls it back to his hand. I mean, you know, no surprise really to Wesley that there would be another Cavalier in the hand. It's it's a 4 of usually in most of these lists.
Well, he also bounced it back.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's when he bounced too. So yeah, really no surprise.
Yeah. But if you're in Spencer's position, using up the Cavalier, that would be a 3-core investment at the current moment because only 1 purple on your side. And yeah, you establish double blocker, but Wesley does have, I believe, 3 cards in his hand, and with only 1 life, this is a really scary situation.
I think you have to play the Cavalier. I mean, I don't know, because I feel like you have to, because with cards in hand for Wesley, there's just too much of a chance that he's going to be able to put down 2 more spirits and swing for 3 next turn. So I think Spencer going for it in the end, and I, without knowing what's in either player's hand, just based on what we see on the board. Oh, and he gets another, he gets a Aglavale too. So, okay, this is really good. So 3 blockers potentially on the board. Maybe even, is he bold enough to swing with one of them? That's the question, because you need to do damage to your opponent too at some point.
I think realistically, Spencer's game plan at this current moment is he probably just needs to wall up a little bit and start to look for those really important pieces like the Maduke. And currently, he does run 2 in his main board, 2 in his sideboard. So he, really big Maduke enthusiast.
Yeah. He's a Maduke enthusiast for sure. And if you get the Maduke out, then like you can start to come back with things like Blood Curse, right? Which is going to drain life away from your opponent. So it's not like swinging in with your spirits is the only way to do damage in Purple Control. You've got a really good engine to do that later on with Maduke herself. So
another really important point I want to discuss is that Aglavale, when it would be destroyed, it does draw an additional card. So that means you might be able to cycle into a Deadly Balance. You might be able to cycle into a Core Theft. Does he even run Core Theft in his list? I don't believe he actually does. He does run the 3 Core Drain in his main, though.
Yeah, I believe. Yep, Core Drain.
But Core Drain, to my knowledge, the Flash Step is, I believe it gives you plus BP, actually. And its main effect is Siphon Core.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it doesn't look like he has actually a lot of flash spells happening from his main board. It looks like he does have, of course, the 4 Absolute Ice Shield, which, interesting to note, Wesley doesn't actually main deck that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with this. I mean, when we were playing games the other day coming into this event, I was saying the same thing, man. Like, I have them, but they're in my sideboard. I just want spirits. I want them on the board. I want them swinging. I don't want to, like, gum up my hand with a bunch of ice shields. Who's blocking with white aggro? Come on. Get in there. Be aggressive.
So he is investing a couple of cores onto that Valkyrie Mist, but looks like he's going to play a little bit of a slower game, knowing that he actually can't push through. With only 3 cards in Wesley's hand right now, he might not have the gas to actually break through. Even with a single regain, it wouldn't actually be enough to push your game here.
Yep, that's right. I think, again, Spencer really debating a lot with that last turn about play spirits, save the cores for some magic and things like that. Playing spirits, I think, definitely the right move in this particular case. And you know, if you're Wesley, and this is kind of like the existence of every aggro player. You get in, you do a ton of damage early, and then you start sweating because you're like, all right, can I get that last damage done?
Oh, the Maduke coming on out.
That's always scary. Oh, speaking of scary, Maduke hits the board, and now the blood curse starts to be a concern.
So I think what's really interesting is that a lot of these plays that allow Spencer to actually stabilize is based off the fact that Wesley gave over so many cores from the life.
Yeah.
If Wesley had decided maybe to not swing once or twice, maybe the situation would have not occurred. But Spencer really doing a fantastic job restabilizing his entire board state. This is a level 2 Maduke, so the blood curse is now active for her. No level 3, so no turning all the curses into blood curse at the current moment. But I think you're fine with this.
Yeah, I mean, the tricky thing here is that Maduke might not get into a lot of situations where she would die and the blood curse would be active, right? She's got 6,000 BP at level 2, and that's going to be a bit higher probably than most of the stuff your opponent's going to throw at you in white aggro. So I think you're going to have to rely on getting to level 3, giving your other spirits with curse, blood curse, and then kind of doing some damage that way. We'll see if that's the plan or not.
So he just leveled his Cavalier to level 2, and I believe the Agloveil is also now at level 2. Agloveil level 2 does gain Curse now, so if he were to level up that Maduke to level 3, which he doesn't have the cores necessarily, actually, he does if he wanted to. He would just have to take it off the Cavalier.
Yeah.
So he could actually have the Blood Curse activated on the Agloveil, but I think he's favoring having additional BP on that Cavalier, being at 6,000 BP at level 3 right now.
I mean, what's straight up like just nice about having Maduke on the board, though, is that level 1 and 2 and 3, you do get the ability where your spirits with curse or blood curse reduce your opponent's life. You place that core into the void instead of the reserve. So you do get that benefit already, which, you know, when you can kind of starve white aggro out of resources, you know, that they don't tend to need a lot of resources anyway, but later in the game that can be impactful. So at least you've got that going.
Okay, and so it does look like he actually decides to level up his Maduke to level 3. So now all the curses become blood curse.
Yeah, it's a good idea.
Yeah, and then he's you know, all reallocated from the Cavalier, and I stand corrected. Now Agloveil is at level 2. It does need 3 cores in order to hit that threshold. So really strong board state coming out of Spencer Freeman. And because Maduke is an 8 cost, Valkyrie Mist is unable to actually bounce it.
Yeah. So what's the plan for Wesley Dong here? I'm really curious what's in the hand, because it's going to need to be good. That's a really terrifying board on the side of Spencer Freeman, and it's getting into that range where it just might not be breakable by the aggro player.
Yeah, and that's definitely one of those.
No.
Oh, the Camelot Knight with the immediate blood curse now.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, it has the curse because of the soul core on it. Because of Maduke, the curse becomes blood curse. So yet another thing to be concerned about.
Yeah, absolutely. Coming out strong right now, and that's one of the big things about aggro is that, you know, if you aren't able to close out the game within a certain amount of time, then it becomes you had to run out of resources, and the boards become much more unbreakable. And yeah, that's what we're seeing right now. Wesley might not have what it takes in his main deck specifically to beat out this 5-body board.
I mean, what's really funny right now is that Spencer's starting to look like the aggro player if you just go by number of spirits on the board right now and not what those spirits are. So it's not a situation you ever want to see if you are the white aggro player.
Okay, and then Camelot Knight will go ahead and swing in.
Yep.
Because it has the Blood Curse ability, Maduke will give it a little bit of that protection layer, and then if this does connect, it also will immediately burn away that life. He doesn't get it to his reserve either, which is really terrifying.
Yeah, you never block this. If you're Wesley Dong, you don't want to pop that blood curse. But like you said, there is that drawback from the Maduke ability that the core goes to the void.
Right.
Yeah, that's unfortunate for Wesley. But this is the nature of aggro. You got to get it done fast. If you don't, the control player is going to eventually set up that unbeatable position.
Yeah, and what looked like an amazing turn 2 from Wesley using the regain and swinging with his Librarian twice even to generate 2 free cores. Spencer's managed to actually restabilize really effectively, and I think this all kind of stems from the fact that his cards all generate a lot of value inherently, right? Beldegor pops a card, Agloveil draws a card when destroyed, Cavalier draws a card. It's just a lot of value generating happening over on the side of Spencer.
Yeah. All right. Play over to Wesley.
Bullet Ray.
Yep, Bullet Ray comes in. Just another good, vanilla white body to throw on the board. Barely strong for its cost. But how in the world do you get past this wall? That is the question.
I would imagine you would have to play 6 creatures, hope he doesn't have a flash spell to respond, which, I mean, he probably does. Whether it's a I guess it couldn't be Deadly Balance, right? Because he can pop one of his creatures that have already swung. And we do know that Spencer doesn't actually have a lot of flash in his main board outside of the Deadly Balance.
Yeah.
So actually, maybe if he were to amass 6 creatures, it might be okay.
You know, I just don't know. That's the play for Wesley. He's actually going to pass right back over again to Spencer, and I don't know if Wesley's deck has the gas to beat this. I mean, there's a couple things in there, maybe. I mean, he's running Pick a Scion. That's something. I think what you have to do is you have to try to wait to draw the Dual Gun Mechlord during Dyna and just get through for that unblockable damage. He only needs to do one more. So I think you're kind of banking on that. And again, just to reiterate, it is open deck list, so the both players do know what is in each other's decks, and so Spencer knows to kind of watch out for that. So we'll see what the prep is.
So, like you mentioned, Spencer is aware that the Derm Dyna is kind of the win condition in this situation, just from the looking at the board state. But I think another really important point is that he knows Wesley doesn't have the absolute Ice Shield, so there is no fear of that actually stopping out the turn.
Yep, that's right. All right, Wesley draws.
I believe he just drew into what appears to be Dream Bomb, and that's a really powerful burst.
Yeah.
Even if you were to set that burst, I mean, it's not Ice Shield.
Yep, very true.
So
that's okay though.
Yeah. So another Librarian coming right on down. So we're getting close to that 6-body threshold. So I'm really interested to see if he actually managed to do it. But he's kind of low on cores right now.
Right. I mean, he'd have to take some cores off of his existing spirits to be able to play a little bit more at this point, and he's just going to pass the turn. A bit of a stalemate right now between both players. That Blood Curse for Spencer Freeman, really difficult to deal with for Wesley Dong. He doesn't want to attack inefficiently, and so just kind of, again, waiting for that, waiting for Mechlord to show up and theoretically do that last damage.
So with the Camelot Knight, I think Camelot Knight is probably your most expendable spirit that you could swing in here, try to get a little bit of that damage off, and with the Blood Curse, it won't go to the reserve. So really strong aggro potentially here. But same time, if you do swing that Camelot Knight, you potentially put yourself into a lethal threshold, right? Between the 4 bodies currently on Wesley Dong's board. So, in your opinion, would you swing out the Camelot Knight here?
I mean, it really depends on the hand, right? I mean, if you can play another spirit or two, then I think you definitely swing with the Camelot Knight. I would love to see a situation where that's a possibility. I think that's what Spencer Freeman definitely wants to do. But we'll see. He doesn't have a ton of resources to use for that. Another Maduke. Wow. Dual Maduke. Dual trio Maduke.
So he did, however, lower his Maduke to level 1 at the current moment. And so it's losing a bit of its power. Camelot Knight no longer with the Blood Curse of its own, but then he's going to reallocate a little bit of everything. So Maduke will now get her own Blood Curse back online. But Camelot Knight is currently only sitting on Curse now.
Yeah, and
or doesn't even have Curse. Actually, doesn't have a Soul Core.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he does get to swing in with this Grand Underworld Trio Queen Maduke. Very long name, but she comes in for 6,000 BP.
And so I think this is a really smart play coming out from Spencer, reallocating the way his cores are just so we can gain an additional body on board, and he's still threatening that Blood Curse, so it's going to make it really tricky for Wesley to actually block this out, because if you choose to block this, you're not getting that. If you choose to block it, you're losing one of those important bodies. If you let this connect, then you're putting yourself closer and closer to that lethal threshold, and without that absolute Ice Shield, it gets a little scary, but Dream Bomb is going to come right on out,
Yep. I think that's what he was waiting to save that for, so does send Maduke back to hand, it looks.
I believe Dream Bomb actually does have a condition attached to it. I believe it can only target spirits that cost
you might be right.
5 or less, I believe, on the initial. I could be wrong on that. Double check.
No,
it's any spirit.
Spirits, yeah.
Wow. Dream Bomb is strong.
It certainly is, yeah.
Interesting that he chose to send back the Camelot Knight then.
Huh.
Okay.
That is interesting.
Okay.
I mean, I guess it's a situation where it's kind of like what we were talking about. That was the primary theoretical attacker for Spencer Freeman, and sending that back is something. But,
yeah.
I mean, you send one Maduke back. There's enough cores. You can shift it around to the other
there's still
Maduke.
a second Maduke.
You're not reducing the Maduke problem. Maduke is going to be on there no matter what.
So I think what's really interesting in the situation is that a couple turns have passed between the two players, and now Wesley's amassed quite a bit of hand size, actually. So he might be able to actually push for a game upcoming, and so we do see that automated gunner come out for the 0 plus the 1 to stabilize itself. Still, I don't imagine he has the Derm Dyna, otherwise he would have dropped it by now.
Yep. Okay. There's the Falcon as well. So another body hits the board. Up to 6 spirits right now against the 4 potential blockers of his opponent. That one Maduke is exhausted. Is he going to go for it? Is this the turn to do that? Another Dream Bomb comes in.
Yeah, and bouncing back the Aglavale does mean he does not trigger the Wind Destroyed proc, so no additional card draw for Spencer. Wesley doing a really fantastic job trying to settle for lethal right now.
Yeah, 4 resources, or rather 5 resources available for Spencer. He keeps his active resources on the yellow card sleeve in the upper right of his play area. Has things a little bit switched around from other players. And so then the trash is the lower right.
Yeah, and
as usual.
Really important is that while he doesn't have anything in his reserve at the moment for Wesley, these librarians will actually add them back because of their effect. This librarian, because it added back a soul core, will gain an additional 3,000 BP. So he's actually facilitating additional resources to play with. Really scary stuff because now regain is possibly on the table for Wesley.
Yeah, and the other big thing too is that neither of the Bandukes are at level 3. So the spirits that have curse don't have blood curse right now. That's only just a couple of them. The trading begins, and now the question is, does Wesley have enough spirits to go in and finish the job? Only 1 HP remaining for Spencer here.
Yeah, and so he will go ahead. He's going to swing out the other librarian, gain back another core. And there is no burst setup for Spencer at the current moment, but you do always have to remember that it does have a flash ability, being able to end that turn for 4 cost, which, hey, there you go.
Yep, that's right. Yep, it's Absolute Ice Shield comes in. I mean, this is what we've seen all weekend. This is what the card is for. And Wesley Dong, I would imagine expecting that, right?
Right.
Still 4 spirits on the board, so at the end of the day, the situation pretty similar to what it was, despite Wesley losing 1 health during the middle of that.
And Wesley being at 2 life, but we know he's expended 2 of his Dream Bombs. Spencer might decide to actually push because we do know that he has both the Aglavale and the Camelot Knight in his hand, so he does have 2 spirits to try and push for that.
Yep. A lot of resources for Spencer here. What's the play going to be?
I think at a certain point, you do just have to push a little bit, knowing that Wesley, at some point, he's going to draw into that Derm Dyna into another regain, and that might just seal the deal here. You have expended 1 of your Absolute Ice Shields. If you don't have another one, it gets a little bit tricky.
I feel like you want both Madukes to be at level 2 at least. You want that Blood Curse active.
Yeah, I definitely can agree with that. Even a single core can make a huge difference because maybe that ends up activating your Ice Shield, your Dream Bombs, whatever it may be. Of course, Wesley doesn't have Ice Shield, but, I digress.
Yeah. And
Curse Dragon.
Curse Dragon comes down. All right, so that's going to remove a core from everything, and that's actually going to decimate Wesley's board.
Yeah, so that should be the Automated Gunner as well as the Valkyrie Mist, actually.
That might just be the game.
That might be enough,
too many bodies for Wesley to deal with here.
Yeah, so Spencer really demonstrating just how powerful purple control can be. He is the only top 16 purple control player, actually. So, really excited to see what else lies in store for the rest of this game. But yeah, coming out the Camelot Knight and even the Aglavale.
Oh, I think it's over. I mean, unless there's a Absolute Ice Shield from hand possibly for Wesley, but we know he runs in his sideboard, so it's not going to be in there, I guess, in game number 1.
Yeah, so even
at least.
I mean, even with a single Dream Bomb in his hand of what appears to be only 2 cards, I don't think it's enough.
Yep.
Oh, he passes.
Whoa, no attacks from Spencer. Interesting.
Oh, okay.
Pegasion coming in now.
Pegasion is a really powerful card. It's able to block out spirits with 2 or less cores even while exhausted.
Right.
So I'm wondering if playing slow here actually gives Wesley a chance to, stall out a little bit here. Still at 2 life. I mean, you with 3 blockers and with the Pegasion really just being a menace to here.
I feel like Spencer can just push in for the win here. I feel like he could have done it last turn even.
Well, maybe this is why they're up there and we're back here.
Maybe. Maybe, but he had such an overwhelming advantage just in terms of spirit count on the board. I mean, it's going to be 7 spirits to 3.
Yeah.
What could the white aggro player possibly have in the hand to stop all that from coming in?
Yeah, and so Camelot Knight is going to go ahead and swing in. One of his Madukes is level 3, so Camelot Knight will be able to actually preserve itself and use its curse in order to take out the Satellite Falcon.
That's the idea. All right, blocking again is
So the really important part to note is that with the Camelot Knight,
Should be the
because
game.
it keeps reviving, yeah, that should be
That's
it.
the game. I was going to say, I feel like that one could have ended a turn earlier,
Yeah.
but yeah, Spencer Freeman definitely getting the edge here just in terms of board control. And remember, it was turn 2 that Wesley Dawn came in and reduced him to just 1 life with that big attack, and it was so close, but Spencer Freeman just barely clinging to the edge of the cliff there and pulling himself back up again on the back of the 4 arms of Maduke. I guess if anyone's going to be pulling you over the edge of a cliff and keeping you alive, it's going to be someone with 4 arms, right?
And I think it really stemmed from the fact that he had that last deadly balance in his hand to try and he wouldn't remove that last body. That last body proving to be really crucial to Wesley's game plan. So the deadly balance coming up clutch and going into the sideboarding. We actually know what their sideboards are. They're going into this. So what do you think they sideboard? Wesley obviously probably putting in those Fulas.
Yeah, I think you definitely put in Full Eye. I think that's, standard against purple. Maybe Fanatec Elk as well. Because you're going to be playing theoretically a little bit longer game. It depends on how Wesley wants to approach it, I suppose.
Yeah, the Fanatec Elk plus Ice Shield combo is very, very powerful.
Yeah.
But maybe he doesn't actually want to play a slower game. Maybe Wesley just wants to hit the gas pedal even harder.
Yeah, I wonder because there's nothing really he can put in his sideboard that's going to make things go quicker, per se.
No, but using the Fulla, it will give him a little bit extra insurance in terms of his aggression, and he also does run 2 copies of Spring of
Norn.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Spring of Norn, that basically lets you at the start of your opponent's attack step, you refresh all your spirits with no effects, and we know that's a really hallmark of white aggros that you're playing a lot of vanilla spirits, right?
Right, but that's at level 2,
exactly,
which is a really important distinction to make, just because of how important core management is in this game.
Mm-hmm. It's a pretty cheap Nexus, I believe, though. Yeah, it's going to cost
3.
1 after the discount. 3 with a 2 white discount, so you can just kind of spend 3 cores and get it out there. And it depends on how much you want to block, I suppose. That to me feels like a card you're going to run into more aggressive matchups where you're going to be trading spirits more actively, spirits that are of similar BP, I suppose. I think in this particular case, you put in Ice Maid Fulla and maybe Elk, and that's what I don't even think you put in. Absolute Ice Shield.
Yeah, I think if I were to approach this matchup, I think Fulla would be my choice, and then I probably wouldn't side in any of the other cards just because I feel like it slows me down. And Purple Control is one of the more terrifying decks that, as it scales throughout the game, it becomes harder and harder to break. So why would I want to give him a little bit extra time?
Yeah. Now on the Spencer Freeman side, looking at his sideboard includes a couple more Madukes, Ice Maid Fulla, which is for the purple mirror probably. You've got 3 Bloody Rain, 2 Angelic Pressure, which is kind of interesting. Angelic Pressure, I wonder, because that's one that costs 3, right? Straight up. You're not going to have any yellow cards, so you're not going to get the discount, but 3 is not that bad. And reducing BP, you could just snipe a couple of the white spirits here and there. So, maybe that's an option.
So I think Spencer Freeman has a very excellent sideboard against this matchup. Blood Rain and Angelic Suppression are both fantastic cards into the aggro matchup. With the Angelic Suppression, this meaning your spirits will be able to not only block out your opponent's spirits much easier, but white doesn't have Armor Yellow in this current list. So no immunity to that Angelic Suppression. And with Blood Rain, a card that we don't see very often, its burst is whenever you lose a life for the rest of this combat phase, whenever your opponent would swing with a spirit, they have to give up a core. And so if you're not investing multiple cores onto these spirits, if you're going too wide, like your automated gunner, for example, it will immediately get popped.
Yeah, exactly. Wesley presenting his deck for the cut as we get ready for game number 2 between these 2 top 16 players. Both very familiar with playing against each other in other games, both very accomplished in many TCGs across the board. So cool to see a matchup like this in the first round of the playoffs here today. On day 2, Spencer Freeman obviously ahead in the series by 1 game. Wesley, we'll see if he can tie it up. It is singly limbs, so if you are out, you are out.
Yeah, and so I'm expecting that Spencer's sideboard decisions will be a lot more impactful than Wesley's, just because there's a lot more that you can side into this matchup. And I believe that Wesley is looking towards the Librarian. Yep. Okay, Librarian, a very excellent start. We did see just how powerful this spirit was. Turn 2 last game, and he has opted to go first just so he can establish up that cost reduction as soon as possible.
Yeah, I mean, it's a Head Librarian or Ice Librarian Saga, right? So when your name is the same as the card game itself, you got to be a pretty strong card. Oh, but the Deadly Balance comes in right off the bat. And a good turn one play for Spencer. Again, he's not as interested in developing the board early. It's more about controlling the situation, setting yourself up for those bigger late game plays. So yeah, just kind of maintaining a strong board state or a safe board state is important. Here comes another one. All right, the library will be manned no matter what.
So I think what's really interesting is that Spencer has decided to forsake actually establishing a spirit, has opted to remove the librarian, recognizing the fact that, playing a little bit slower in this matchup might actually just be key.
Yeah, maybe. Okay, so Mechwing Duck coming in.
And this Mechwing Duck is a card that during your opponent's attack step, I believe, whenever a card is bounced, you do gain a new core. And we do know that he is playing cards such as the Dream Bomb, but a second Deadly Balance actually coming out for Spencer. And yeah, there goes the Duck.
I mean, this is what you do. This is what you do as a control player. You just try to make sure your opponent gets as little on the board as possible and can't maintain it.
And Wesley, being given the choice between giving up his librarian or giving up his duck, while in mid-combat for the duck, has opted to actually remove his Mecha Wing duck.
Give up the duck, yeah.
Yeah, keeping the librarian on the board just because that is a much more powerful threat, but immediately answered by Belzegor.
All right. I mean, this is a scary situation for Wesley Dong right out of the gate. I mean, 2 creatures eliminated with Deadly Balance. Now, Beldegor of the Dark World 7 comes out. That's the alt art in case you're curious why it looks a little bit different, but what isn't different is that you pick one of your opponent's exhausted spirits and you basically nuke it.
So what's very interesting, though, is that currently Spencer has no cores left in his reserve. He only has, he has 4 actually on Beldegor, so he does have a little bit of leeway here.
Yeah.
And Wesley is sitting on quite an abundance right now. So I'm curious to see if we're going to see anything along the lines of that Fulla, which, speaking of, there it is.
Yep. Could have used her a moment ago, but there she is right now. At least hitting the board.
And it looks like he will also follow with the Satellite Falcon. Very powerful spirit, and giving it the Soul Core, which is very important because of Fulla's effect.
Yeah, that's right. So Fulla's effect, like you can see on the screen, is she and any spirits with the Soul Core can't have their cores removed. So by your opponent's effects. So it keeps them safe against things like Beldegor, the Dragon, Spencer now dropping the Cavalier just for that card draw here and to get another body on the board.
I mean, if you're in the position of Wesley, you gotta be a little bit scared, right? Because last game you were able to get your opponent all the way down to 1 life because of a crazy librarian regain term. But now he's still at 4, and you have quite a bit to break through.
Yeah, Agilvor hitting now. So, again, it's the early removal followed by this kind of beginning of the mid game where the purple player is building up a strong board of arguably stronger, just straight up spirits than the white aggro player is going to present. So yeah, it's a really tense situation for Wesley right here. He was so close to winning game number 1, but game number 2 is not going his way, and that's the opposite of what he needs to have happen if he was going to tie up the series.
And so it looks like they will invest additional cores into their spirits, trying to beef them up a little bit, maybe not going for an approach, leaving him in a position to actually get removed as easily. Knowing that your opponent is playing the Beldegor, swinging is a little bit risky just because it might revive and then pop one of your spirits.
Yep. That's also the concern too. Is Beldegor has Immortal, like you're saying, where if it goes away, you can just kind of bring it back. And Spencer furrowed brow, concentrating, but he's feeling pretty comfortable at the moment here at 4 life. At this turn.
And knowing the fact that the Cavalier is on the board, Cavalier does cost a baseline 4 core cost, which means that even if Beldegor were to hit that trash, it could be revived should the Cavalier be removed. So you already have this really fantastic synergy set up. Do note that Beldegor does have to pay his own 3 cost as well as the 1 to maintain him, of course, with cost reductions implied. But Spencer's board is pretty solid, but Fulla is going to go on in.
Yeah, Ice made Fulla at 5,000 BP. With those 4 cores, so she's no joke. It's going to be a block with Beldegor, and yeah, he's going to allow that Beldegor to go to the trash. And again, like we were just talking about, the Immortal might become a factor here. I believe Cavalier, costing 4 is enough to make that swap.
Right, and so the Satellite Falcon, I believe, does actually swing over this Cavalier, and so if he were to swing the Falcon, actually they ended up passing turn. We didn't see it, but yeah, right there, Cavalier draw 1.
That's right.
So I think it's a very smart play that Wesley chose not to swing the Satellite Falcon, because if he did and traded with the Cavalier, that would have made it an awkward situation where Beldegor could have come down and popped the Fulla, but immediately Camelot Knight plus Cavalier are going to emerge, really fortifying that board.
Yeah, I mean, it's starting to look a lot like last game where just the board's starting to get overwhelming for Wesley to deal with, and then, man, if a Maduke comes down now, it's lights out.
But knowing Wesley, we did see a lot of cards that were able to remove a little bit of that board state last game, mostly through the Dream Bomb. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we saw a little bit of that coming back up into this game.
I mean, the thing with Dream Bomb is that it's still going to cost you 3 as a white player, and that's a big investment for Magic. So you can, like you said, remove that kind of stuff, but when there's 4 spirits on the other side of the board, a Dream Bomb is just kind of feels like delaying the inevitable in the aggro versus control matchup.
So Bullet Ray will come on down. Bullet Ray is a very powerful spirit because with only a 2-core investment, it actually hits 5,000 BP.
Yeah.
If I've learned anything from yesterday, it's that anything above 4,000 is kind of great.
Oh, no doubt. Yeah, I mean, it's a scary thing to deal with if you're Spencer. I mean, things are going to die. And without the Maduke there giving the other things with Curse, Blood Curse, you don't have quite as much opportunity to strike back. That's another Cavalier.
It's actually
Aglavale. My bad. Aglavale, coming in, actually.
Yeah, but this Aglavale does not actually have a Soul Core attached to it, so it will not draw a card when destroyed, but his first Aglavale that he played earlier does have that Soul Core, so I'm still going to end up drawing a card at the end of the day. But yeah, 5 spirits currently facing Wesley on this board. Key difference is that Wesley's still at 5 life, and Spencer's still at 4, so it's a much, much slower game, so really anything could happen at this point.
Yeah, the big thing that Spencer needs right now is that Maduke, right, to go with the other Dark Knight Aglavale that, turns that curse into Blood Curse, Once that happens, it's very scary. But Wesley needs to get something going here. Just playing some vanilla spirits, playing 1 or 2 vanilla spirits each turn is not going to get you very far. Because last game, too, I mean, at turn 2 in the game, it was 5-1 in terms of life. And that's still a game that Spencer Freeman came back and won. So Wesley needs to find a way to turn the momentum around.
I think you do have to be very conscious of how many spirits you actually drop onto the board and what their core investments are going to be, knowing the fact that the Cursed Dragon might come down at any moment and, get rid of some of those spirits. And he should be also aware of the Blood Rain, right? We haven't seen the burst actually set, but it's a card that you should keep in the back of your mind when you're allocating your spirits their cores. Actually, question, I don't know if you know the answer to this. Does Fulla make you immune to Blood Rain?
To Blood Rain?
I believe it does, just because you can't lose a core, I believe.
Yeah, well, you can't lose it on, the Soul Core and on Fulla. But the other ones would still be effective? I'd have to look up Blood Rain.
Yes.
That's not a card we've seen a lot of, so I don't...
Right.
Let me look up the exact text here.
Yeah, so Fulla would, to my knowledge, it would protect herself, as well as the one card with the Soul Core attached to it.
Well, let's see. So I move a card from it. Yeah, I mean, because it would be... So would it just make Fulla not be able to attack? Because you can't remove cores. I don't know. That's an interesting interaction.
That's a very interesting question, yeah.
Yeah, because it is losing a core as an effect of your opponent's card.
Ooh.
Huh. All right.
We'll have to check with the judge after this. But Spencer's going to go ahead and play an Earth Spider right on down. And yeah, we're seeing around a board of 6 spirits. Going to be very difficult for Wesley to break through, especially with 4 life still in his possession on Spencer's side.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is that if you're thinking about Dual Gun Mechlord, Derm Dyna, these names, man. If you think about that card coming in, the way it gets the unblockable nature is via Nexuses, And so even if that card were to hit the board, I don't think there's enough gas to get enough unblockable stuff through. I'd have to...
Well, actually, the only Nexus in Wesley Dong's list is from his Spring from sideboard.
Yeah, exactly, yeah.
So how he wouldn't be able to actually grant himself the unblockable. It looks like primarily the Derm Dynas for the level 2, level 3 ability of keeping itself alive.
Yep. You need Nexus on the board to make Derm Dyna work.
So actually very interesting deck building decision coming out from Wesley opting to not actually play around that unblockable effect, which I think most players, that's why you play the Derm Dyna.
Well, I think you also assume that your opponent's going to have a couple Nexuses out there. Yellow, purple, and honestly, every other deck in the game usually runs a couple Nexuses. It's kind of interesting that this control purple has not been playing any. But, the thing is Spencer's very aware of this, right? So if you have a game where you don't need to play the Nexuses, you do that, right?
Yeah.
Because he does have some Purple Smoke Valley in the deck.
He also has a Netherworld Depth, so he's actually playing 6 different Nexuses. But Spencer being really smart about his play, recognizing that Derm Dyna is a very valid win con for his opponent, not giving any leeway towards that. But simultaneously, Wesley making a very interesting, interesting deck building choice, knowing that throughout the entire day he would probably run into a lot of Nexuses, and Beldegor is going to come right on out.
Yep.
No effect, however, but I think you're pretty satisfied with 7 bodies.
I think you're very satisfied with 7 bodies on the board. Yeah, I mean, I'd feel pretty good about that if I'm the purple player. Just to be like, yep, I'm just going to put up a wall. You can't attack through this. I'm just going to wait for Maduke, wait for the Cursed Dragon. I'm just going to wait for my opportunity to, nuke the board and then, come in. He's running, 4 dark
Bishop
Bacillus as well. Yeah, so that's also another thing that helps you combo with the dragon too. So yeah, I mean, it just seems like it's inevitable, right? I mean, Wesley doesn't really have a great way to get through this with the deck, and this is a classic TCG aggro versus control thing, right? Where if the aggro deck doesn't get it done quick, you get into these untenable situations pretty rapidly. So it's not a matter of Battle Spirit Saga or like Wesley's deck choice or Spencer's deck choice. This is just the way these archetypes have played into each other for like 30 plus years at this point in TCGs.
So what I'm really interested to know is Spencer just looking for the Bishop Dragon combo?
Possibly.
So if you're just amassing all this hand size to try and get to that point, just to guarantee that win, because there's a lot of riding on the line for this tournament, $7,000 for first place.
Yeah.
And with that much prizing on the line for everything, you don't want to make a mistake. You want to be as absolutely certain as possible.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's certainly one of the things that he's looking for right now. Another part of it too is that if you attack with too much, it's really easy to get some things bounced, and then you're in big trouble.
Yeah, and so we will go ahead and see that Mordred coming right on down. Mordred can do a little bit of core siphoning on himself, but Mordred's Wind Summon only affects exhausted spirits.
Yep, that's right. When you attack with him, he also can remove a core, right? So, if you're going to attack with anyone, I feel like that's the one, but he's going to leave it for now.
Well, so
it's only a level 2 thing anyway.
Yeah, and Mordred's core drain, he only drains 1 when attacking. And currently all of Wesley's spirits have more than 1 core, so it actually wouldn't do too much in the grand scheme of things.
Yeah.
But Snowflaken actually coming right on down with the ability to bounce back cards with the curse, and he's immediately going to level it up to level 2. So yeah, that ability is now online.
Right, but it's when the spirit blocks. So now we're really into kind of stalemate territory, right? Where it's like if Spencer attacks, Wesley can block with the Snowflaken, bounce something theoretically. Wesley can't really attack because there's just too many bodies on the board for Spencer. So we might be in for a little bit of a longer one.
Yeah, and Wesley making a really excellent play, maneuvering his Soul Core over to Snowflaken, actually, so that way if there is any Soul Siphon shenanigans, Snowflaken is going to be the one that survives, and that is it's the card that you want to hold on to. Second Snowflaken actually coming on down.
All right.
This Snowflaken is only level 1 at the current moment, so this one, unfortunately, will not be bouncing any curses.
I mean, at this point, we're just kind of chilling. Both players continue to build up their boards, but the same situations that's existed since basically turn 3 of the game still exist now, where Wesley doesn't have the ability to break through, and Spencer Freeman doesn't really have any reason to try to push the issue, right? The longer the game goes, the better it gets for the control player. So Spencer can just kind of like wait this out until he gets into those big combos that we're talking about.
Yeah, and so Spencer did, however, set a burst. So
yep.
Is that a Blood Rain? Is that an Absolute Ice Shield? What do you think?
Probably an Ice Shield.
Probably?
I mean, yeah, you play the Ice Shield, and that's the lockdown, right? Because even if something catastrophic happens to your board and they try to go in with like a bunch of things, Ice Shield, and then you're just fine. So it does really feel to me that like Spencer has this lockdown. Just again, looking at the deck list for these two players, it's hard to imagine a situation where Wesley is able to come back. And I'm not the type of person to call things over before they're over very often. I generally try to avoid that at all costs. But in this particular situation, it's looking very difficult for Wesley. We'll put it that way.
Yeah, and so I would be very interested to see how Maduke would actually change the dynamic of the board. Wesley going to go ahead and play the first Nexus of the set. It's going to be that Spring, so allowing you to untap your exhausted spirits with no effects. And he has tripled vanillas on his board, actually. So, if you were to invest a little bit more into that level 2 Spring, you would be able to restand all of your vanillas, but there's quite a bit on Spencer's board, so even if you did swing those vanillas in, it's going to be a lot harder to break through.
I think the big thing too with Spring of Norn is that now that there's a Nexus on the board, now the possibility of going through as an unblockable spirit with Mech Lord Derm Dyna is suddenly a possibility.
Right.
That is something you can do. Now, it's only something you can do with one spirit per turn, so it'd be a very grindy way for White to win this. But if he's able to get that spirit out there, and if he's able to keep it alive in some way, move the Soul Core onto it and keep, get the benefit from Ice Maid Fulla, maybe there's a way he can grind this one out. But that would be one of the craziest wins I've ever seen from a White aggro if he's able to pull that off.
So I think it really does stem from the fact that whether or not you have that regain, I think regain is going to be the card that really pushes it over the edge to obtain that extra bit of damage, because you can amass as many bodies as you want at this point in the game, but I don't think you're ever going to get more than Spencer is at the moment, just because of that difference in card draw, right? I haven't seen Wesley draw any additional cards outside of his normal card draw, whereas Spencer, he's had the Cavalier, and Cavalier alone has already put him ahead in terms of that deck race.
If Wesley had done more damage early, then I would say this game is, still within White's grasp, right? If this was like the status of game number 1 when it was still 1 to 5 life, then maybe
Valkyrie Mist.
Valkyrie Mist comes in, and he's going to be able to bounce Mordred, it looks like.
A second Valkyrie Mist also making an appearance.
Okay.
Really whittling down Spencer's board right now. Is Wesley going to push for this game?
Right now,
I don't see that happening. Maybe you play this like a little bit slow. But I guess the question now is, even if you were to swing, are your spirits large enough to actually break over, or did they end up trading? Because Spencer's board is not a couple of pushovers. Valkyrie Mist potentially swinging in for, I believe he's only level 1, so for 1,000 BP. I mean, look at all these blockers that could stop you.
Does he attack?
Yeah.
He's going to go for it with 1 anyway.
Okay, and then, if you're Spencer, yes, you could end up blocking this. You could also choose to just take this, gain the extra core, and then use that to really threaten your opponent with a crazy board wipe combo.
Yeah.
But it does look like he will go ahead and block with the Aglaveil. And yeah, there goes the Valkyrie Mist. Valkyrie Mist going in again. So yeah, it looks like he's actually pushing for game right now.
Huh. I mean, it just doesn't seem like there's enough spirits there. But we'll see. I mean,
maybe he has a couple regains in him.
This is one of those situations too where maybe you just want to exhaust a bunch of your opponent's spirits so that they can't push you as much. But Spencer could just choose not to block. Yeah, they would. I don't know what I'm talking about. Yeah, they definitely would. Yeah. So.
Okay, so he's swung 3 of his bodies, going in for the 4th maybe. There's still 4 life on Spencer's side.
Yeah. And it's 6 spirits to 5 spirits in favor of Spencer at the moment here.
Yes, I'm wondering, what is the game plan here? Is there something in Wesley's hand that's going to really swing the tide of this battle? Because it's not like you can drop another spirit mid-combat right now, but Dream Bomb coming right on down. Yeah, you can bounce. Chooses the Cavalier.
Yep, I mean, Cavalier going to be one of those that's on the more expensive side, and to play another Dream Bomb.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I think the decision that Wesley's decided to actually make is that he's swung the Valkyrie Mist, knowing that it would get blocked out, but then that core going back into the reserve, that's going to pay for that Dream Bomb's cost.
Yeah, and the other thing, too, is that he sends back both Cavaliers. That's what you'd be using with to bring Beldegor back as well.
Right, exactly. So actually very smart play coming out from Wesley. Very, very good.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think this was a really good job of just thinning out the board for his opponent right now and getting rid of some very important stuff.
And so I think he recognizes that, yeah, you can't push for damage here because you're just making assumptions as an absolute ice shield. But he's really hurting Spencer's board state at the current moment. This is a lot of pressure actually coming out of Wesley. This is all thanks to his really smart decision to swing with the Valkyrie Mist, getting back those cores for the Dream Bomb.
Yep, that's right. So the attack coming through, Wesley will go ahead and block that one.
Yeah, so Satellite Falcon does go down. There are 4 spirits remaining on Wesley's side. But 1 blocker remains still, so even if you were to swing out on all 4 of these spirits, it wouldn't be enough for game without the addition of regain. So maybe you just call your opponent's bluff. Maybe you just say, hey, that's not an absolute ice shield. I think it's your Blood Rain.
Oh, well, we'll see. Another
Dream Bomb. Yeah.
All right, Dream Bomb number 3 sends the Camelite Knight back. Everything is exhausted now. Oh, does he have the ability?
Lethal.
Does he have the ability to finish this off? This would be wild. What a turn. The turn before for Wesley, just very, saving up a ton of Dream Bombs in the hand to send back just enough to maybe push through. We were looking for Derm Dyna, but
I don't know if you saw it. That's not an ice shield. It's a Blood Rain.
I didn't see it.
It's a Blood Rain.
Oh
Yeah,
my
that's
gosh.
game.
Are you kidding me? Wesley did it. And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why you don't call them before they're over. Because Wesley found a way to get through and force us to a game 3. That is amazing. Wesley Dong getting it done. And it took an avenue that neither of us had talked about.
It's
Saving
very
up.
unorthodox.
Yeah, I mean, we were talking about Durham Dyna going through unblockable, but he actually waited, just kept playing spirits, and just gradually built up a huge hand of Dream Bombs, 3 out of the 4 in his deck. Dream Bomb very specific targets, made very specific attacks first to draw out the correct blocks. That was just like a giga next level giganto brain play by Wesley Dong to save up the exact cards in his hand, make the exact attacks that cause the exact blocks, to then let the Dream Bomb send back the exact things to let him get through for lethal next turn. That was extremely good play from Wesley to send us to game 3.
Yeah, and just off of that alone, I'm super excited to see the adaptations these players make going into game 3.
Yeah.
What do you choose to sideboard? Do you choose to go first or second? I imagine Spencer would actually opt to go first now, denying Wesley that initial setup for the board. Wesley's wanted to go, not Wesley, but Spencer's wanted to go, Wesley's wanted to go twice first now.
Yeah.
First twice now.
I think you always want to go first
Yeah.
if you're the white aggro player.
Yeah, so I'd imagine Spencer would actually choose to opt to go first this time around, denying Wesley that potential reduction advantage. But really, yeah, that was a really interesting setup coming out from Wesley, just using the Dream Bomb and that fantastic and beautiful attack order.
I mean, you can see Spencer with a smile on his face there, man. I mean, because that is just such a crazy outcome of that game. I don't think he was expecting that to be a possibility even. Wow. I mean, that again, like, just the amount of foresight that Wesley had to take, what was it, 4 or 5 turns to build up that hand. That was game of the tournament so far, I think we've seen on stream.
So I think if you're in Spencer's position, you have to be a little bit shook right now, right? Knowing that you had this what almost seemed like an unbreakable board state, and you're playing against this aggro deck. It should be running out of gas soon, and then bam, your entire board of like 8 to 9 spirits got dismantled.
Yeah, and it was so clinical. It was so surgical, right? That said, I mean, nothing has changed matchup-wise, right? Essentially, we're to a best-of-1 now, and we're still in that same situation where in most games, last game was like on the very edge of one side of the bell curve for this matchup. Like in most control aggro matchups, you do have the aggro player trying to get as much damage early, trying to end the game early before the purple player establishes. We never saw Maduke come out. We do see Spencer Freeman go first this time and throw down to Aglavale.
Yeah, it's important to note that neither player opted to mulligan, so both feeling very satisfied with their hands and gaining that additional 5th card. Spencer now on 6 cards and setting up Aglavale. So yeah, like we said, he did end up taking that first turn, but immediately out of the gate, the Pegasion is going to go out and swing.
I mean, he puts it down sideways. He's like, all right,
he knew what's happening.
You know I'm coming in. I mean, it can block when the opponent's spirits have less than 2 cores.
Right.
So he knows that Pegasion, unless more spears drop on the Aglavale, can still block it anyway. So yeah, why not go in and do an extra point of damage early?
Yeah, so he's going to go ahead and invest a little bit into his Cavalier. He's going to set that burst. So what we thought was an absolute ice shield turned out to actually be the Blood Rain. So I'm curious, if you're Spencer's position, is this an absolute ice shield or is this the Blood Rain? What do you think?
Who knows? Who knows at this point? I can't even make a prediction. I thought for sure it'd be an ice shield just because of the lockdown that would provide, but maybe he didn't have one in the hand when he did the burst. You can always replace your burst card if you throw the other one in the trash, so that's always an option, but I was surprised it wasn't the ice shield. At this point, though, who knows? We'll wait and see. There's a Head Snow Librarian Saga, so another way to get just some more cores out on the board for you right now. And Pegasion, so strong. I mean, immune to core removal because it can't be, immune to most core removal, I should say. Bishop Bacillus still will remove cores because that's not targeted, but immune to a lot of other stuff that will target and remove cores specifically.
I think it's very interesting to note that the Pegasus doesn't actually have the soul core attached to it, meaning that he's not actually able to block while exhausted.
Oh, you're right.
Point. Yeah.
It got moved over. It did have the soul core on it last
did initially,
turn.
Yeah. But yeah, immediately there goes the Librarian, Beldegor coming right on down. It's going to also be leveled up to that level 2. And yeah, so we're back into what's almost similar to the last game, but the one big difference that Wesley found the Pegasus.
Yeah, we didn't see Pegasion either of the first 2 games. So having that out early on is usually a very good thing for the white aggro player. We did just see, Beldegor of the Dark World 7 take down Head Snow Librarian Saga. because that core protection wasn't there quite yet for Wesley. But still in a decent spot here.
I think what also might have swung, the tide of the game in Wesley's favor is that he found that Fulla very early on into his gameplay.
Yeah, that's true too.
Fulla being able to guarantee that 2 of your spirits are going to survive some of that core drain, but no Fulla in sight for this game 3. So, that might actually make the difference here.
Yeah. Waiting for Wesley to make his first play this turn, playing an automated gunner. Yeah. That's right.
Falcon.
And the Falcon as well. So typical white aggro player, just throwing out some vanilla bodies. There's going to be another one, Emperador, another vanilla one. That one's a little bit more expensive. It's a 4 cost with 3 reductions. So you need a lot out to do that. But once you do, yeah, you can toss it out and it's pretty strong. I think it's 4,000 at level 1. Yeah,
yes,
it is.
It is.
Yep. That's right. He's going to move some cores around, move the Soul Core over to the Pegasyon again to unlock that ability that you mentioned earlier where the Pegasyon can block when it's exhausted if the attacking creature has 2 or less cores.
Is Imperador a monkey?
Imperador does look like a robot monkey, yes. You are correct.
Huh.
Got a nice big mustache.
I've never... Oh, it's a mustache?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, check it out. Yeah, like there's like those... I forget where they live, but there's like those monkeys that have the big mustaches.
Huh.
I don't know. I think they're somewhere in Asia. I don't know my geography skills very well.
I don't know. You were doing pretty well with geography yesterday.
I was doing okay, but I admit my monkey, environment geography skills might be lacking a little bit. I know that monkey exists without the mechanical aspect of it somewhere on planet Earth. I don't know where. Someone on Twitter, I'm sure Twitch chat can tell whoever's watching Twitch chat. They can let me know.
Okay. And so Wesley Dong going to go ahead and swing in that automated gunner.
Yep.
It will be blocked out by the Cavalier, but really interesting position because, while you think you're safe, Dream Bomb. Yeah.
All right, sending Beldegor back to the hand.
So technically, he might actually be able to threaten lethal here in the combination. Like, it doesn't look like it, but Regain is a very possible threat on Wesley's side of the board. So Spencer going to need a lot of defense actually to hold out.
Yeah.
Because you can just swing out your spirits. There's
there
the absolute shield. Yeah, okay, there it is.
Yep. All right, so this time it was an absolute ice shield in the burst. Yeah, and so this is the exact occasion you want that for it. That surprise, the Dream Bomb coming in the first flash phase after the attack was declared, of course. And so that's going to prevent the blocking from happening. Thus, the Ice Shield has to come up to keep the rest of the attacks from coming in and possibly taking out Spencer early on in the game.
And so, yes, he could play a Beldegor, but we do...
Okay,
there you go. There you go.
Whoopsie.
So I was going to say, we do know that the Beldegor, it could not target the Pegasus, but with the Cursed King Dragon, you're able to actually bypass that because... his core drain is not a target. It's an AoE effect. And Pegasus, his armor is only immune to targeting.
Mm-hmm. Yep, that's right. So it's like you said, remove 1 core from each from all the spirits and place them in his reserves. Blah blah. And like you said, it doesn't target, so he does go through. And suddenly, Spencer Freeman building up a bit of a board himself here.
Yeah, and so what's really important to note is that Infernal King Curse Dragon actually gains a core for every spirit you destroy because of his own effect.
Yeah.
And all those cores, he paid 8 initially to actually go into this thing to begin with. But now having the ability to reestablish additional, I believe, 3 to 4 cores, and yeah, his board's back. But the monkey makes a reappearance.
That's expensive, man. That is expensive.
4 cost monkey.
Yeah, but it is a 3 cores and a soul core, so that is a 7,000 BP monkey at this point. Oh, but Deadly Balance comes in, and it's easy to toss out the Eggerlivore in exchange for your opponent's only spirit. Earth Spider hits the board after that.
Yeah.
And here's where we see the power of purple
double
removal.
Spider.
Yep. Oh, man, it's arachnophobia going on here.
So what's also really smart from Spencer's part is that he decided to pop the Aglavale, which will gain him back that additional card draw.
Yeah.
So you're really just breaking even on the Deadly Balance play. But yeah, Spiders, Camelots, they're all going in. It looks like Spencer's decided he's getting a little impatient. He wants to push this in. He wants to end this game, but Dyna coming on down.
Finally, a dual gun Mechlord Derm Dyna hits the board.
For 7.
Yeah, with 4 cores on it, that's going to bring him up to 8,000 BP. And it's going to unlock that unblockable ability, but you need a Nexus on the board to do it. It can be on either side.
Well, so the unblockable is actually his level 1 ability.
Right.
At level 2, he gets the ability to prevent his own destruction by removing a core.
Yeah, that's true. Check it out. It's Ice Maid Saga coming out. So with the Soul Core on Derm Dyna, that's going to protect him from core removal, which is important because the Nightmare Dragon came down.
No, but immediately we're gonna go see another Cursed Dragon actually coming on out, and so
Yep.
it will remove his Camelot Knight. But because of Fulla's effect, Fulla's gonna keep these two alive.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So it's like you see on the screen, your opponent's effects cannot remove cores from this spirit or any spirit with a soul core on it.
So I think a little bit of a misplay from Spencer maybe there, getting rid of his own Camelot Knight, not really affecting Wesley's board state here. But do know that the Dern Dyna is actually only at 1 core now.
Yeah. Yeah, so it is a little bit weaker. It still does get that ability that you're talking about. Once again, it needs a Nexus.
Is that a Maduke?
To do that. That is not a Maduke. That is a...
Beldegor? Mordred?
I
think
believe
Mordred.
it's Beldegor. You can
Uh,
see the claw on the right side. You can see a little bit of claw. So,
true.
yeah, that is
Yeah.
Beldegor. Yep, that's right. Wow, I think that's the first time I've gotten one right for once on the board. You've always been getting those, but way before me.
All right.
Victory, finally. There, I'm 1 for like 15 at this point.
But yeah, so Cursed Dragon is going to come on a
Ooh.
second Dern Dyna.
Wow, dual mech gun.
Yeah, but this time around, this one doesn't actually cost the full 7. It's going to get a bit of cost reduction.
Yeah.
But only one of these will be protected by the Fulla.
Yeah. So what's the plan here? He doesn't have enough cores on them to give them the ability to cheat death a little bit here.
Yeah. And so I guess the really big question I want to ask here is, can Spencer push for game here with 5 bodies? 6 bodies. I stand corrected.
I think it's certainly possible. No cores in the reserve for Wesley Dong.
No
and
burst
that
either.
is scary. And keep in mind, when Cursed Dragon attacks, it does remove cores from your opponent's spirits.
Yeah,
So,
took the damage. All right.
yep.
Yeah, Wesley is now, I believe, at 1 life.
This is scary. This is very scary for Wesley Dong.
Okay, go ahead and block out with the Derm Dyna. Makes
Yep.
sense. Spider is going to swing.
You know-
Spider without Soul Core does not have a core drain associated, so Spider's going to go down as well.
Oh, and there goes Ice Lord. Ice Maid Saga. That makes the core drain something that Wesley can worry about, but he might be a lot more worried about losing the rest of his life total. There's no Ice Shield, I don't
That's
think.
game,
That's
yeah.
it. That's game, and that's series. Spencer Freeman taking a close 3-game series against Wesley Dong. Spencer takes a series, but man, that game too was, I think, one of the best games of Battle Spirit Saga I've ever seen.
Absolutely.
That was such a great series. 2 really awesome players here coming in. It's kind of tragic that they met here in the round of 16 since it is singly limb. Both these guys have played against each other in TCGs a lot of times. It's always going to be a good matchup. They're both so good, but Spencer moves on.
And so I'm really curious to know how the rest of the top 16 bracket goes. I want to know what Spencer ends up playing. Is Spencer going to play Pterosaur, Fabled? I believe there's 3 white aggro players still in the running right now. I don't know if any of them got knocked out, but I'd be really interested to know that information.
Well, I'm sure we'll have an updated bracket at some point here. We can take a look at the bracket as it is possibly before we go to break if we want to just chat about that a little bit more. Might as well do that.
Yeah.
We will be taking a break until the next round, but let's take a look at the bracket for just a moment here. So we just saw Wesley Dong versus Spencer Freeman. Obviously, Spencer moves on. So if Hoang Zero wins with his red Pterosaur, then we will have that red Pterosaur matchup for Spencer. We'll probably move to a different series to highlight some other players.
Yeah.
But it could be another white aggro matchup for Spencer if Admasu Williams got through. So we're going to take a quick break, like you're saying. We're going to get that updated bracket and everything. But, man, what a great start to day 2. That was an awesome first series, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was super, super hypey to see just how the way Game 2 panned out. Watching the Valkyrie Mist being swung in, getting back those cores, really forcing out those blocks. A very smart play from Wesley. So I'm excited to see what else we have in store for today.
Yep, that's right. So we're just getting started here. Round 1 down out of 5 until we crown a champion here at the Battle Spirit Saga Grand Open. We'll be back in just a few minutes for the next round. Don't go anywhere. Battle Spirit Saga Grand Open. Doe here along with Hoang, and we saw a really, really fun first game of the day between Wesley Dong and Spencer Freeman. White aggro taking on Purple Control. Purple Control did take it, but it did go to game 3. It was a very tight series. Spencer Freeman moves on, and now we move into the next round. The round of 8 is about to begin, and we've got a really interesting matchup to bring you. It's going to be really, really fun. It's going to be Yellow Fabled Beasts versus White Control. So Ryan Mattis down at the third match there, taking on Kevin Castillo. And it's going to be a good one because we've had a look at these lists. It is open deck list, and Kevin Castillo's Yellow Fabled Beast list is very interesting.
Yeah, I definitely do agree that looking at their list, Kevin Castillo's Yellow Fabled list is not like anything I've actually seen in the other list because it runs a really powerful card in the form of the Pegasus from the starter deck, actually.
Yeah.
Calamity Beast Pegasus, I believe.
Calamity Beast
Yeah,
Pegasoros.
Pegasoros.
We can never just have the regular name.
True.
It always has to be changed
It's a pretty cool
in
name,
some way. Yeah. Pegasion, Pegasoros.
Yeah, but if you
Yeah.
don't know what it does,
Elk.
its ability is it gives you 2,000 BP to your 2-cost spirits. And that's specify Fable. Or is it just 2 cost? I believe it's just 2 cost.
I think it's just so let's take a look at it again because this is one we have not seen all weekend long.
Yeah,
so,
just your 2-cost spirits.
That's right. Your 2-cost spirits gain 2,000 BP during your attack step, and then it's level 3. Lets you select 2 of your spirits that cost 2 and refresh them. The thing is he's only got 3 2-cost spirits in the main deck. He's got a couple Flamefish, believe it or not, in the sideboard. But, not a ton of 2-cost synergy, which is something that you kind of see more often with Fabled Beasts. But there is a ton of removal in this deck. So this does seem like kind of the slowest, most mid-rangey version of Yellow we've seen yet this week. And so it'll be interesting to see how it matches up into White Control. He did beat Purple Aggro to get here. And honestly, like, no shade towards Daniel Almada, who made it all the way to the top 16 with Purple Aggro, obviously piloting that deck extremely well. But I do kind of feel like that's the weakest of the aggro lists in the game right now. And so Yellow Fabled Beasts, especially a higher mid-range version of it like this, is kind of tailor-made, matchup-wise to sort of do well against that. So Kevin Castillo moves on, but how will he do against White Control? What do you think?
I think that's really a big question, is that with White Control, normally you do have some really fantastic tools versus majority of the other aggro decks. Once you establish that Elk Enterprise, you're usually pretty comfortable where you are at, but White doesn't have armor against Yellow for most of its cards. It does have, like, I believe 1 or 2 cards that do have armor Yellow, but they're not actually popular choices. So looking at Ryan Matas' list, there is no armor Yellow, so that might make this matchup a little bit trickier. So no immunity to Angelic Suppression, no Exhaust Nexus immunity. So this might be actually a bit more difficult because now you can actually swing over those big blockers.
Yeah, I'm curious. We've got such interesting matchups, actually. I love the way that just sort of seeding is lined out in this this top 16 because it's given us a lot of really interesting games. It's one of those things where we're just kind of have to, wait and see what happens here as we get ready to take a look at our players. There's Ryan Matas on the left. Ryan, of course, playing that White Control list.
Well, I think what's really interesting is that he's actually playing 2 copies of Regain. This is a card that you normally only see in White Aggro, but he's playing it in his control deck, and I actually really, really like this. Throughout the course of this entire weekend, we've seen just how powerful that card can be. So I would not be surprised to see that become a standard adaptation for the ongoing White list in future events.
Yep, pretty much. Meanwhile, on the other side, we do have Kevin Castillo there on your screen right now, playing that yellow mid-range list. And people were calling it aggro towards the start of the week, and it seemed like there were a lot of cards that kind of indicated that people were playing it in more of an aggro style. But as the weekend went on, the yellow decks that kind of separated themselves from the rest of the Fabled Beast pack were the ones that tended to trend towards the mid-range, it feels like. And so here we have, Kevin Castillo piloting one of those things, probably the most interesting version of it we've seen yet, and very curious to see how it's going to match up.
Yeah, and with Kevin Castillo's list, I touched on it a little bit with the Pegasus, but the plus 2,000 BP does mean you escape the Burning Force threshold, which has been the bane of all of these yellow players' existence throughout the course of this weekend. But not only that, but he plays all 4 colors in his deck. He runs Dream Bomb, Angelic Suppression, and Burning Force as his forms of removal in his main, and then he runs Core Theft in the side.
Yep, that's right. Players getting ready now. Time to shuffle, time to decide who goes first. Time to get these games going, and it is single elimination again. We're into the top 8 here at the Battle Spirit Saga Grand Open. Ryan Matas, Elk Fever, Kevin Castillo, Beast Mode.
So
let's see who takes it.
I have to ask, if you had to make a prediction, analytical prediction, who do you think takes this matchup?
Being kind of new to Battle Spirit Saga and the game being kind of new itself, I always feel like I should kind of default towards, just generic TCG knowledge, which usually states that the control matchup is going to be a bit favored into a mid-range deck. That said, there's a lot of elements in this game in particular that kind of throw that old sort of philosophy out the window a little bit. Things like removal, things like core manipulation, things like the fact that your spirits can be wildly different power levels depending on your core management. So I'm very curious here.
So Ryan stated that what makes his deck unique is that he has more tempo options in the standard white control list, which allows him to steal games and have a better mid to early game against aggro.
Yeah.
And I definitely think you can see that reflected in his deck choices with cards like that Regain. He also runs Blizzard, I believe is what it's called, which allows you to bounce back Nexuses. So really strong stuff and very interesting.
I mean, the other thing to kind of think about too with that is that he's also got things like Curiosity in there as well. So more kind of mid-rangey options like you're talking about. So it might serve him well against his yellow deck. We'll see.
Yeah, and then Kevin, what he said makes his deck unique is that he plays the Pegasaurus, which I do definitely
that
agree.
does make him unique.
Yeah, I think is he the only player playing Pegasaurus in Yellow Fable?
It's I'm not willing to say he's the only one, but it's the only one we have seen so far this weekend at least.
Right.
Yeah.
And I definitely do think that, like I said, going forward, I definitely will be playing Pegasaurus in my own personal Yellow Fable list, just because I am a really big fan of its level 1 and level 3 abilities.
It really leans into the 2 costs. I'll give it a shot. Yeah.
All right, so players are getting ready. It looks like we're going to start going into the mulligan phase. If you are these players, do you prefer to have a better quality of hand, and so like with a more aggressive mulligan, or do you just choose maybe a less quality hand, but you keep the 5th card?
I think when you're running into a matchup like this where you know it's going to get longer or go a little bit longer, you're like, all right, do I have a hand that helps me establish a little bit of a stable board early? Ooh, dice off the table there.
That's a 7.
It's a 1. You know, that's a penalty for rolling it off the table.
That's an 8. Okay, so Ryan is going to decide whether or not he wants to go first or second.
Yeah, so going back to what you're saying, I mean, I think in this particular case, maybe you want to find a Nexus on turn 1. Just establish that. If you have, I was talking to some of the players before the day started, and a lot of them were saying, on the topic of going first versus second, a lot of it comes down to, do you have a Nexus?
Yeah.
And do you want to establish that Nexus on turn 1? You know, if you do, then a lot of times you can go first, get that out there. You don't get an attack step if you're the first turn player anyway, so it's a perfect time to play that Nexus and get ready for everything else. So a couple players, the ones I were talking to, saying that that's actually a big factor in them deciding if they want to go first or second.
And so we do see that Kevin is playing 8 of his Nexuses actually in his list. He's playing 4 of the Cathedral, 4 of the Phantasmal Paradise, and both players have elected to actually go ahead and mulligan, so looking for a much higher quality of hand.
Yeah, and all right, it's one of those things that thumbs up to each other where it's like, all right, we're both going 1 card down here, but if you are playing that slower game, you want to have that sequence, right? So Snowflake in the first play for Ryan Mattis here.
All right, and then Snowflake, it's a very great card against red because you have anti-confront. It's a great card versus purple because you have anti-curse. But where's your anti-yellow?
Yeah, I mean, it's just kind of hanging out. You're just a 2,000 BP lizard robot, armored dragon against the penguin with a top hat and a bow tie.
And the horn. Can't forget the horn. Can't forget the horn.
And the T set. Battle Spirit Saga.
But yeah, so 10-10 on turn 1, he's going to go ahead and level it to level 3, so it's at 4,000 BP at the current moment. And that
huge penguin.
Yeah, huge penguin. And that's going to be the play for Kevin Castillo, so now Ryan is on the play. With 4 core available, you could always level up the Snowflake into level 2, gain 6,000 BP, but I don't think you really need to do that. Maybe if you want to play against Angelic Suppression, that's a viable line of play.
Maybe. You want to probably establish another spirit here, too. Ryan thinking about dropping something on the board. We'll see what it is. It is Heavy Tank Curiosity. And that's the one where it's going to make it so that when your mecha spirits, rather, would be destroyed by your opponent's destruction effects, they remain on the field exhausted instead. So that doesn't help the Snowflaken. But if there are any other mecha spirits lurking around, which we know there are some, right? We've got Mech Lord, Derm Dyna. We've got the elephant, right? So there's definitely a few cases where this card could come in handy.
So Snowflaken obviously looks like a mechanical lizard, but you're saying he's not a mech. So
He's
what is he?
He's a dragon. What is it exactly? It's a dragon something. Armored dragon. That's what it is. Armored dragon. I had to look up the card. Yeah, not a mecha.
Yeah, so he has gone, he played the freestyle, swinging in the Penton for 4,000. This is much bigger than anything. Actually, I take it back. It is actually tying with Curiosity, but he decided to take the damage, go to 4 life. Totally valid line of play. You want that additional core. Will he decide to swing the freestyle? That's the big question. I don't think you do, though.
Doesn't look like it.
Yeah.
Burst loaded in for Ryan as it's already over on his side, and here comes the bounce. Freestall getting sent back to hand.
Yeah, Valkyrie missed a really, really powerful card. This is something that's come up throughout, especially last game where we saw bouncing back a lot of those blockers. And yeah, Valkyrie Mist is going to go ahead, swing for 1,000 BP. It's not a lot, but there's no blockers on Kevin's side, so the BP really doesn't matter here unless you get hit with an Exhaust Nexus, an Angelic Suppression, something along those lines.
But it's like, at this point in the game, yeah, you're just going to take the damage, right? Because, sure, the temptation is out there to use a removal on it, but it's like, do you really want to use a removal on a Valkyrie Mist? Like, is that worth it? Is that worth a card to trade for that? Versus letting it sit out there. It's not going to do much past this turn, probably, and just taking that 1 life point of damage and ramping a little bit. Remember, in this game, you do get to move that resource from your life to your reserve. So as you take damage, like we just saw him do from Heavy Tank Curiosity, you are getting more resources to play next turn. So down in life is Kevin Castillo now, but in a slower matchup, that might not be a huge concern. We'll see.
For a control deck, Ryan's he swung out on 3 spirits here.
I mean, it's like he was saying, right, when he gave us a little bit of info before the match that he wants to be a little bit more mid-range. He wants to be a little bit more of the player taking the tempo here in this matchup.
Yeah, so
he's showing it.
Really excellent play. Maybe there might be a little bit of a regain shenanigan because you could pay one of the cores from the Snowflaking, but yeah, there's the Exhaust Spirit. This is only doable because of all the additional spirits obtained from taking damage, and yeah, that will get rid of the Snowflaking. That'll get rid of the Valkyrie Mist. So yeah, fantastic response from Kevin Castillo.
Yeah, that's right. So using the flash effect, reducing the BP of all your opponent's spirits by 3,000. So yeah, again, if a spirit reaches 0 BP, it does get eliminated, does get destroyed.
So no regain shenanigans coming out from Ryan. It's going to be Kevin on the play. And I guess the question is, do you establish spirits? The answer is yes. There's the freestyle that was just bounced back by the Valkyrie Mist. Penton is only at level 2, so it is at 3,000 BP, but we're going to go ahead and set up that Phantasmal Paradise. And here he has 2 yellows on board, so it will only cost 2 to set up. And he's going to go ahead and play the Aravada?
Yeah, Aravada.
Yeah, but yep, and then he's going to draw an additional card because of Phantasmal Paradise's effect. And this is a pretty great setup coming from Kevin, and this was all stemming from taking 2 damage and activating that Exhaust Nexus.
Yeah, exactly. Wanting to use those resources to just get a bigger play next turn. It seems like a trade that's paid off so far for Kevin Castillo. Again, playing that Aravada, playing the Fabled Beast, gained him a card, and that Fabled Beast already does have an extra 1,000 BP during the attack step, too.
So I think going into Game 2, regardless of the outcome of the Game 1, I think Ryan's going to be a lot more cautious about walking into the Exhaust Nexus, recognizing how much it's actually going to cost and trying to just play around that. So interesting to see the adaptations that are made, but Ryan going to go ahead and play Elk in Game 1. Elk, very, very powerful card, and he does have a burst set. Could be the Ice Shield that sets up this Elk Shield combo.
Divine Moonsky Beast Fanatec Elk is on the board. And again, no armor yellow, but you've got that end of opponent's turn effect, which he doesn't have online yet. But if he hits level 3, if you did not lose life this turn, place 1 core from your opponent's life into their trash. So you do actually drain your opponent if you don't take damage on their turn once you hit that level 3. So something to think about. Something for Ryan Mattis to think about as well, too. It still is. It's it's not his main step actually.
No, it's Kevin's turn currently.
Past turn, right? Exactly. So yeah, just kind of holding those cores in reserve for now.
Second Phantasmal Paradise, so we're gonna draw a little bit extra from the deck. I think the really important thing to note is that yes, Moon Sky Beast Fanatec Elk is only a level 1, so no burn effect. But also he doesn't have enough to actually pay for the Absolute Ice Shield.
Yep. And there is the God Beast Behemoth, the big boss from yellow, swinging in right now. And there's a first tap on the Phantasmal Paradise. Going to exhaust both of those to draw a couple cards, of course.
So I have to ask, for people that didn't watch the broadcast yesterday, remind me again, what is Behemoth's role in the lore?
He is the head of the Interregional Sports Competition Committee, as you can see on his lore there. And so he's only fighting because he wants to get back to sports. Just a sports enthusiast. Not interested in politics or war. He just wants to, he's like us. He's all about the competition. He's all about the games,
Yeah, so Behemoth is going to go ahead and swing on in. It is for 6,000 BP, which is bigger than currently anything on Ryan's board. Elk is unfortunately only at 4,000 BP. You could choose to swing out the rest of your board here, but Elk is currently bigger than everything else.
Yeah. So Elk does have, when the spirit blocks, it can't be destroyed by your opponent's destruction effects or as a result of battle. And it can't have its cores reduced either. So I guess he could block with the Elk, and the Elk would still live because it can't be destroyed as a result of the battle. But when God Beast Behemoth attacks, it does make the 2-cost spirits on the yellow side be unblockable, I believe.
But only on level 2 and 3.
Only at level 2. Oh, you're right. Yeah, okay. That's right. He does have to gain a little bit more cores on the God Beast, so a little bit early for that. But, you know, at least an attack to think about for Ryan.
Oh, Penton is going to go on in. This is only for 3,000 BP because it is only level 2. So Fanatec Elk could block this out, or you could choose to just take it, which I think, yep, there's the decision.
Yeah.
So getting it, he might, I think what's happening is he's trying to push for the additional cores, maybe set up for his Nomen Guard potentially.
I mean, part of it, too, is he really wants to get level 2 and 3 for Fanatec Elk online, right? He wants to start that drain, you know, take a little bit of damage now, get a little bit more resources, then just set up that wall and just passively drain your opponent's life. The thing is Kevin Castillo is only at 2 right now. So all that means is that Ryan Mattis just has to survive 2 turns without taking damage, and he wins the game just like that.
Yeah, and then there is the Curiosity going to go ahead and block out the Freestall. Is Curiosity bigger than Freestall at the current moment? Because Freestall should only be at 1,000 BP?
I believe so. I'll have to bring it up again. I don't have the BP memorized off the top of my head.
Curiosity is 2,000 right now?
Actually, yeah. Yep.
Okay, so yeah, there goes the Freestall. Curiosity is going to go ahead and stay on the board. And he could decide to swing the Aravada. That is a possibility here, but I don't think you go for it. I think you'd rather just hold it for a blocker.
Probably. We'll see.
Yeah, very interested to see where Ryan taking that 2 damage ends up going with. I think what maybe it could be is that he's trying to set up a level 2 Elk and simultaneously have enough cores to actually Ice Shield on both the upcoming turn and the turn after that. So then that would force game.
Yeah, Kevin Castillo reading the Elk there, and there's a lot of text on some of these cards here too. See, even some of the players, you know, at this level in the tournament, still needing to double check the text makes me feel a little bit better about having to bring it up myself once in a while too. Yeah.
Well, yeah, this is such a, you know, a new game. Everyone's still trying to, like, really get comfortable with it.
Yeah.
And this event is very unique in the fact that it's an isolated event because after this weekend, the store promos are now officially legal.
Right.
Where Fable Beast, you know, this amazing deck is going to get some new support in the form of the dual-headed eagle, more blessed. And then Pterosaurs also get some more support. And yeah, it might shake up the way the rest of the meta pans out.
I would think it probably will, right? Deciding to attack with the Aravada, I don't think there's much of a reason to right now. It can't just be blocked by the Elk with no downside.
Well, I guess the downside would be if you block with the Elk, then you can summon a new spirit from your trash, so likely Freestall. And then you can swing the Freestall and put Ryan at 1. So maybe if you're valuing that, but
that's a good point.
And so being at 2 life currently for Kevin, he would have to pay, let's see, Freestall costs 1 minimum.
I mean, there was a burst card in there, too, so I don't think Kevin wanted to walk into that. He's going to pass the turn over to Ryan. Probably the wise move there.
Yeah.
So, there it is.
Yeah, Dern Dyna.
Yep.
And this, because there are 2 Nexuses on the side of Kevin Castillo, he should be able to select 2 white spirits.
Yeah, that's right. That's the first ability. If you pay the Soul Core on Derm Dyna, then you get to select one of your white spirits for each Nexus that either player controls. The selected spirits can't be blocked during this turn. So that does potentially make 2 spirits unblockable. And yeah, when he attacks, you can see him removing the Soul Core right there, picking each Nexus, and that might be it, depending on the burst card.
Yeah, so this could possibly be an absolute Ice Shield, but this also could simultaneously be that Exhaust Nexus that we did see a little bit earlier. So really, it depends, like, you have to force it out one way or another, right?
Yeah.
If it is the absolute Ice Shield, Kevin could play a little bit more defensively here, but if you're in Ryan's position, do you just call the bluff and just go?
Yeah, I think you have to try. You have to test it. I think you do have to test to see what your opponent's got. He's going for it at least. And I mean, when you attack with Derm Dyna, you don't need to commit to the rest of it, right? You can attack, see what happens, and then still leave those other 2 spirits up as blockers.
Right.
Yeah.
And so I think what's interesting here is if you look at the current core state, there's not enough cores to actually use the absolute Ice Shield to pass the turn while maintaining Elk at level 2 and 3.
Yeah, that is true.
So because of that, Elk's going to be have a little bit more difficult time actually proccing his burn. And this is all because he played the Derm Dyna. And so given the situation, you kind of have to. There's the
All
ice
right.
shield. All
Yeah.
right.
Yep, and I think Ryan probably expected this. I think everybody kind of expected this. But, you know, this is the purpose of the attack. The purpose of the attack is to pull out the ice shield and see where things go from here. But
he doesn't use Ice Shield's ability to actually end the turn. He's only going to maintain that one core.
Yeah.
And that's because he doesn't actually have enough to pay for the cost of the turn skip without consuming the rest of his spirits.
Yeah, so that means 2 unblockable spirits coming through from Ryan Mattis. Is there an answer for Kevin Castillo? Now, you can go for the wait, can he even afford Exhaust Nexus? I don't think so right now. If he's got it, he'd have to pull some cores off of some stuff. I'm trying to...
Well, even with the Exhaust Nexus, I don't believe it would be enough because Curiosity should be at 4,000 BP at this current moment.
Yeah.
So
Curiosity with 2 cores. Oh, yeah, I didn't see the second
Oh,
core.
the regain.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
the regain. Okay, yep.
So is Derm Dyna unblockable for the entire turn?
I believe it would be.
If that's the case, then he has no way to actually stop the Derm Dyna from swinging in for the second time. So you would have to take this damage from Curiosity, and then you would have to stop both the Fan Attack Elk as well as the Derm Dyna. But if you can't block the Derm Dyna, then kind of rough.
I mean, you can only pay the Soul Core once from Derm Dyna, right? So you can only activate the ability, you know, unless you have a way to get the Soul Core back on him to pay it again when he attacks. So,
but Derm Dyna is for the entire turn. So if he is selected himself, then it doesn't matter whether or not you pay for the Soul Core. He's still unblockable.
Yeah. That's true. I'm saying you can't make more things unblockable.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So the assumption is that he made both mechas unblockable.
Yes.
Yeah. But it is a Dream Bomb, so that's going to send Derm Dyna back to the hand. And so that is going to prevent the second attack. That is going to keep Kevin Castillo alive then.
Yeah, assuming that Fan Attack Elk is not unblockable.
I think he made Derm Dyna and Curiosity unblockable. That looks like the case here. Without being able to hear the players,
right?
And hear the declaration. That seems to be what we're seeing on the board.
Yeah, and so Kevin Castillo now on the play. You do just have to kind of assume. I imagine that is an absolute ice shield. But luckily for Kevin, not enough for Fan Attack Elk to be at levels 2 or 3.
Yeah.
So no burn coming out just to immediately end the game. But in this position, I mean, if you're Kevin, you do have to force out that ice shield one way or another.
Do you remember the name? I'm testing you here.
For the absolute ice shield?
No, for the card that was just played.
Gem Beast Carbulk.
Oh, you got it. All right.
I got it.
Gem Beast. We're getting good at this. You're present. Gem Beast Carbulk. There we go.
Woo!
Coming down. And, you know, it's just one of those spirits. It's 3,000 BP out of the gate. It's just going to be one of those ones that's annoying for your opponent to deal with. And it's just more of a wall, more of a menagerie for Kevin Castillo to strike with or block with later on.
I think what's really important is that Carbulk actually proc double Phantasmal Paradise.
Yeah.
So he's going to go ahead, draw an additional 2 cards, and those pieces, look how many cores he still has available. So,
tons.
The Pegasus.
Ooh, Pegasaurus. Here he comes.
Pegasaurus
Chaos Beast.
Calamity.
Calamity Beast. Not Calamity Beast. Pegasaurus. So it's Calamity, yeah. Oh, it is Chaos, too.
Calamity Beast Chaos Pegasaurus.
So we were both right.
But what's important here?
No, we're not both wrong, Eggman. We're both right, sitting next to us.
So what's really important here is that the Pegasaurus is now at level 3, so he can actually untap 2 of his 2 of his 2-cost spirits.
Yeah.
But gonna go ahead and swing in the Behemoth. He can use the effect of the Absolute Ice Shield if he takes his 1 damage, but then he would have to give up both the cores from his Curiosity as well as the Elk. Elk's going to go ahead and block out, and I think Behemoth is a base 4,000, I believe?
Yeah, but Elk should live because it can't die due to destruction effects.
It just remains
from
exhausted.
Battle. Yeah, it's exhausted, but it doesn't die, which is decent. Now, Calamity Beast Chaos Pegasaurus only affects 1 spirit on the other side. Yeah, so that's only Pentan. Nothing else costs 2 on the side. I believe Ervata and Carbulk are 3.
Oh, so we're going to go ahead and take that damage, and then there is the Absolute Ice Shield.
Yep.
So go ahead and pass the turn.
Yep, so that means we're still going here. Ryan Mattis, turn back over to him, but that is a scary board on the side of Kevin Castillo. That said, I believe that
they're going. That's it.
That was going to be another unblockable, I think, coming through. Or it was going to be a situation where no damage was taken by Ryan. So did he have... Yeah, he had 3 cores.
No, but the Elk was only...
Elk.
Did he have 3? I thought it was only 1 because he paid 1 for the Absolute Ice Shield.
I think he had 3 cores on the Elk, so I think that was the final damage that came through because he didn't take damage during that turn. And so that means, as you can see on your screen, end of opponent's turn. If you didn't lose life this turn, place 1 core from your opponent's life into their trash. Now, some people out there might be saying, well, Ice Shield puts the core that you were about to lose back into your life. But it's been ruled that that counts as not losing life, even though the core does technically go out and go back. So, yeah, so that does still activate the Fanatec Elk ability, and so I believe that that is what ended up being the game. That said, there was also the possibility of Durham Dyna hitting the board because that was bounced with the Dream Bomb, so we knew it was in the hand. That could have been the case too.
I think scenario number 3 is that even if Elk didn't burn for game there, maybe he had an absolute Ice Shield in his hand. He just showed it and said, "Hey,
could have been, yeah.
I'm gonna live this turn. Elk's gonna burn you. Like, go game 2."
Exactly, yeah. There were a number of different ways that Ryan Mattis was going to be able to win that game, and so that means we're going to game number 2. Ryan Mattis up 1 on his control white deck, and I bet you're happy. That's your favorite
I'm here for the white control, but
yeah.
I'm curious, what adaptations do you make for the sideboard going into this? In the case of Ryan Mattis, he has a pretty interesting sideboard. He is running 1 head made Fulla. He is running he's actually running is that a Beldegor? No, he's running another Durham Dyna. Yeah,
yep.
Beldegor. Okay.
Yep, that's right.
Another Curiosity,
another
Suppression,
Counter
Sword, yeah.
Yeah, 1 main, 1 sideboard for Counter Sword, which is interesting. 3 Greg Armor, which is kind of cool to see. Because the thing is that is armor red and white. Yeah, so it doesn't really help him here. I mean, I guess it helps him against like Dream Bomb and things like that.
Right, which your opponent is playing, so you might opt to actually get that armor white.
I wonder if we'll see him sideboard any of those in there. That's interesting.
I think if I were in Ryan's position, I think what you would possibly consider siding in is that suppression. You're playing against this deck where they're having a lot of, they're much more aggressive than you are, so having the ability to block even with the Suspended Spirit, I feel like could be very crucial.
I want to talk about the sideboard over on the Kevin Castillo side as well, where it's a really interesting one. He's got a couple Firefish in there. He's really splashing a lot of other colors. He's got 2 Core Theft as well, which when you talk about all the draws from the Phantasmal Paradise, you're oftentimes going to find yourself with this deck having a couple extra cards in hand, and that can help pay for that Core Theft.
What I think is really impactful, though, is the Aravada. It doesn't specify what color of spirit you revive from the trash.
True.
It only specifies a 2 cost. So you can go Aravada, block, play Flamefish from trash, and then Flamefish block, and then Flamefish effect will pop a spirit with 4,000 or less PP. So really strong defensive core right there, actually.
I like it. I really do like the sideboard, especially in this Kevin Castillo yellow kind of mid-range Fable deck. The question is it going to be enough to win game 2 and send us to a game 3? Players also kind of have to consider time too, right? These are 60-minute rounds, and you don't want to go. You don't want to go to time either, right?
Right, and then I'm all here for the white control, but I almost kind of want to see Pegasaurus make top 4. Not gonna lie.
Well, I mean, he's the yellow starter deck avatar, so
he is, yeah.
It's kind of I'm sure Bandai would be happy with that too. Like, oh, starter deck stuff's good.
I can't lie, throughout the course of this entire weekend, I mean, we have, these amazing artworks surrounding us, and I see Pegasaurus right in front of us, and I was just like, you're the one I haven't seen all weekend. And here we are.
There you go. We saw a little bit of Andromeda as well, but Pegasaurus, the one that was missing until now.
But yeah, so Kevin's actually elected to go first, which, if you're playing the aggro deck, very understandably, as well as having 8 Nexuses in your deck. So you want to establish that, goes ahead and establishes the Phantasmal Paradise, and Pegasus in a response from Ryan right into the life.
Pegascion. We got Pegascion and Pegasaurus.
Oh, yeah, we do, huh?
Yep.
Okay, and then it's now Kevin's turn. Pretty solid start coming out from Ryan with the Pegascion. It does have the Soul Core invested on it. It is level 2, so it will be able to block while suspended, actually.
Yep, while exhausted, it can block any spirits on the other side that have 2 or fewer cores on them.
But he who drinks tea, Penton, is actually emerging with another Phantasmal Paradise coming on down.
It's a tea party, and Penton has invited the Carbulk.
I know it's Carbulk. I still want to call it a Carbuncle.
I mean, because that's obviously what it is. But it's, we can't just have normal names in Battle
we have
Saga.
We're cooler than that.
That's right. We got to take every normal name and just change it slightly.
All right, but yeah, so really solid turn 2 coming out from Kevin. You've established double Nexus, and you've managed to proc both of them thanks to the card bulk. Because card bulk is a 3 cost, but 2 cost reduction symbols, putting you only for 1 cost. So really efficient core management coming out from Kevin. But yeah, going back into Ryan's turn, we do see the Valkyrie Mist actually coming on out.
All right.
I imagine you bounce the Penton because you don't want to allow him to re-proc the Phantasmal Paradise as easily.
Oh yeah, obviously. I mean, like the Penton is what's going to discount magic as well, so you're keeping yourself a little bit safer from that stuff. So, you know, that versus the vanilla no effect gem beast card bulk. Yeah, you definitely bounce the Penton in this case.
Yeah, and so with only 1 core in the reserve, 1 core I believe from what I can see on the card bulk, your options on what you can play in terms of magic are a little bit limited.
Yeah. So, are we going to see a swing? We are. Okay, so pick a Scion.
Yep, gonna take that. And a Pegason, I believe, is 4,000 BP at level 2.
Yep,
so much bigger than the card bulk at the current moment.
Yeah, card bulk, pretty decent at 3,000 at level 1. But, yeah, not quite enough to handle the Pegasion toe-to-toe or toe-to-hoof, I suppose, in this particular case. We're going to let that damage through, just gain the resource and be happy with it.
Yeah, so pretty solid standpoint if you are from Ryan with the Pegasion on your board. But Kevin, with the double Phantasmal, you could draw into some crazy answer that might just set you up for victory.
Yeah. Waiting to see what the play is going to be from Kevin Castillo right now.
I just realized we haven't seen Hippocampo from game 1 or 2.
Not yet. Kevin Castillo does run 4 of them main board, so they're in there. We didn't see any in game 1.
Which there's the Pegasaurus coming out.
Yeah.
Pegasion, Pegasaurus.
Calamity Beast Chaos Pegasaurus. Yeah, specifically.
You think we're going to get like a third Pegasus?
Maybe. But it won't be Pegasus. It'll be like Legasauce or something. Yeah.
But yeah, so proccing both Phantasmal Paradises. So yeah, Kevin really ahead in terms of deck count. You know, I guess lower technically in terms of deck count. But yeah, Ryan not drawing that many cards just because, you know, white general I don't think has a lot of draw power. Kevin deciding whether or not he plays the Penton, which he does commit to it. Yeah, so pretty solid setup. Understandably you are at 3 life, but those 2 cores that you did gain, not too bad of a position.
Yeah, like Vile Poison Monster Truck Pegastank or something. There we go. There's my official name for the purple Pegasus.
Oh, yeah?
Yep. That's it.
Undead Nightmare
Pegasus.
Pegamare.
Fabled Corrupted Beast.
Ooh, wait, that sounds kind of cool, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be down. Either way, we do have the 2-cost Penton, so that does come under the effects of the Pegasaurus. Doesn't end up being something that seems to be getting used that much. That said, Pegasaurus just on its own is a pretty inexpensive yellow card with some decent BP, but
Valkyrie Mist immediately.
Yeah, Valkyrie Mist number 2 hits the board.
Yeah, Valkyrie Mist is able to bounce back any spirit that costs 7 or less. Pegasaurus, unfortunately, only 6 cost.
A measly 6.
Yeah, so that's going to be really expensive to reestablish onto the board on the following turn. So, yeah, Ryan with the control elements doing pretty well here.
It's important to note, too, that Calamity Beast Chaos Pegasaurus was able to gain the host status for the inter-regional sports competition through a really amazing speech, actually. Apparently, Calamity Beast Chaos Pegasaurus gave a great speech, and because of that, the Realm of Radiance got the sports competition.
I'm going to have to stop you right there. Dream Blizzard just came on out. And,
all right.
This is a card that we don't see very often, but it bounces back all of the Nexuses back to your owner's hands.
Yeah.
So no more Phantasmal Paradise established for Kevin. You'll have to spend a little bit more time getting that back online. But Ryan buying himself some more time.
Always good. Always the thing the control deck wants to do, of course, is just kind of control the board state, you know, hence the name of the deck archetype, and make it to that late game. You know? And we haven't seen some of the really huge heavy hitters for white just yet. We did see the Mech Lord, or a dual gun Mech Lord, but we haven't seen Naumengard yet. We haven't seen like Odin type X yet.
We haven't seen Enterprise all week.
Yeah, I haven't seen Enterprise either. There's stuff out there, but actually, there's no Enterprise in his deck actually.
Oh, there's not actually, but also Burning Force coming on down removes both of the Valkyrie Mists.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Burning Force once again proving itself to be the most impactful card of this entire weekend.
I think so.
Yeah, I definitely would agree with that.
Yep.
And then you have your Flying Turtles coming on now, and do you think it hits?
Do I think Flying Turtle hits?
It didn't hit, actually.
No, it did not.
No.
I don't think we've seen it hit a single time. Maybe once?
Twice yesterday.
Was it twice? Okay,
it was twice yesterday. It was a long day. 13 hours.
Yep, but basically you flip over the top card of your deck when you play it. If it's a beast, you put it in your hand. If not, it goes in the trash. Yep. This card says discard it. Other
Yeah.
cards say put in trash, but it means the same thing.
He does his best. You know, that's what's important.
Yep, that's right.
But all of these cards are currently they can be swung at by the Pegasus, but Pegasion. Wait, no, actually that's a lie. Pegasion is only at level 1. There's only 1 Soul Core on him. So actually, he's only a 2,000 BP, meaning that both the card bulk as well as Penton can actually swing over.
Yeah, why not? Gonna go for it. And this does present a little bit of a scary situation for Ryan Mattis. What does he have in his hand to respond to this board?
With only 4 cards currently, and you only have 1 white card actually on your board, so your cost reduction's a little bit scuffed, if you will. But he is being given 2 additional cores from Kevin's pressuring his life a little bit.
Yeah.
So yeah, going forward, I'm curious to see if we're going to see something along the lines of the Newman Guard coming down. Maybe he sets an absolute ice shield in his burst. A lot of that could happen. Nope, there's Valkyrie Mist. There's a third.
All right, yeah, third Valkyrie Mist. 8 cores in the reserve, notably. That is going to be a bounce on the Flying Turtle for Kevin Castillo as Valkyrie Mist hits the board.
Yeah, and so my question is, so he's decided to actually bounce back the blocker. So I think he can actually push for game here. What you could possibly do, just because you don't see any burst set on Kevin Castillo's side, you could go Valkyrie Mist, swing the Pegasion, and then regain on the flash tap.
Yeah, very true.
So, yep. So
the attack.
Yep, there it is. Does Kevin Castillo opt to take this second damage?
2 in the reserve, plus a couple of cores on the spirits. There's a Dream Bomb. Okay, yeah.
But Pegasion is immune to red, purple.
Red, purple, right? So it can be bounce a Dream Bomb, yeah.
Right.
Which is, I think, exactly what we're seeing here.
There it is.
Yeah, and so with that, no option really for a regain finisher there from Ryan Mattis. Now Kevin Castillo back over to him.
What's really interesting is that Dream Bomb is actually, I think, has seen more play than Burning Force in this top 16 so far.
Yeah, I mean, in the 2 matches we've seen, I'm sure across the rest of the games, there's probably more Burning Force. But on the stream anyway, yeah, Dream Bomb's been the MVP. But that's mostly because we saw, Wesley Donk play 3 of them in like 1 turn. So, yeah.
Okay. And so, Kevin on the play, he does have 2 bodies established at the current moment.
Look at that. Flips a Burning Force with the Flying Turtle number 2.
It's just never going to hit, is it?
It's not going to hit. It's very rare, I guess, yeah.
Maybe the play is we just cut the Flying Turtle, finds a vanilla 2-drop, just put that in instead.
I don't know. Maybe.
No, you definitely keep the Turtle.
I mean, but there's not a ton of Fabled Beasts in the deck to the extent that I think you hit it consistently. I guess you're looking for Hippocampos, you're looking for Card Bulks, you're looking for God Beasts.
I think with Turtle, it's either a +1 or it's no sweat off your back, because it's not like you were going to get that card on that turn likely anyway, right?
True.
So at the end of the day, it's probably just either a break even, I guess, since you're putting a card on your board, or you're just oh well, I lost my Burning Force, and you move on with your life.
Yeah. Well, checking through his trash here, got a lot in the reserve. 7 available plus the Soul Core.
Yeah, that's quite a bit. And we do know that Pegasaurus was actually bounced back to Kevin's hands, so he does have that available to him. The Calamity Beast Chaos Pegasaurus. Pegasaurus? Pegasaurus.
Right. Wasn't it like the finance guy or something? I don't even know.
The Pegasus?
Somebody knows out there.
Well,
Finance Pegasus. Anyway, Ryan Mattis thinking hard. Both these players.
I mean, so if you're in this position, do you think, as Kevin, do you want to, press this a little bit faster? Do you want to play a little bit slower? Because there are only 3 cores left in Ryan's life. And hits a behemoth.
Ooh, okay. All right, can he play it this turn, though,
yes,
cost-wise?
Oh, Pegasus.
Well, okay, so he goes for the Pegasaurus. Now, I don't know if there's enough 2 costs in the trash to discount the God Beast Behemoth enough to play it this turn. Decides to hold on to it, though, although that is revealed. Ryan knows about it now, at least. But Calamity Beast, Pegasaurus comes in, and Flying Turtle is one of the cards that's affected by this, right?
Yes.
So all your 2 costs get plus 2,000 BP, so that does make it a bit bigger. That does mean game. Yeah, that does mean an unbeatable board for Kevin here, and so we are going to be all tied up here. As Ryan took game number 1, Kevin taking game number 2. We're going to game 3 again.
Yeah, and this is all because of the Pegasaurus giving you that additional 2 attacks. Those Flying Turtles really coming in handy because, it is being 2 costs, and because of the Pegasaurus effect, plus 2,000 BP, they are swinging for 3,000 BP each.
Yep.
So I don't know if you saw, but in Ryan's hand, he actually did have the regain. So using the regain, he would have been able to restand his Valkyrie Mist, but Valkyrie Mist is only at 1,000 BP, so it would not have been enough to stop the Turtles' onslaught.
And we're going to game 3 for the second time today. And,
Yeah.
you know, where we had so many 2-0s yesterday across Swiss, now we're getting all of our game 3s, which is pretty cool. Because if they're going to happen anywhere, this is where they should happen, right? This is a top 16. This is a single elimination playoff bracket. This is where things get serious. So, yeah, I'm glad we're getting some game 3s here.
Yeah, so, going into these game 3 adaptations, I would imagine White would still wants to go first, deny yellow from getting the first Nexus, denying them from getting the first Spirit onto the board. But what do you sideboard in? That's the big question.
Yeah, I mean, I think the other question, too, is what was sideboarded in that didn't end up working, do you think? In that last one. We didn't see a ton of the sideboard for either side. We saw a couple of the Burning Force.
So I would definitely say that is that Dream Bomb? That's a Dream Bomb.
Yeah, there is one Dream Bomb, yeah, which goes up to 3.
Right.
For Kevin Castillo. He does run 3 Burning Force main board and 1 sideboard. Hard to say if he did sideboard the 4th one in or not.
I would definitely say, though, that coming from Ryan's side, I think you might actually want to side in the Beldegor. Being able to destroy your opponent's exhausted spirits, keeping a little bit more of that board control while also maintaining a blocker, I think could be very valuable.
I think it's a good point.
Yeah, but Ryan, like we said, taking the initiative on the first play, and we are going to go see that Bullet Ray at 5,000 BP currently, so pretty beefy blocker.
Yeah, just 2 cores to get that bullet rate of 5,000 BP early on, and yes, that's a thing where Kevin Castillo can play another Spirit of his own, but probably not going to have the battle power to go toe to toe with it. Or
I could see Kevin going for a Nexus at this current point in the game.
Yeah.
Do you think it's a Phantasmal or do you think it's a Cathedral? If you had to take a guess, what's the first one?
I mean, Phantasmal tends to be what he's been prioritizing. That said, I don't know if that's going to be the play this turn or not. You might
it's a Spirit. There's Pentan. Okay.
Pentan is always such a good first Spirit to establish on the board. Again, you reduce the cost of Magic, and when you're running a lot of Magic from different colors, that becomes especially important, right? Because he discounts the first Magic card you play from any color. It's not yellow specific or anything like that. So this is actually a really important first play to just sort of set the board in a way that Kevin Castillo has more options.
So I believe he actually now does have enough to play the Angelic Suppression as well if he chooses to, but there's going to be double Bullet Ray coming on down. Yeah, double 5,000 spirits, so either you can swing out or you block, but it looks like he's going to go ahead and pass turn back to Kevin Castillo.
Yep. So the draw comes through here, another core hits the reserve, and what is going to be the play from Kevin? Those Bullet Rays are a bit of a problem at 5,000 BP apiece. Flying Turtle, just trying to sift through his deck a bit more, establish some things. Signs of Pentan. It's not a Fabled Beast. That is a Lyric Bird / Wanderfey, in case you're curious.
Why do you know that?
I don't know why I know that, but I do know that. And either way, it's not a Fabled Beast. That's the important thing.
Yeah.
I just love Pentan. What can I say?
And so we're going to go ahead and back onto Ryan Modis' turn. Playing the Flying Turtle, I mean, that's fine and dandy and everything, but it feels like kind of a weak tempo turn, don't you think?
It's probably not the play you'd ideally want. He hasn't lost any life yet, so it's not like you're really sweating at this point. You're just kind of establishing that board. You're waiting until you get the opportunity where you can play maybe the God Beast Behemoth. So it's not really on him to be aggressive right now. It's not really on either player to be aggressive. It's more just to kind of like have both players rather play their game, go for the boards they want to go for, and really only respond to their opponents when they need to at this point.
Right.
Yeah.
So both players taking relatively slowly in this game number 3. You don't want to avoid making mistakes as much as possible. And then I believe that is Curiosity actually coming on out.
Heavy Tank Curiosity on the board now, along with the Bullet Rays. And the Bullet Rays, they may look organic, but they do have machine components as well, so they can fly through the air. That's in the lore. Go look at it. I'm not making it up. But the big thing with Heavy Tank Curiosity is during either attack step, when your Mecha Spirits would be destroyed by your opponent's destruction effects, they remain on the field exhausted instead. So it protects you against like Burning Force and things like that, but it only protects the Mecha Spirits. So the Bullet Rays are not safe, but it is a nice ability to have.
It's currently Kevin's turn. He did set a burst. This is either Exhaust Nexus. It could be your Absolute Ice Shield as well. It could be a Dream Bomb even. So there's actually quite a bit. And Ryan, I believe, he is aware of all 3 of these possibilities. So really, this could be potentially be a bluff.
I mean, they're open deck lists, yeah. So everyone should theoretically be aware of everyone's possibilities going into this one.
He should also know that Kevin sides in the Starblast draw as well in his sideboard.
Yeah.
So that's a 4th possibility in terms of burst.
It's a really good point, actually. That it is harder to predict the burst on Kevin's side. because there are more options than you would see in the average deck.
Right.
Yeah.
And with Ryan, he has the Absolute Ice Shield. He has his own Dream Bombs as well as having a
Valkyrie
counter
missed.
sword. Yeah. Okay, there goes Penton.
Yep. Penton back to hand.
Is there a Star Blast draw? Are we going to draw 2? Doesn't look like it. So, okay, so you can safely assess that it's probably not Star Blast draw.
I think it's time to do some damage.
Yeah,
I think if you're Ryan
agree.
Mattis, yeah, you start to do some attacking here.
Well, you do have those 5,000 BP bullet rays if you want to go about that. You also do have this 1,000 BP Valkyrie Mist. This does tie with the Flying Turtle.
Yep. Just checking that ability. He's going to find that it protects from destruction effects. So again, that the Burning Force not going to be able to affect that one. And it's important to note Valkyrie Mist is an android, not a mecha. So she still would be affected by this Burning Force. So we can use this to take out that.
Gets rid of the Curiosity as well, being only at 2,000 BP.
Okay, yeah. When your mecha would be destroyed by your opponent's destruction effects, they remain on the field exhausted instead.
Oh, level 2.
Oh, it's a level 2, so all right, yep. They got me with the level thing again. So because it was a level 1 heavy tank Curiosity, it does get affected by that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so at this current board state, again, Burning Force, a fantastic card throughout the course of this weekend, and I'm really curious to see if Ryan decides to continue his aggressive approach, which, yeah, he does, so Bullet Raid's going to go right on in. Probably don't say block this, because Flying Turtle obviously only a 1,000 BP. But now it is Kevin's turn, and Kevin does have the God Beast Behemoth we know confirmed in his hand.
Yep. That's right. So I think the one more attack from Ryan and then leaving that last bullet raise, the wise play there. You pulled some cards out of your opponent's hand. You got some damage done. So you're going to be happy with that because, yeah, it is 4 life now for Kevin Castillo.
Yeah, and so Penton is going to make his reappearance, followed up by a Phantasmal Paradise. So there's the first Nexus of Game 3. Phantasmal proving to be very, very powerful. And Aravada.
Aravada.
Yeah, so that is a Fabled Beast. So Fabled Phantasmal Paradise will proc and draw an additional card. Really strong setup coming out from Kevin's side of the board right now.
Yeah, I mean, especially when you think about that God Beast Behemoth being in hand, like we were talking about earlier, revealing that with one of the earlier Flying Turtles.
So the question is, does he have any 2-drops in his trash at the current moment to revive with the Aravada?
I don't believe. Well, there's a Pentan.
There's a single one.
Is it Fabled's Beast or is it just 2 drops?
It's 2 drops.
So the Pentan that's in there that was revealed by one of the Flying Turtles would count.
That's the synergy right there. Feeling it up,
Tossing the penguins in the trash. That's the synergy. That's the play to get the God Beast Behemoth out.
Yeah, so currently Ryan is on the play. It looks like he's about to drop an Elk. Oh, no, that's actually, I believe it's Fortress, Mach 2 Fortress, something along those lines.
Oh, it's Odin type
Odin,
X, I believe, is the...
It's some very complicated robotic name.
I mean, it's obviously Fortress God Knight Odin type X.
Okay, well, I had the Fortress, you had the Odin type X.
Yeah, we got there. Between the two of us, we can remember the names of these cards. Yeah, all 6 of them. That is a 6-name card, exceeding even the impressive 5-name cards. He's going to put 3 cores on it, which is going to activate both the effects here. So when the spirit attacks or blocks, you can select an opponent's spirit that costs 3 or fewer and return it to the hand. So that is the first order of business for Fortress God Knight Odin type X.
And then the second one is during your opponent's attack step. If you control a white Nexus, this spirit would refresh. But unfortunately, no white Nexus, so we aren't going to get that refresh. But the bounce is pretty significant.
Yeah, he sends the Aravada back to the hand of Kevin Castillo.
And which will not proc the Wind Destroyed effect, so keeping that cleanly off the board. So yeah, pretty solid turn from Ryan.
Looks like Kevin Castillo is deciding if he will block or not here. And he will not. He will take that 1 life in damage.
Okay. And so, I mean, both of these bullet rays are unfortunately only at 2,000 BP. Penton is at 3,000, so he actually will be able to trounce over the bullet ray, but then you leave yourself open to the second bullet ray. So I think there is a world where maybe you just take this last damage and then go guarantee yourself an additional core. Because if you decide to block this first one, he can decide not to swing the second bullet ray, and then you're down 1 core. But Burning Force.
I gotta say, Burning Force does come out to help out with this, but I do have to say I like this deck from Ryan Mattis. I like the fact that it is a little bit more aggressive, that it is a little bit more into the mid-range where it can kind of present some threats all game long.
Right.
You're not just sitting there behind your wall waiting for the big late game stuff to come up. You're active. You're interacting with your opponent. I like this version of the deck.
Yeah, and so Burning Force really proving its worth right now from Kevin and being able to remove. And there's the first Hippocampo of the top 16.
Hippocampo coming in with the Blessed ability, too, if he goes in and attacks with that. Unless Ryan Mattis has an answer from hand, that could be a life regained by Kevin Castillo.
No blocker currently on the side of Ryan, and no...
Oh, no.
Oh, that's another Hippocampo.
So this could theoretically, depending on, again, what Ryan has in hand, be a full heal for Kevin if he gets through with both of those.
That would actually be pretty detrimental.
Be huge.
Yeah, and Hippocampo now at 4,000 BP. I think a really big thing is that if you currently look at the board state, he could use the Absolute Ice Shield to pass the turn on the first swing, but still going to guarantee that Hippocampo's going to get the one heal off.
Yeah.
You could Dream Bomb in this situation if you really wanted to, but that doesn't stop the second Hippocampo. So
that's what I was kind of thinking too, is that, you know, maybe there's a Dream Bomb option.
But Dream Bomb is 5 cost base with you can reduce it by 1 to make it a 4. But again, that only stops one of the Hippocampos. That wouldn't stop the second.
The other thing to think about, too, is at the beginning of the attack step for Kevin Castillo, the Fortress God Knight Odin type X is going to refresh.
But there's no white Nexus.
Oh, you're right. There isn't.
Yeah.
All right.
So it's actually...
it won't.
Yeah. So, this is a pretty strong turn coming out from Kevin.
Yeah.
So it's just a matter... Yep. So the first Hippo is going to go ahead and swing. I think I arguably would have swung with the Hippo that's level 2 instead first, just to have those cores swing for keep on board for 4. I don't think it really matters in the grand scheme of things, but yeah, going to go ahead. He's going to heal a 4. Does he heal a 5? That's the big question.
Blessed is so strong. I mean, it's such a rare mechanic in the game right now. One of the store promos, a Dual Eagle, has it as well.
There's the Dream Bomb.
Yeah, there's a Dream Bomb for the second one. Using it on the one that has more cores, but just to go back to that Blessed mechanic, you get to take a core from the Void and put it into your life. So you don't even, like, you know, lose the one you got into your reserve from your life previously. You're just net up a core and up a life.
And so he's actually decided to swing in that Penton. 4,000 BP, you might as well. There's nothing stopping you. You know there's no cores whatsoever from Ryan to actually interact with his swing. So yeah, this is a very safe swing, and you're sitting at 4 life because of that Blessed proc.
Yeah, and this kind of makes me think we're looking at a Absolute Ice Shield in the burst zone for Kevin Castillo here, leaving himself quote-unquote vulnerable, you know, by having 2 exhausted spirits. That might be kind of telegraphing it, or it might be what Kevin wants to telegraph, and it's something different too.
Yeah, like we touched on a little bit earlier, Kevin does have the potential of 4 different burst spells in that zone, and he does have 3 in reserve with you know, enough on Penton, so he'd actually be able to pay the full cost. But Curiosity coming back out.
The mind games are real. And guess what? Mecha Synergy, because this time Curiosity is level 2. So it does have that protection, because Odin type X is a mecha as well.
Right, but no white Nexus, unfortunately, for Odin, so it will not be able to refresh at the start of
I'm just talking about avoiding being destroyed.
Right. Yeah. But if he had a white Nexus, it'd be a pretty great position here, because then you could swing, bounce the Penton, and then refresh. But unfortunately, that is not the case here. So what do you do if you're Ryan's position?
I mean, you probably swing and bounce the Hippocampo, right?
Yeah, you could bounce Hippocampo, because that is a 3 cost.
Yeah.
So that is a valid target. Between that and the Penton, would you arguably bounce back the Penton to deny the magic reduction?
I mean, there's enough resources right now available that the magic reduction to me doesn't matter quite as much. He's just going to pass the turn anyway, but it's, you know, I'd rather bounce Hippocampo, but he's going to just play it safe. He's just going to play the longer game.
So Kevin does have quite a bit of cores amassed. He could maybe look for a Calamity Beast, Chaos Pegasaurus, and we were just updated that there are about 15 minutes left in this round at the current moment.
I think that's going to be enough time to finish this
I think
game.
so, too. Yeah, we are currently in Game 3, right?
Yep, that's right. Yeah.
Okay, so another Flying Turtle is going to make its appearance. This will also proc the Phantasmal Paradise, so draw a card if they want. Hippocampo straight to hand. Nice.
Then Phantasmal Paradise, and that's the thing is, Phantasmal Paradise isn't a trigger. It's a thing that you can choose to exhaust the Nexus to use if the qualifications are met. So that's why you can do the Flying Turtle when summoned first, and then, you know, choose to do it too.
Actually, wouldn't it just be turn player chooses order resolution? Because they both proc that's when summoned. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose. Yeah. You can just choose not to use your Phantasmal Paradise.
This is true.
Too.
That part is true. Yes.
Yep.
But yeah, so Freestyle is going to come right on out. So amassing quite a large board, actually, for Kevin Castillo. And then there's another Hippocampo. So yes, you do have 2 blockers, one of which can bounce the second Hippocampo, but can you stop every Hippocampo?
Well, I mean, that's a lot of attackers just in general. That's just a lot of spirits on the board right now. for Ryan Mattis to deal with.
I mean, so you do always have to be aware of the fact, like, yes, there is no burst actually currently set in the burst zone for Ryan, but he could always just Ice Shield from the hand. He does have enough currently existing on his spirits.
Now, the spirits being returned to hand by Odin type X happens on attack or blocking.
Yes.
So you could theoretically block with Odin type X and then send another one back too. So there is a way to deal with 2 spirits from just that one spirit alone. So that might keep Ryan safe here, but we also don't know, what's lurking in the hand of Kevin Castillo too. He might be able to move a couple of cores from, Pentan or something like that to cast magic or something.
Right, and so he's going to go ahead and take the damage from the Penton, and then Flying Turtle is going to swing up right on in. Yeah, like you said, you probably hold out the Odin type X, try to block out the Hippocampo. Maybe you feel obligated to drop an Ice Shield if you have one here, because that's a lot of spirits staring you down.
Well, it's smart to attack with these other spirits first here. That's going to be the block from Curiosity instead. But you want to try to draw your opponent's blocks and spells before the Hippocampos come in. And Ryan kind of is obligated to wait here, right? Because you block one Hippocampo and then you bounce the other one back with the block abilities. So if you're having to deal with all the other spirits coming in first, then it's kind of like, do you use the kind of little block combo that you wanted to use, or do you just have to just suck up the damage, right? And there's not a lot of life remaining to do that with.
Oh, the Exhaust Nexus coming on out.
That is an issue.
So with the Exhaust Nexus, I believe, does it only affect your opponent's spirits with the minus BP?
I'm pretty sure, yeah. All your opponent's spirits, yeah.
So minus 3,000 BP. The Odin is now currently at 4,000 BP, actually. So it's still relatively large blocker, but it's going to go ahead and get rid of that Curiosity tank.
It's important to note, too, that the reason why it works on Curiosity is that it's not a destruction effect. You're lowering BP and eliminating the spirit in that way. Yeah. So it's not destruction. Yeah.
Okay, so he's going to go ahead and actually block out the freeze stall with Odin bouncing back one of the Hippocampos, but that does mean one of the other Hippocampos is able to connect, so really interesting decision. Wondering if maybe he has a Dream Bomb or something in his hand?
Quite possible.
Yeah, so...
doesn't bounce the other Hippocampo, that's right. Well, there's all right.
Turn.
Yeah. Absolute Ice Shield comes through.
Okay. So I think there's actually a world where maybe, I guess... No, it really doesn't matter. I was going to say...
the freeze cell.
Yeah.
Maybe? Or
no.
What's he going to do? Wait.
Oh, because it got blocked by Odin.
Oh, yeah, okay.
So what I was originally going to say was maybe you bait out this Hippocampo swing by using a Dream Bomb, but then you could have just also Dream Bombed at the end of the or at Flash Step for free stall. So I guess it really doesn't matter there.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, but yeah. So one blocker still remaining for Kevin Castillo. You're at 4 life. Does Ryan have the fuel to actually go crazy here?
We'll see.
And of course, this might not even be an absolute Ice Shield for Kevin. This could very well be something like the Star Blast Draw, like the Dream Bomb, or the Exhaust Nexus. But Elk is going to come out. Sky... what is it? It's
Divine?
Divine Sky...
Divine...
Moonbeast?
Moonbeast.
Divine Moonbeast, Sky Fanatec Elk?
Yeah, I think Sky is before Fanatec Elk, yeah.
Yeah.
Let's find out. Divine Moon Sky Beast Fanatec Elk. Oh, you were so close. You try casting Battle Spirit Saga, all right? Twitch chat.
But yeah, so we're going to go ahead. It is back to Kevin's turn. He does have the Odin type X still upright, as well as the Fanatec Elk. No card in burst, so no absolute Ice Shield being telegraphed at the very minimum. But yeah, Kevin looking like a pretty solid position, and the God Beast Behemoth is going to come right on down with that cost reduction because of all of those 2-drops in the trash.
So no nonsense, he only has 2 names.
God Beast Behemoth?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he doesn't deal with any of that stuff.
No, he's straightforward, to the point.
I'll just go by my given name, God Beast, and my surname, Behemoth.
Yeah, and then he's going to go ahead and level this up to level 3. So now his 2-cost spirits are not able to be blocked. So both that Penton as well the Flying Turtle, because if you notice, both the Fanatec Elk as well as Odin Type X are they have more than 2 cores. So they're now subjected to the Behemoth's reign of terror.
Seems that way.
So he could swing the Behemoth, and then you could block with the Odin. And if you block with the Odin, then you can resolve your bounce back one of these 2-drops. But then at the end of then that means you're gonna go ahead and trade away your Odin.
Yeah, and you don't want to do that, but it might be time to make some hard decisions here because there's 4 spirits on the side of Kevin Castillo, just 2 on the side of Ryan Matas.
Yeah, so I think in this position, maybe feel a little bit pressure to actually, I was going to say block with the Odin, but it's going to go ahead and take it. So now the Penton and the Flying Turtle are unblockable by either of these spirits. So what is your play here?
I mean, you're down to 1 health. If you're Ryan here, what are you going to do?
Is this a Dream Bomb?
Maybe. Is it an absolute Ice Shield? No, it
Nope,
is a
Dream
Dream Bomb.
Bomb.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so Dream Bomb is going to go ahead and bounce back this Penton. I mean, that's fine and everything, but you still have to block out this Flying Turtle. So you're 1 life, Flying Turtle swinging at you. Do you have another response?
Yeah, also the Hippocampo is waiting in the wings as well.
But they can, that one can be blocked.
Yeah, it can be blocked, but it's something you need to kind of think about still.
Right.
Yeah.
So what is the, is there any flash response coming from Kevin in response to this Dream Bomb? Looks like maybe, actually. Ooh, the Exhaust Nexus.
Yep, there's the Exhaust Nexus. And so that will reduce the BP of both of those, and that is going to be enough to remove the Odin type X.
And that's because he had to give up one of his cores to pay for the cost of Dream Bomb, thus knocking him back down to a level 1. Elk's gonna go ahead and block. Oh yeah, Elk is now level 1 because it did lose the core from the Dream Bomb.
Right, 3 cores are level 2, I think. Yeah.
Right, yeah. So actually, really good play.
It.
But yeah, that's it.
Game. Yeah.
All right, Kevin Castillo takes it, going into our now top 4.
Wow. 3 games, but Kevin Castillo gets it done with a really great version of Yellow Fabled Beasts. I think probably my favorite yellow deck that we've seen in the tournament here. Ryan Mattis played it really well. I mean, it took us to game 3. He got to the top 8, so no slouch on the control white list, but it is going to be Kevin moving on to the top 4.
Yeah, and so what's really, really cool, I would say, is that that is the first time we saw Behemoth actually get a ton of value from its actual, you know, non-cost reduction effect.
Yeah, that's right. Wow. So, I mean, we've already gone through the top 16. The top 8 is being played out right now. We've seen our match with that one, and this is shaping up to be a pretty intense finals. What do you think so far?
I'm really curious to see how many red pterosaurs are in the top 4 because that might prove to be a bit of a challenge for the yellow Fable just because of how impactful Burning Force is. But Pegasaurus might actually just swing that entirely with the plus 2,000 BP.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to have those updated standings for you. You're going to see them kind of updated as we go here. And then the round of 4 begin. We're about ready to take on the semifinals here at the Battle Spirits Saga Grand Open. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with another match in just a bit. And we're back here at the Battle Spirits Saga top 4 here at the Grand Open. There is Colin Kaiser on your stream right now, absolutely dominating with red pterosaur aggro. His opponent is going to be Admasu Williams over on the white aggro as well. So we've got an aggressive matchup here in our first semifinal. Colin, an accomplished TCG player in his own right, winning multiple tournaments in other games, including some of the biggest tournaments in another game over the last couple of years. And the only person to do that, too, in that particular game. So definitely has a good track record here. We'll see how he does today. You know, both of us, just based on yesterday, too, he was the #1 player in Swiss on day 1. So kind of the guy to beat right now.
Yeah, and I'm definitely really interested to see, now that we can get a good look at their actual deck list, Colin on the 4 Star Blessed Draw in the main set. So that procs whenever a Wind Summon ability activates, you know, from the first zone, and going ahead and looking at Adamasu's Williams list, how many Wind Summon effects are there actually? Because I don't see
not
any.
A ton.
I don't see any actually.
There's not a ton. I mean, maybe is he running Valkyrie Mist? Yeah, he's running.
Okay, so
Valkyrie
just the Valkyrie Mist.
So he's got those, but I don't believe there are any else.
Yeah, so this is probably going to be a Star Blessed Draw, resolve it from hand more than anything else. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yep, and then of course, you know, standard the Bearded Eagle. He's on the Volcanic Canyon. Is he on the Scorched Battlefield? Yes, he is. So he's currently playing 5 Nexuses actually.
Okay, and so that might come into play if Derm Dyna is you know, is going to hit the board. There's 1 main deck for Admasu Williams, 3 in the sideboard. So with all those Nexuses on the other side, potentially that could be some unblockable creatures coming through for Admasu to finish. But that's a, you know, a situation where the game has gone kind of long, and generally where white aggro doesn't want to be.
Yeah, so
Earthquake. No, I'm just kidding. Sometimes people just can't help bump the game. It's just how it goes. It's just TCG tournaments, ladies and gentlemen. Just how it is.
So I'm really curious to see whether or not these players opt to go for the mulligan. It looks like they're still deciding a little bit here. And who ended up winning the dice roll? Do you know?
I didn't end up seeing here, but we'll
Colin
see
going
who's on the
first.
play either way. Yeah, Colin, it looks like.
Yeah, so already that alone I feel like puts you in a pretty great position if you're playing the Pterosaur deck, and we are going to go ahead.
Bearded Eagle.
Bearded Eagle, yeah, making its reappearance, only level 1, however.
Yeah, that's right. And loading up a burst card too, which is pretty nice. Just to be able to get that stuff done on turn 1. Again, you're just establishing things. You don't get an attack phase, so it's all about establishing board. Ooh, pick a Scion for Admasu Williams.
Yeah, and so Colin, that burst can either be the Starblast draw, it could be the Absolute Ice Shield, but he should know Adamasu's list, so he should know that there is very few procs for the Starblast draw, actually. So setting it might be a mistake, because then now he can't activate the draw, too.
Yeah, that's a good point. I wonder if that is the case, or if maybe there's something else he's running.
I don't believe so.
I mean, Absolute Ice Shield is in the main board, so it could be one of those. You know, and deck lists are open. Both these players should be well aware of what is in their opponent's decks, and so he knows that Starblast Draw is a less likely chance of being activated with the Burst thing. Volcanic Canyon coming down, and as well as Dilophosa as well. Dilophosa.
Yeah, and that's going to go ahead and swing in for 4,000 BP.
Why not?
Yes, you could block with the... Or Pegasone is only 1 core? Is it a blue core?
It's just 1 core.
Oh, no, it's a red
so
core. I mean, it is 2 cores.
Yeah.
He's using the little paper cardboard one.
Exactly, yeah. We haven't seen people use the cards in a while, but yeah, there are 2 cores. That is a level 2 Pegasone there. That does mean he can block while exhausted if the opponent's spirit is 1 core or less. That said,
2 or less.
2 cores or less, yeah. That said, he's going to go ahead and take the damage anyway. Pegasone at 4,000 BP. He doesn't want to trade just like that. Understandable.
Yeah. And so setting up that Volcanic Canyon earlier on into the game will mean you are able to cycle through your deck at a much faster pace than White will be able to. I have very rarely seen White draw, just in general. Maybe if they check in a Starblast draw, but it just doesn't happen very often. Adamasi going to go ahead and play the Librarian. And yeah, pretty solid game setup for right now. Yes, the Dilophosa is tapped out, but it couldn't block anyway, so you're not really losing anything here. Librarian will be able to swing and gain back that Soul Core if they chooses, and he plays a Raccoon, actually.
Huh, okay. So again, you want a lot of kind of like vanilla generic white creatures to come down because you get the discount, you get to play them quickly. Raccoon Guard is the card. And he has 2 cores on it too, so it is 5,000 BP. So it's one of those things where White has this, right, where they can get a big discount, play a lot of larger BP stuff early on. Here's the attack from Pegascion.
So what's really important to note is that all 3 creatures are outside of the Burning Force threshold, actually. Raccoon is at 5,000, Pegasone is at 4,000, and Librarian, normally it's below the threshold, but because it returned its Soul Core back into the reserve, it is now at 5,000 BP.
Yep, very good point. And being able to, get a little bit more of that core manipulation too is going to help you play more stuff on the board. So Admasu, we saw him pilot this deck so well yesterday, and we're seeing that again today too. We're really kind of like getting every single ounce of value out of his cores, out of his resources each turn.
Yeah, Colin going to go ahead and discard the Scorched Battlefield for the cost of the Volcanic Canyon. And so while Adamasu has a really fantastic board setup at the current moment, that means you can never actually discount the Pterosaur player just because it's super that.
Oh my gosh, double. All right, double Dino King, Jurassic King that is, coming in, and that is extremely scary, right? Because there are only Emperor Beasts and Pterosaurs on the board between the Bearded Eagles and the Dilophosa. That means both of these Jurassic King Giganorex are level 3 automatically, and that means an enormous amount of BP is going to be gained when one of those attacks.
Yeah, and it's pretty interesting to note that there is very few cores actually left to play on Colin's turn. So if Adamasu doesn't explode on this turn, he will have a lot of leeway because there's not a lot of defensive utility coming out of Colin. As far as I can tell, there are 2 cores on the Bearded Eagle, but everything else only has the 1 core. So if you were to play a Burning Force, for example, you would have to resort to taking away a core from one of your spirits and likely destroying them.
Wow, that is just such a crazy board so fast for Colin Kaiser. What a turn establishing that, and now if you're Admasu Williams, you are sweating a little bit. You are concerned because you've got a decent board, but man, look at your opponent turn 3 playing 2 of the bosses. That said, only 1 life remaining for Colin Kaiser. So I mean, this is where he has to stabilize. This is where he has to get things done. And if Dern Dyna hits the board, able to be unblockable because there is a Nexus out for Colin Kaiser. This is still a game that Admasu could take.
Yeah. And so he is going to completely swing out, but the regain is going to make its appearance. This will go ahead and restand one of the white spirits and be able to block out the Rex.
Yep, that's right. Has to do that just to be able to...
Oh, but the volcanic break in response to the flash step
wow.
will go ahead and kill the librarian, and that's going to be
I think that's
game.
Yeah. All right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's game.
Beginning, maybe.
Unless there's a flash. Dream Bomb.
Oh, Dream Bomb. Okay. It would have been game if the Dream Bomb had not been in the hand of Admasu Williams. So it's still going just for now.
Yep,
and
that's
means,
game.
Yep, the swing is going to come back again.
Yeah, because he used the volcanic break that consumed what remaining cores he actually did have, so he has no response going into Adamasu's turn, still with 2 spirits left remaining. Yeah, that's really fantastic play. Regain coming up huge just now.
Yep, that's right. And so, yeah, the concede from Colin at the end there, and I believe that was Admasu taking game 1.
Yep. Yeah. So going into game 2, a lot of adaptations I expect to see from both of these players, actually. If we can go ahead and pull up the sideboard on our end of things.
Which one do you want to look at?
Let's look at Colin.
All right.
So Colin is quite a few white spirits, actually. Netherworld Depths, he has double countersword, and the Andromeda. I think the Andromeda actually might see a little bit of play just because being able to remove some of those weaker white spirits that, of course, aren't Pegasion, I think might be pretty crucial.
Yeah, 2 counterswords, some suppressions. Like you said, there's even a...
Feral Slash, I believe.
Feral Slash, yeah, that's right. Huh, interesting.
So if I were in the position of Colin, I would definitely look to maybe add in a little bit more defense if it doesn't compromise the speed and offense of my own deck. So suppressions, Andromedas, even the Feral Slash I think could be pretty nice.
Well, Colin looking a little bit disappointed with himself after that last game, and I don't know if he can really be too hard on himself. That was that looked like a board that was going to be extremely strong. That looked like the right move when he made it. And sometimes your opponent just has the cards. You know, sometimes they've just got the answers, and you know, you might get a little bit surprised from time to time.
Yeah, definitely the regain into the Dream Bomb was an absolutely fantastic play coming out of Adamasu. Really just demonstrating just how impactful these flash spells can really be. So. Over on Adamasu's side, though, what do you go ahead and sideboard into this game 2?
Well, let's see. I mean, game 1 went pretty well, honestly. So I don't know if you need to do a ton of sideboarding. His sideboard is 3 dual gun Mechlord Dern Dynas,
3 Fulla,
3 head Ice Maid Fulla, yeah, that's right, and 4 suppression. So
I would arguably maybe
suppression?
I would add in suppression personally.
Yeah.
Being able to guarantee that you are at a higher BP threshold than your opponent, making it so your combat is in your favor, as well as being able to just block against aggression, I think could be pretty huge. If you recall round 7 of yesterday with Colin, actually, the double suppression against suppression ended up giving him the game.
That's true. That's true. It can make a difference sometimes. You know, maybe you throw like one more Mechlord in there. You don't want to clog up your deck with too many of them.
Of course.
But when you know there's probably going to be a Nexus or 2 on the other side, you know, that is something that you can take advantage of sometimes. So, yeah, possibly.
Yeah.
Looks like there was a little bit of sideboarding going on. I'm trying to get a peek there. Yeah, maybe. We'll see what went in there.
Yeah, so players are going to go ahead and get ready. I would imagine Colin is going to opt to go first. He did go first in his last game, but it wasn't enough. Just too much aggression coming out of Adamasu's side, as well as the flash responses. So if you're in Colin's position, would you opt to go first or second?
I think it depends again on if you have a Nexus in hand. You know, I had a conversation with some of the top 16 players earlier this morning, and I asked them that question because I was like, I'm just not. With this game, with Battle Spirit Saga, I'm just not 100% sure on the methodology between choosing to go first and second. Obviously, it depends on your opponent, depends on your deck, but it really also depends on your hand. And one of the big things that I heard multiple times was that, you know, in a matchup like this, if you have a Nexus, you go on the play because you're not going to get to attack anyway, so you might as well play a card that's going to just make your first turn where you can attack that much stronger, right?
All right, and players are now finished shuffling. Going to soon proceed into the mulligan. And then definitely we were shown just how impactful that 5th card is in these aggressive style of matchups. So I'd imagine if you can help it, you want to hold the 5th card here.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. You, especially with there was another, I think the player that won the launch event was on,
Austin Summers?
Yeah, was saying, too, that you don't want to mulligan.
Right.
At all costs. You just avoid mulliganing. Which makes sense. Why would you want to? You want you
mean,
don't want
yeah.
to go one card down. That's card advantage is so important.
Well, so in other card game philosophies, one of the thought process that you could apply is that even if you have a a little bit mediocre 5, you would rather value a really strong 4, right?
Sure.
Which I think is a valid line of play depending on what your deck likes to do.
I think in slower matchups, that could be the thought process. In a matchup like this, I'd be very afraid.
Yeah, you want a 5th, right?
I'd be very, very afraid to take a chance like that. So we'll see who ends up going first.
Okay, so it looks like Colin is going to actually go first. He did draw that 6th card.
Yep.
And I did see actually Canyon on turn 1.
Yeah, I mean, it's like we're saying. You go first, you play the Nexus, and now that's going to give him just that many more options when he draws those 2 cards in his first real, quote-unquote, real turn.
Right.
You know?
And I feel like because of not having the summoning sickness, whenever you play a spirit, it feels pretty justified to actually play your Nexus much earlier on, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. First turn for Admisu Williams.
Yeah, so...
What's the plan?
Let's see. I'm trying to think. Do you play a spirit in response here? There's not a lot of Nexuses going on here. Yeah, so Raccoon Dog.
It's white aggro, man.
Pegasion.
I think your best turn 1 play is Pegasion in this deck.
Yeah, having armor against red is absolutely phenomenal in this matchup.
Yeah, especially against red or purple. Exactly. You want to play Pegasion turn 1 if at all possible. This is the absolute best first turn play for this deck. And we'll see where it goes from there, right?
Yep.
I mean, he's on the verge of possibly 2-0ing, and he does get 1 damage in, too, because the opponent doesn't have any spirits out. There's a Rain Needle for Colin Kaiser now, and a Dino Man.
All right, so discarding the Dilophosis because it cannot block, and you probably don't need that in this aggressive style of matchup.
Sure.
He will go ahead and play the Dino Man. That is at level 3 because there are 2 or less spirits, so it's 6,000, and there goes the Starblast draw. So it actually reminds me of last game we did see Colin. He played this. He played the burst.
Yeah.
I imagine it was Starblast. Otherwise, he would have flipped the Absolute Ice Shield, kept himself alive.
Probably. Yeah.
So now resolving the Starblast, learning a little bit from his mistakes, perhaps. And then, what do you think he said? You think it was a?
Well, we saw it.
Oh, did we?
It was flipped up before he to where we could see before he put it on there. It is an Absolute Ice Shield.
Oh, is it? Gotcha.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, we got a glimpse of that for once, which is nice. Now we know. But of course, Admisu, no idea quite yet. Put some more cores on that. That is
level
a fully
3
upgraded Pegasion. That's right. And he needs it that way to be able to handle the Dino Man if the block would come in, because that Dino Man does get an automatic level 3 because it's 2 or fewer spirits on the board.
Right.
Yeah.
But Dino Man is pretty expensive to actually naturally get to level 3.
Yeah, it's like 6 cores. You don't do it.
Yeah.
You don't do it. Yeah. But that said, I mean, Admisu Williams has no fear in throwing that out there because exhausted, it still can block a spirit with 2 or fewer cores on it. Now, that spirit might end up being Jurassic King, but we'll see. There's the attack.
Yeah, so it is level 3 because there's only Pterosaurs on the board. It is swinging for 10,000.
Looks like block.
Actually blocks it out. Interesting.
Yeah, you avoid taking that damage. I would imagine, too, that must mean that Admisu has a pretty big hand. I would assume you're going to be able to go wide with this turn, but let's see. Let's see what he's got.
Oh, I had to confront.
Confront.
That's right.
Oh, duh. All right. Yeah.
That's right. So even though the Pegasion was tapped out, because of its level 2, level 3 effect, where it's able to block while exhausted, it is forced to actually block out. So really fantastic play coming out from Colin.
We're still waking up. It's only 1:40 p.m. and in gamer hours, that's still like early morning. So yeah.
Yeah. So. Jurassic King making a really big impact on this game too. I'm gonna go ahead and play the monkey. Yeah, the mustached monkey.
Yep.
And it's gonna swing actually.
Ooh, all right.
What is it? How much power does it have at level 2? 7,000.
Quite a bit. Yeah.
So
I mean,
it swings over Dino Man.
It's expensive without the discount, but it does have a lot of power. It does have a lot of battle power per core on it. So you do get a lot of value there. Yeah.
And so swinging at 7,000, your Rex is tapped out. I doubt you have anything that can really flash spell kill this because Volcanic Break's only 6,000 or less. With a Soul Core, your Soul Core's on your Rex, so you can't even pay for that.
Yeah, so with, excuse me, with Dino Man out there, it is still a bit scarier. Colin Kaiser does go ahead and take the damage, and Admisu Williams feeling the pressure of his opponent's board growing larger and larger. That is another Jurassic King Gigano Rex. It does turn off the free, level 3 for Dino Man. He's going to bump it up to level 2, it looks like, with a couple cores there. So it's still going to have a decent amount of BP, but it doesn't really matter. I mean, the BP gain from Jurassic King Dino Rex is going to be just crazy, right? Even for just the humble Dino Man.
Just like Colin actually does pass the turn, so it's over Adamasu's on the play.
Yeah.
You have pretty big wall here to protect yourself, and really smart from Adamasu to swing out the Emperador, because then it can't be confronted.
Yep. If you're going to have to block anyway with Confront, you might as well just attack in there. And he's going to boost it up to 9,000 BP with that 6th core.
Still smaller than the 10,000 from Giganorex.
It is. It is. So the question is, you know,
Could be a suppression play.
does he have an answer? Yeah, we did. I think it's safe to assume he sideboarded into some suppression, so that is something to think about. There is also the possibility of, you know, say a Dream Bomb possibly. You'd have to take a couple of cores off, right? I'm trying to remember exactly the cost for that.
So Dream Bomb is 5 with a cost reduction of 2. So you can play Dream Bomb for 3, I believe, is the minimum, if I remember correctly. So it's at right now 4. Yeah, I was correct.
There you go. And that would weaken his Imperador, because you'd have to pay 3. That would bring it down to 5. No, it'd be 5 cores. 5 cores. Yeah.
And so I think maybe you could threaten a suppression play potentially here. And you would at least beat Yes, you would at least beat one of the Giganorexes if you do for a suppression play.
I mean, Admasu really wrestling with what the next play should be here.
Well, I mean, I would also be in turmoil if I was staring down this this board of dinos, but Automated Gunner coming on out, actually.
Yep, that's right. So a humble Automated Gunner, but not so humble in that it can be a blocker. It can be another attacker, you know? Just 1,000 BP here at this point, so it is, you know, endangered with, you know, Burning Force and everything like that, so...
So we'll go ahead and actually swing out the Imperador at 9,000 BP. And yeah, both Giganorexes are at 10k, so they should be able to block out. But what's really important to remember is that Suppression is a really powerful card. It would put the Imperador over at 12k.
Yeah.
So now I guess the really big question I have here is, does Colin have his own Suppression if that were the case?
Yeah, he runs 2 of them in his sideboard, so I suppose it is possible that those did get put into the deck between games.
It could also just be a bluff, and he could just be bluffing having the suppression to begin with.
And remember, we know there is an absolute ice shield in the burst zone too, so that's something that Colin's considering as he tries to decide.
But he wouldn't be able to. He wouldn't be able to end the turn without killing off one of his creatures.
Yeah, and I mean, there's only like potentially 2 coming through anyway, so I think you just block here and you say, all right, well, do you have it?
Okay, so Giganorex is gonna go ahead and block.
What does he have?
Do we have a flash response coming on out?
Yeah.
Burning Force. Yep, there is the Automated Gunner.
Yeah. Automated Gunner's going to get taken down, I would imagine. Although, yeah, there we go. Okay.
Very, very interesting that he's chosen to opt for the Burning Force this early on.
Yeah. Again, because it doesn't kill the Imperador.
No, it does not.
You know, you can target 2 spirits with 3,000 or less BP. In this case, it's just going to be the one. It's just going to be the Automatic Gunner. Or Automated Gunner.
But this is still, he is facing a 10,000 BP body. If he doesn't have the suppression, it's not going to be enough.
I mean, this is like Godzilla versus King Kong right here, man. It's like the giant monkey versus the giant dinosaur, but...
he's losing the Imperador.
Yeah, that's going to be it. That's going to be it for the Imperador, at least. That's a scary moment.
Yeah, but no, you can't go back to your main phase or anything like that. That's your combat phase.
Yep.
So the play is going to swing back over to Colin.
Okay. I mean, Colin Kaiser seemingly in a very strong position right now between that absolute ice shield in the burst zone, the strong board he's got presented here.
Maybe the play is that he's trying to bait Colin into committing too many of his spirits into the to push for lethal, and then Adamasu's gonna push on his own. But even then, the absolute ice shield really deterring that. So I'm not sure how Adamasu breaks himself out of this position. But yeah, there's a second Dino Man coming out as well.
No, it doesn't get the free level 3, obviously.
No.
It's a whole Dino family. It's the Dino Men. All right.
Oh, there's a Trooper. Okay, so he's like completely throwing it in there.
I mean, now the question is, does Admasu have an absolute ice shield?
He doesn't run it.
Does he run it at all?
He doesn't run any absolute ice shields,
No, he
actually.
doesn't. Not even in the sideboard. And a lot of white aggro players are fine with that. You know, they're not going to run to a lot of games when they need it. There's the first Dream Bomb.
Dream Bomb.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually no absolute ice shield coming out from Adamasu. That might be game then.
Yeah, normally I'm okay with that. In this particular case, it's going to be a problem.
Okay, so does he have another Dream Bomb? Nope, that's it. Going game 3.
Yep, that's right. All right, so we are indeed going to game 3. Admasu Williams, you know, just kind of getting caught with no board versus a pretty huge board for Colin Kaiser. And Colin obviously happy with that. Keeps him in the series. And we are going to game 3.
I'm very curious to know why he swung the Imperador if you don't have any flash to interact with that. So I'm really curious. Maybe he felt like he just wanted to go to game 3 as fast as possible, keep his mental intact and whatnot. Yeah, really interesting.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe it was a thought with a suppression play. You never want to assume it was just an error or something like that. You always want to assume the player had a reason to do it. There is the factor that we talked about, too, where the Imperador would have to be confronted anyway. So it's like, why not swing in, see what they do? So that is a point, too. We did mention that. But, yeah, it is a little bit surprising. It's not an opportune play for sure. But it does send us to our third game 3 in a row in the playoffs, and what a better time for that to happen than in this semifinal here. Colin Kaiser, of course, a player that won undefeated in Swiss in day 1, now trying to make it to the finals, and you kind of got to be undefeated in day 2 if you want to make it to the finals, singly limb. But the tournament life on the line for both of these players coming into game 3 here.
So definitely looking at Colin's sideboard, there's a lot of variety in his sideboard. He has cards that handle really just about every and any situation. But if you look at Adamasu's sideboard, it's very he has 3 cards. He has 3 cards. There are multiples of those 3 cards, but there are 3 cards. One of which is only good versus purple. One of which works specifically with having those nexuses so we can get unblockable, and then the suppressions. And I will definitely say suppression would have been huge for this last game for Adamasu. So maybe we see a bit more of the suppression coming out.
Yeah. Shuffling happening right now, so I don't know if there was any sideboarding between games.
Maybe he was already playing 4 suppressions.
Yeah, I think I did see him put those in there actually between game 2 and 3.
Yeah, and I think if you're in Colin's position, probably doesn't hurt to add in 2 of your own suppressions as well as not counter sword, but would you add Netherworld's Depths perhaps to facilitate additional draw power? Probably not.
I don't think you need it.
Yeah.
I mean, red has just so much strong draw natively, right? Just with red cards that I'm a little bit surprised it's in there. It might be for longer games, but either way, in this matchup, I don't think it's going to be play. I think it's just going to be clutter in your hand if you were to draw it. Yeah.
I could definitely see the Andromeda making an appearance here, just because of having that additional pop. Really good stuff, but it looks like, yeah, they're going to go ahead, get ready to cut. What's happening here? Why we have a Dyna Dirge? Oh, is that from his sideboard?
He's holding a Dern Dyna.
I think it was from his sideboard, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, he had 1 main deck, 3 sideboard. So opting to not put that in there.
Okay, and so
thinking about it, but not putting it in there.
Adamasu getting to decide whether or not to go first or second. Colin Kaiser did elect to go first last game. I would imagine Adamasu is going to go ahead and take going first in this game 3. That's my prediction. What do you think?
I think you probably want to go first if you're the aggressive player, which I mean doesn't get much more aggro than white. So white aggro. So
okay, Adamasu going and not mulligan, and I believe he's waiting for the mulligan. But yeah, Adamasu's I saw him almost go for the 6. So I think he's going first.
Yeah.
Yep. All right, Colin's elected to not mulligan either. Yeah, both and Adamasu on the play.
Yep. What's he gonna play? All right, there.
Pegasus. All right.
I mean, you always want to do it. Like I said, that's the kind of ideal turn 1 play.
That's your bread and butter right there.
Yep. No level 2, so it can't do the block or anything like that. But you don't get to attack anyway, so the blocking while exhausted doesn't really mean anything on if you go turn 1.
Okay, and then Colin, I did see that he had the Gigano Rex in his hand, which proved to be huge last game. So curious to see what he's going to do to set that up and get that down on the board as soon as possible. Because I mean, dropping 2 last game was huge.
Yeah. Colin Kaiser thinking long and hard about his turn 1 play here.
Well, running 5 Nexuses, there's a very solid chance he might have opened one. So he might be contemplating between Nexus and Spirit. It looks like he's contemplating playing the Rain Needle, which is the 1-cost Spirit.
Yeah. And it does establish a Spirit on the board, but it's not the strongest play.
Bearded Eagle, actually.
Bearded Eagle's going to have a little bit more BP, I believe. Early on.
It's 3,000 BP level 1, 5,000 BP at level 2, and I believe it's 7,000 BP at level 3.
Okay.
Ooh.
Yep, you got it. Yeah.
That's how much I study this game.
And it's well done. And it's one of those cards too where it can end up being free if you have enough discounts on the board too. And yeah, the Rain Needle's going to be the second one then.
Right.
Because it does become free. Cost 1, discount 1. Just need a core to give it life basically. So it does establish more spirits on the board, but not really in a comfortable place to swing in because of the battle power.
Yeah, so he could bump up his Pegasus to 4,000 BP, which would then triumph over both the Bearded Eagle and the Rain Needle. But you really want to hand over that one additional core and maybe put yourself in that Giganorex position again?
It's hard to say. I would rather see the players go wide. You know, I mean, Admasu, that's what white aggro does best, goes wide as soon as possible, just sends a lot of attacks the opponent's direction. And if Admasu Williams can't do that, I do worry for him.
So it's looking like he's potentially looking to play a Spirit down, actually, and which I definitely do think you have to start amassing a bit of that board to contest the presence. But of course, Confront is a really powerful threat. He's hovering over the Mechwing Duckbill.
Duck, I believe. Yeah.
Mechwing Duckbill.
No bill, just
no
duck.
bill, really?
Yeah, just Mechwing Duck.
Oh, okay. Yeah, and then, so yeah, he's going to go ahead and start amassing a couple more spirits to contest the board of Colin Kaiser. Automated Gunner making its appearance. And yeah, a lot of really cheap spirits. Mechwing Duck might actually get a bit of value because of the Dream Bomb, but actually instead going to go ahead and play... Which spirit is that?
Oh, that is the Heavy Gunner. I'm trying to remember. Armored... hold on. Mobile Golem. There we go. Yeah.
And it was none of the above, actually.
Yep. Yeah. It's a it's a mecha. Mecha's mecha.
Yeah. Swinging in at 4,000 BP. This does triumph over everything on Colin's side. You probably don't want to take any damage here, and it's not like he can react either because all of his cores are on his spirits.
This is what was this is kind of what I was talking about, where the white aggro player just wants to go wide. You just want to present a lot of attacks for your opponent to have to be worried about.
Okay, Automated Gunner is going to go in. You could trade the Rain Needle. You could block with the Bearded Eagle. If you block with Bearded Eagle, it does kill the Automated Gunner. Instead, he will trade away the Rain Needle. So not too shabby a position. You're still getting rid of that body on Colin Kaiser's board, but neither of the spirits on Adamasu's side can actually beat over Bearded Eagle because it's 2,000 and 1,000 respectively.
Yep, I like the line from Admasu Williams, going in and saying, all right, I know you don't want to block, even though you could preserve the Eagle and I would lose something, you don't want to dedicate the Eagle to that, considering I've got more coming in later on. So I think this is...
Yeah, so I think the block pattern
good attacking.
Adamasu was really fishing for is that if you swing the Automated Gunner, if you block with Bearded Eagle, that means Pegasion is able to then attack, and then Mechwing Duckbill can also attack, and at the end of the day, you're getting a lot more pressure down. So I think trading away the Rain Needle and then sacrificing your Gunner does mean it keeps the Pegasion at bay.
Yeah, so Colin Kaiser at 4 life right now. Admasu Williams passes the turn over. And so what's Colin going to do in response?
Well, I don't foresee you actually playing a Nexus. You probably wouldn't actually end up playing the Nexus in Colin Kaiser's position.
Yeah.
Most likely you're going to play a Spirit to try and contest. Burning Force, unfortunately, would not kill the Pegasion, but it would be able to take out the Mechwing Duckbill. Maybe a Volcanic Break to get rid of that mobile golem as well. There's a lot you can do just because there's so many lines of play here. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and Over Raptordon is actually going to make an appearance.
Yeah, that's right. So just another Pterosaur on the board. Over Raptordon is going to give him... it's funny because there's a lot of similarity between some of the early spirits in both of these decks. Vanilla, no effect spirits, just decent battle power for the cores, and just trying to set up, good blocking puzzles and good attacking puzzles for your opponent here.
Right.
This is I feel like this matchup is kind of where like Battle Spirits Saga is its most Battle Spirits Saga-ist, when it's a matter of establishing and working through blocking puzzles for each player.
Okay, and so we are going to see the Dilophosa.
Oh boy.
And yeah, with all of these Emperor Beast Pterosaurs contributing towards Giganorex, and yeah, here he is, the king himself, Jurassic King.
Yeah, Jurassic King Giganorex swinging in right away. That's going to force a confront from Admasu Williams. The duck is used, and this was another reason possibly why we didn't see Admasu Williams swing in with the duck as well, because he knew that Giganorex was a possibility, and he wanted to have an option to handle the confront without losing his Pegasion.
Yeah, Pegasion really, I think, is the bread and butter in this matchup, being armor red. So keeping that alive as much as possible, really, really important here. And I definitely would be afraid of this Giganorex because suppression is in Colin's sideboard.
Yeah.
So you got to be really careful about how you swing out here, because if you swing something too low and they suppression block, I mean, that might just be the game.
Yep, suppression's a white card. And Pegasus does not have armor white. It's got armor red and armor purple, so it's still vulnerable to that.
Well, it's not like you would be targeted by suppression, right? Because it's targeting your own creature. Because suppression gives one of your spirits plus 3,000 BP, and then it has the ability to block while suspended.
Oh, yeah. I think suppression, and I think that's something you're doing to the opponent's spirit.
Yeah.
That card gets me every time, actually.
Yeah, it is. The name is a little bit counterintuitive.
That is a poorly named card. I'm just going to say it.
What would you have named it?
I would have named it like Buff. I don't know.
That's it? Just Buff?
Something like that, yeah. Because you're not suppressing your own card.
About like Support Fire.
Yeah, supporting. Who knows? Let's see what the spirit is for Admasu Williams. It's going to be
Satellite Falcon.
Satellite Falcon, that's right.
It's a pretty... I believe this is a level 2 Satellite Falcon. Don't actually know if this a 3-core pumps you up to level 3. Yep, okay, so it is a level 2 Satellite Falcon at 4,000 BP. And currently, Colin Kaiser, nothing actually can block this without trading, or without being destroyed. Because Dilophosa is unable to block. And so, I think if you're at Amasu's position, you really just have to be aware of that that confront coming out on the following turn. Gonna go ahead and swap around his cores to make sure Pegasus has his second ability online. And yeah, not too shabby for Adamasu, and you are threatening the Dream Bomb, of course.
Right, so... excuse me. Are we going to see the attack? Pegasus.
It is at 4,000 BP. Yeah, it's going to go ahead and swing in. Nothing can block it safely unless we do see the suppression coming out. But nope, just going to go ahead and take that damage. And Satellite Falcon is going to be next. 4,000. Would you have preferred to... I guess it really doesn't matter between Satellite Falcon and Mobile Golem, just because they're both 4,000 BP. But
yeah, I don't think it matters a whole lot. That's another damage taken by Colin Kaiser. So Colin Kaiser perhaps signaling that he feels he can respond with an attack that is going to finish Admasu Williams. Admasu Williams, though, it's still at 5 life, so it'd have to be a pretty big one.
Looks like he might actually go in for the third attack at 4,000 BP. So do you choose to give up one of your spirits, or you just go to 1?
I mean, if Admasu Williams doesn't attack, that one's going to end up just having to handle the confront anyway.
Well, Pegasus will have to regardless. Because it has the ability to block while suspended.
Correct. Yep.
And it does look like he will go ahead and block out with the Over Raptordon, following with the Volcanic Break, actually.
Sure. Okay. That's going to handle that one.
Okay. And he's going to use the core from the Over Raptordon, actually, to pay for that cost. So, yeah, Adamasu's turn should be over unless there's some regain shenanigans about to occur.
Yeah, and if he hadn't attacked with the Golem, he would have been able to choose, of course, with Pegasus and Golem, who blocks. It wouldn't have to be the Pegasus.
Well, I was saying it because he swung the Golem.
Sure, if he swung the Golem, then you have to block with Pegasus.
Yeah.
But if he didn't swing, then he could have.
Right, for sure.
He doesn't want to have to block with that, right?
Yeah, but it does look like he is considering whether or not he wants to proc his regain. And looking at the board state of Colin Kaiser, I mean, if you get that regain proc off, he really can't interact. Like, he has double block, but you're for sure going to swing over one of his creatures. Because both of your Satellite Falcon and your Pegasus are at 4,000 BP at the moment.
Here it is. Okay.
There is the regain. Going to go ahead and use that one from the reserve, thanks to Mobile Golem. Satellite Falcon at 4,000, going to swing in.
This was kind of going to be the plan all along, so...
This is actually, I think, very smart coming from Adamasu, because this does mean Pegasus no longer can block while suspended.
Yeah.
Which means you can no longer force the confront using Giganorex.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So now Colin Kaiser may be in a little bit of a predicament here.
Going to 1 life now.
Yeah, it goes to 1. Still 2 spirits remaining.
Okay.
And there's the draw, yeah.
All right. And so this very well may be Colin Kaiser's last play. Just because Adamasu, double spirits, really difficult to interact with at the current moment. Pegasus with armor, Satellite Falcon above the 3,000 threshold, and I believe I actually saw him have another regain in his hand.
Right, so potential to stand one of his spirits to block with. Otherwise, you know, you can still theoretically block something with the Pegasus because that Dilophosa only has 1 core in it right now.
Oh.
And Admasu has 5 life too. So, oh wait, Pegasus is only level 1 anyway. So yeah, doesn't matter. Yep. Yeah, they're throwing me with the cards here, man. looking for the cores.
Yeah, but Pegasus, he's gonna go ahead and take that damage, and that's gonna be the turn. It is now Adamasu's turn.
Gotta stay safe. Yeah.
And I believe he actually just drew into another regain, so
Could be.
this is really scary. You have to have some kind of response in your hand to stave off this aggression.
Mm-hmm.
So yes, you do have 2 blockers, but you're only at 1 life, and if you're not able to kill both of these blockers, regain might just seal the deal.
Yeah, Colin Kaiser keenly aware that regain is something to play around here too. So something to think about as he handles some of the early attacks from Admasu in this turn.
You can make the assumption that there is no absolute ice shield that you have to be worried about, just because if there was, it probably would have been in the burst zone already.
Yeah, for sure.
Or simultaneously, actually, maybe he holds it for the flash to force combat end.
Yeah, it's possible. It's possible, but like, I feel like is there really a disadvantage to having it in burst? They kind of know, but you know, they'd have to kind of play around it either way. A lot of thought going into this last turn here, though.
So I think one line of thought that you could have is if you know that the absolute ice shield is in the burst, it gives Adamasu a little bit more of that information, telegraphs maybe the line of play. He decides maybe to build up his defenses a bit more, maybe amass some more spirits. Whereas, you know, if you're having it in your hand, you're not guaranteed that you actually have the play. So it might lead to Adamasu making a mistake, just because of it's less information you're providing.
Well, Core's being shuffled around a little bit, more on the Mechwing Duck. That's or not on Mechwing Duck, being played at least.
Yeah.
But it might end up being the swan song for Colin Kaiser. Yeah, I'm so sorry. So I had to.
Yeah, and taking a little bit of think, I believe we did see the regain.
Pretty sure. Yeah.
Pretty sure. Yeah, at 3 spirits, this is representing lethal right now. So
this is looking very scary for Colin Kaiser. Again, yeah, there's a couple things from hand that can be played.
All right.
We'll see if he has what he needs. You know, absolute ice shield. You know, maybe some sort of removal. The duck coming in.
So I think if you have an absolute ice shield, you do have to block this hit and then use it now. But instead, actually, the Burning Force is about to come on down.
Right.
To remove away the duck, and then you still have 2 blocks for Satellite Falcon as well as Pegasion. So if regain is in hand, that might be enough.
Yep, that's right. And Colin knows it. I mean, just the way his hand is just kind of sitting on the table here, I feel like he's very concerned that this could be the end. The Burning Force has to be used there.
Yeah.
Like we talked about, just to survive. So
he has to handle this very carefully, because if you swing, both of these units, or both of these spirits rather, are above the 4,000 BP threshold. I think Bearded Eagle is actually at 7,000. It is. So being at 7,000 means that you successfully block out both of these spirits, meaning that it's actually not feasible to get the regain playoff. Yeah, at 7,000 BP.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you're right. No.
Yeah, so both blockers would have destroyed the attacking spirits. So yeah, really great on Colin Kaiser, recognizing you need to establish that BP game, but straight from the main phase directly into battle, Dilufosa is going to swing out past turn. All right, so now if Adamasu has another spirit to establish, again, it falls on Colin Kaiser to have another response, Burning Force, Volcanic Break, whatever it really may be.
All right. I like how he plays his cores before he puts down his spirits. That's interesting. So it's going to be a Bullet Ray. Going to be another core on to Pegasion. And we still know, you know, he's got some of those cards in his hands of Magic. We do see regain there.
Yeah.
But can he get through?
So Satellite Falcon,
the Falcon again.
4,000 BP right now.
Yep.
Bullet Ray being 5,000 for only 2 cores is so crazy to me.
Yeah, I mean, it's super cheap, too. It's a arguably the best vanilla one, but the thing is, it's a flying fish. It's not it's not a creature type that synergizes well, so that's why it gets a little bit extra power. It seems like.
If you notice, all 3 creatures on Adamasu's side are all above 4,000 BP. So the only card that I believe bails you out here, unless maybe he sided something in, is the Suppression or Volcanic Break.
Right.
Assuming, of course, regain factor. Regain is not factored in, which we know he has it, but. Colin doesn't.
Yeah, and the other fact is that you need to take. Okay, there's an ice shield in hand, but
That'll
you need to take cores off of your spirits to make this happen.
Yeah, but that will go ahead and actually end the battle phase.
It's worth it.
Yeah. So going back into Colin Kaiser's play, Satellite Falcon is now tapped out. So only 2 spirits blocking. This is really, really close.
Yeah, absolutely. So when the battle ends, the attack step ends as well. So that is the end of the attacking for Admasu Williams here. That is going to make Colin Kaiser get an opportunity.
Well, it looks like he's actually looking for a flash response prior to the turn actually completely passing over.
He wants to maybe win this fight.
There's a suppression, yeah. So if he hadn't used the suppression, Satellite Falcon would have been smaller than the Bearded Eagle. But thanks to suppression giving the plus 3,000 BP in response to the Absolute Ice Shield, he will actually have enough to beat over that Eagle.
Yep. I think that's a good play to make. If you're going to have to end the attack right there anyway, you might as well do what you can to win the battle, reduce the spirits on the opponent's side of things.
And so with only one card in hand, soon to be two, it's very difficult because you're still staring down 3 spirits, and he has 3 life.
Scary stuff for Colin Kaiser. Barely hanging on, though, but these are the turns that really separate like the good players from the great players. Can Colin Kaiser find an out here? He's going to play
Canyon.
Yeah, ooh. All right. Well, I mean, the Nexus,
I believe it gives...
does get played.
So it cycles for level 1, and I think at level 2 it gives BP, I believe.
Yeah, does he have the... he doesn't have the cores to give it that unless he moves it off of his spirits, though. That's the conundrum there, it looks like.
Dilophosa gonna swing, can't block, yeah.
Has to pass the turn.
This is looking pretty dire. We still know that he has the regain. Looks like he's going to drop another spirit. There is Curiosity. I think this is game.
Could be. I mean, that does protect your mechas from destruction effects, so it does protect the Falcon, I believe, at least, but nothing else at the moment.
So, but
something to think about.
So Pegasus is at 4,000 with armor. Bullet Ray's at 5,000. Satellite Falcon at 4,000 as well. And then Curiosity is at 4,000. So
I believe so.
Everything is above the Burning Force threshold. So you will need another Absolute Ice Shield in order to hold out on this turn.
Yeah. The big blocker is Jurassic King Giganorex, obviously. He's going to throw in Curiosity first.
Okay, Giganorex will go ahead and block. And there's another Absolute Ice Shield.
Wow, he had a second one in hand. That is huge. And that keeps him alive for just that much longer. So that's one spirit down for Admasu Williams, and Colin Kaiser gets a new lease on life. And again, with the Volcanic Canyon, he gets to draw 2 and discard 1. So just tailoring his hand that little bit much better.
Yeah, and so looking at this current situation, what do you end up discarding? Is this
Feral Slash? Yeah.
Yeah, Feral Slash. All right, so we are down to the wire. Colin Kaiser with a single card in hand. There's no way this is another app. It's not an Absolute Ice Shield. It's a Bearded Eagle. So Adamasu, I mean, he could just choose to block every single hit, and then that might be it. Dilophosa going to swing in. There, he has no response, no flash response.
And Admasu Williams, too, has the ability to, lose a life or two to, stay in this one to preserve his spirits. He will go down to 1. So 1 life to 1 life.
Yeah,
now between these players.
I mean, if you block out both of these attacks, you have nothing else. Yeah, Adamasu's going to take this and go to our finals.
Wow, and the white aggro player makes it through. Colin Kaiser, making it so far in this tournament, being our Swiss winner, taking it to Game 3 in the semifinals. But Admasu Williams manages to close it out just barely with white aggro. Very cool to see.
And it really did boil down to cards like the Suppression, like the Regain, really demonstrating just how impactful White's flash magics are.
I mean, I thought Colin had a pretty good shot there. I mean, with the 2 Absolute Ice Shields at the end, he had the Giganorex on the board. Like, he had the opportunity, right? It was right there. That's got to be a tough one to lose. I mean, that was extremely close as far as series go, but is this going to be white aggro moving through again?
Well, Colin should still be very proud of himself for being the undefeated seed going into day 2 and making it all the way to the semifinals. So he still has an opportunity to still play for 3rd, I believe. We will not be broadcasting that. But regardless, really a fantastic job to Colin Kaiser. Yeah, really excited to see what ends up being in our finals.
Yeah, so we'll find out, too, what the other semifinal ended up being as well. That bracket will kind of be updated. For now, we're going to take a break. But when we return, it is going to be the finals of the Battle Spirit Saga Grand Open. It is going to be awesome. It's going to be Admasu Williams versus whoever won out of the other semifinal. We're going to find that out soon. We're going to get that info to you, and then we're going to get
Red Pterosaur or Fabled? Who's in the finals?
I'm gonna use Fabled, honestly.
I'm gonna say Red Pterosaur. So
all right,
we'll see.
Well, we'll find out. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back with that match. The game is about to begin. Tim Rivera on Pterosaur aggro, Admasu Williams on White aggro, and we'll see what happens. You know, the thing is, we've been saying Pterosaur aggro all weekend, but I'm just kind of willing to call it Pterosaur because this deck has a breadth as far as how you can play it. You know, you can go into the mid-range style with this. So I'm almost getting to the point where I just want to call it Pterosaur, and however the player plays it, that's what it is. You know.
You know, I definitely do see where you're coming from, but also at the same time, getting hit with Dilophosa turn 2 kind of just hurts.
Yeah, and there's that turn 1 Pegasion. That's what all the white aggro players are looking for. You know, again, seems like you see it pretty consistently, and that's because if it's in your hand, you're gonna play it. You know.
Yeah, and so taking a look over at Tim Rivera's side of the board, he's going to go ahead and play that Dino Man at 6,000 BP currently because there's 2 or less spirits. So this will triumph over the Pegasion right now.
Yep, that's right. For the moment, anyway.
Okay, going to go ahead and set up Burst. This could be Star Blast. This could be an Absolute Ice Shield. If you want to take a guess, what do you think?
I mean, it's hard to say. Early in the game, you might want to throw Star Blast out there, but we know that the burst qualifications for Star Blast going off aren't as common to see from white aggro because there's very few when summoned effects. So, you know, Absolute Ice Shield would be the better play, but it's not like you can't just replace it later. That's the nice thing with the burst slot is that if you don't like what you have there and you've drawn another burst card you'd rather have in there, you can just discard the one that's currently there and throw the new one in. So it's not a huge concern either way.
I think knowing that what your opponent's list is, because it is open deck list in top 16, knowing that there are very few when summoned effects actually being able to be procced by this white aggro deck, I feel like if it were Star Blast Troy, you would probably just hold it in your hand. So using that inference, if you are Admasu, you can likely deduce that it is likely an Absolute Ice Shield.
Yeah, I think that would be the most reasonable expectation.
But going into this, we know he doesn't play any Nexuses, so everything is either a Spirit or a Magic, and I don't think you're Dream Bombing turn 2.
Probably not. Core for the automatic gunner, and then a big discount on the Falcon as well. So this is what we're talking about, the big turn 2. Oh, my goodness. And the Valkyrie Misk coming in to send the Dino Man back to hand, and this could be a lot of damage coming in early on. We saw Wesley Dong do almost the same thing in his matchup early today against Spencer Freeman, right? So this could be another, if, you know, depending on how aggressive Admasu Williams wants to be, this could be a 4 damage turn 2.
Yeah, so technically lethal is represented on the board because of regain, right? You could swing with 2 of your spirits and then go ahead and regain their cores away. So this has to be an Absolute Ice Shield because Star Blast didn't proc if this were to be it, right? So now with 4 cores amassed, he can now Ice Shield on this next attack.
All right.
Right? And then the Valkyrie's going to go in, and there's the Ice Shield.
Okay, yep. And this saves him a little bit, down to 2 already, but again, that's what the Ice Shield is there for. And now Tim gets his turn, and he gets extra resources to use with that. So this is kind of, you know, it's a little bit scary, but the red player, you know, definitely gaining a bit of a benefit from that too, resource-wise.
Wouldn't he be at 3 life, actually, because of the Ice Shield? Or am I going crazy?
He is at 3, yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And so Dino Man going to make his reappearance once again with the Bearded Eagle. So pretty solid board state at the current moment. But 4 bodies you're still being confronted with.
Yeah, definitely frightening. Oh, there's another burst card. Is it another Ice Shield?
That would be pretty clutch.
Yeah.
All right, going to go ahead. It is now Admasu's turn, and 4 spirits already on the board. The question that I think everyone is wondering is, does he have regain?
Yeah, that's the question. Didn't get enough of a glimpse of his hand to really see just yet. Maybe could be one sneaking in there.
Yeah.
But either way, has the big spirit advantage, more swings coming in. Does he just flood the board here? I mean, the thing is, if there's another Absolute Ice Shield, there's another Absolute Ice Shield. It's
you have to force it out.
Yeah, exactly. I don't think you don't attack because of that. You can test a little bit, attack a little bit. You don't need to dedicate something like a regain to it, right? Until you know what's in there. There's only 3 health remaining for Tim Rivera, so yeah, I think you just play a couple more spirits and just go, in my opinion.
Yes, looks like he's considering playing the mobile golem, actually.
There's like a dugong elsewhere in this game, I think, somewhere.
Is there really?
I think so. It's another white card.
That's pretty funny, actually.
I can't remember the name of it. I think it's in the starter.
Okay. Yeah. So looks like we're gonna actually instead bump up Satellite Falcon to level 2. So now it is at 4,000 BP, thus escaping the Burning Force threshold. But with that being said, both the Automated Gunner as well as the Valkyrie Mist are in that threshold. So regardless, But yeah, so gonna go ahead, swing out. You could block this. If this is an absolute ice shield, I don't actually think you have any cores to block this out because you just reestablished 2 bodies.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of times you'll see Valkyrie Mist attacked with right away as sort of like, all right, I just want one of your spirits to exhaust. I'll throw it in the trash. That's fine.
Yep.
Now the attacks, same with Automatic Gunner, just 1,000 BP.
Yeah, so go ahead and
Oh,
go
okay.
get that core. So
Yeah.
now he does have enough for the absolute ice shield. It will cost him all of his spirits. He will need to take the second hit in order to use the absolute ice shield without losing both of his spirits. Gonna go ahead, block with the Dino Man. Okay, not
Yep.
too bad. So really, with 2 life still remaining, no need to waste your absolute ice shield on the last of this turn. And Pegasion gonna go ahead and possibly swing. Yeah.
Yeah, gonna definitely swing here, and
There's
absolute
the ice shield. Okay.
All right, well, no surprise there. I mean, we kind of expected it was going to be in there. Fortunate for Tim to draw 2 of them early on, and put them to good use. That's what they're there for.
Yeah.
Staying alive, you know.
But now as we progress throughout the game, the question becomes: will he be able to draw into another absolute ice shield? Already having consumed 2 out of the 4, and we haven't seen a lot of draw power come out yet.
Well, the hope, I suppose, right, is that Tim Rivera's lived long enough that now he can start establishing a counterboard. You know, his opponent has had to throw in a couple spirits into his stronger blocking spirits, reducing their own board size. So now Tim is theoretically the one with the advantage. You know, now he's the one who's supposed to press the board state in his favor.
A really powerful play, I feel like, would be the Gigano Rex, being able to just establish that 10,000 BP body. And really, at this point, I think you just need to either you need to push for damage or need to amass some defenses. Flamefish coming out, actually.
Okay, yeah. And Admasu taking a second to read that one. That is something you definitely want to be familiar with the text on. If the Soul Core is on it and it is destroyed, you can take
wait, no, it's
out
Cornered Flame Rat.
Oh,
I take it all back.
You're right. Cornered Flame Rat.
Yeah, so Cornered Flame Rat is a starter deck card, actually.
Interesting.
While it attacks, draw a card if it reduces an opponent's life.
Wow. Okay.
The first time we've seen this all event, actually.
Yeah, we have not seen this in any Pterosaur decks on stream
Yeah.
quite yet. I just assume a very red-looking spirit card is a flame.
I did too, honestly.
I've been conditioned at this point.
Yeah, but because he plays that 3rd spirit, that does mean Dino Man is no longer level 3.
That is true.
So he'll have to go ahead and invest those cores. It is level 2, but it's no longer 6,000 BP.
Right. All right, so the play over to Admasu Williams here. Tim Rivera, of course, keeping a little bit more defensive, shifting a little bit more into that mid-rangey sort of play style. And now the question is, what does Admasu have in his hand to try to push this? Do you just play a couple more spirits? Here's where, you kind of, if you can find another Valkyrie Mist, you'd be pretty happy to draw one of those. Send the Dino Man back to hand. But we'll see. We'll see.
So it looks like we are contemplating playing a spirit, and of course, like you said, it could be that Valkyrie Mist. I'm really curious to see how Tim Rivera is going to respond to this life gap right now, 2 to 4.
Yeah. Admasu Williams really thinking through this next turn carefully. You need to do that. You see him kind of mathing things out with his cores a little bit there, because you want to make sure you have enough to theoretically play some spirits, and then if you have the regain on the hand, consider that as well. Man, like when you play white aggro, I feel like you're trying to figure out a way to win every single turn.
Right.
You're trying to especially if you have a regain or 2 in your hand, which I believe he does. So
I think this is the Librarian right now he's contemplating playing. He's going to add it back to his hand.
Yep.
Okay, so it looks like Curiosity.
Okay. Interesting. All right. So if he does go for this, I kind of like it.
Okay, and
Yeah.
why is that?
The reason is because you've gone a couple turns into the game. They've had a pretty good chance to draw Burning Force. And so by playing this, you do protect both the Automated Gunner and Heavy Tank Curiosity from dying to that. So you are kind of removing a removal option temporarily that your opponent is fairly likely to have by this point in the game.
So Curiosity, being at level 2, is at 4,000 BP, so he is outside of the Burning Force threshold, but this does mean he dodges the Volcanic Break, should Tim Rivera actually have it.
Sure. Either way, it makes you,
Right.
immune to destruction effects. That's the main idea with that.
Right.
Yeah.
So yeah, really fantastic board setup coming from Admasu. I'm curious to see if there's anything he decides to follow up with this.
Yeah.
And technically, he could be threatening lethal with the regain, actually.
Mm-hmm. Oh, okay.
A Wild Golem.
Yeah, that's right. So another mecha, another thing protected from destruction effects by Heavy Tank Curiosity.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I believe it is level 1, 4,000 BP. So again, a lot of really good stuff coming out. Do you know how much Dino Man's BP is at level 1?
Not off the top of my head.
I want to say it's something mediocre, maybe like 3,000. Just because that's level 3, he's 6,000, but
Yeah, 2,000.
5,000 actually. I stand corrected. I apologize. I didn't understand your game.
Right, so 3 cores for 5,000 is not a terrible deal.
Right.
6 cores for 6,000, not the greatest value in the world. But the idea, of course, is to have him have his level 3 when there's a minimum amount of spirits on the board. So.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so he did go ahead and swing that automated gunner into Tim Rivera's life.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see whether or not he decides to block this out. What's really scary is that regain is a very possible threat, and Tim Rivera's looking kind of low on responses.
Yeah.
And so what I think is really smart about swinging this automated gunner first is that if it gets blocked, then you obviously can use its resources in order to use another regain. And if it gets hit with, say, a Burning Force or a Volcanic Break or anything along those lines, Curiosity is going to keep you safe. So just in general, I feel like your attack pattern on this turn for Admasu is be a little bit flexible about it.
Yeah, and I mean, automated gunner, his job is just to draw blocks.
Right.
Just to get something to exhaust on the other side. He lives to die, as it were. And what's the plan gonna be? He's just gonna he's just gonna take the damage.
Yeah, he's gonna go ahead and take it. So
All
he is
right.
now at 1.
Wow, going down to 1 is Tim Rivera. He does get that resource. And you'd imagine he's got something in his hand to use it, but the fact that Heavy Tank Curiosity is out there, preventing his mecha from being destroyed by destruction effects against a red player, that is a really nice board setup for Admasu.
I'd be really scared in this position just because the remaining 3 spirits are all immune to destruction, right? Whether it's Armor Red, Curiosity, it's going to be really hard to actually dismantle this board.
Yeah.
And so white aggro really showing off its value right now. And so it looks like he's going to go ahead, swing the Pegasion into the life. This is, of course, only at 4,000 BP, but I think that's okay because you still have 2 more attacks ready to go.
Yeah, why not, right?
Mm-hmm. And so,
interestingly enough, too, Pegasion, not a mecha, Machine Beast. Big difference.
Oh, yeah, it is, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so Bearded Eagle will go ahead and block. And with 2 attacks still left, Tim Rivera needs some kind of response to last swing. So it may be a suppression.
Could be a suppression, but I think the scary thing is the prospect of regain.
Yeah.
In Admasu Williams' hand, too.
Yeah, regain is definitely a really scary thought.
Yeah.
Gonna go ahead, Volcanic Break. But Curiosity's effect. So Curiosity, it does force the Curiosity to actually tap itself. Because Curiosity, while it prevents it from being destroyed, it does have to exhaust itself.
That's a really good point, actually.
So that's denying 1 attack, but the regain is still a very potential threat.
They remain on the field exhausted. There we go. So, yeah, just using the Volcanic Break to exhaust Heavy Tank Curiosity. I don't think I've seen it used like that before.
No, it's very cool.
In dire straits like this, I mean, yeah, that's sometimes you got to desperate times call for desperate measures, but
there's the regain.
Yep, there's the regain.
All
Who
right.
does he stand? Heavy
Curiosity.
Tank Curiosity is going to be it again. Yep.
So does he have another Volcanic Break? That's the big question.
Yeah, does he have the resources? I guess he does on his spirits, certainly, to play it. Yeah. But now the thing is, if Admasu goes in, and he is, why not just go for the win, right? Go for the game win, and there it is.
All right.
That's enough. Okay,
Admasu getting game 1.
Yeah, regain enables the path to victory in game number 1 for Admasu Williams, but really cool little play by Tim Rivera at the end.
Yeah.
Reading the full text of Heavy Tank Curiosity. A lot of people are like, oh, immune to destruction effects, sick. But they are exhausted if they survive that way. So, yeah, always read the full text.
And we've been saying all weekend that Burning Force is like the star of the show.
It is the MVP card of the set.
But I think in second place, runner-up would have to be Regain, in my opinion. This card has been showing off a lot of its value.
I mean, yeah, Absolute Ice Shield, Regain. There's definitely some other impactful ones there. Just in terms of broad scope, broad usage, it's up there for sure.
Yeah.
Game number 2.
All right. So
coming in for both these players, so a chance to mulligan.
Right.
Yeah.
So if you are Tim Rivera in this position, what would you look to sideboard?
Good question. Let's take a look at his sideboard here. You and I can see this here. In the sideboard of Tim Rivera, we have a Nebula Dragon Andromeda, a couple counter swords, a Dual Gun Mech Lord Dern Dino, which I don't know if we're going to need that here. Volcanic Break again. Oh, Volcanic Canyon, rather. Another Volcanic Break. He was running 3 main board. Can run another one there.
So
and some Flamefish.
Yeah, but so knowing that Admasu is running the Dim Dyna.
Yeah. Dern Dyna?
Dern Dyna?
Dern Dyna.
Darn. But knowing that he is running that, I feel a little hesitant that you would want to run additional Nexuses. So it's unlikely we see the Volcanic Canyon. If you already have a Nexus in your deck, maybe you want to side it out. Just knowing that maybe he'll side in more of his own Dern Dynas. But yeah, kind of a difficult call, I would say.
I like maybe the idea of Flamefish coming in, just because that does give you more opportunity to possibly take out some of the smaller spirits, 4K or less, on the other side. But out of all the white aggro decks that we've seen in the tournament, I do definitely prefer the package that Admasu Williams runs, where it is more heavy on the mecha side of things. And again, to capitalize on exactly what we saw in game number 1, that ability of Heavy Tank Curiosity, making your mechas immune to destruction effects. They don't die from it, they are just exhausted from it instead. And so that's such a major amount of board protection, and there's no matchup that is more important than this one right here. So to be in the finals in that situation with this list is certainly a spot that Admasu is happy to be in.
Yeah, I definitely do agree. Admasu's list is very well equipped to deal with red as a whole entire, between Curiosity and then the regain combo that was just demonstrated in Game 2.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if we saw that a repeat in Game 2 and maybe even Game 3.
Yeah, exactly. Players shuffling up.
Yeah, and so last game, Admasu did get first play, correct? So maybe this time around, Tim Rivera opts to go first and get down that like Raptor or just really any Pterosaur.
Yeah, I think you really just don't want the white aggro player to go first. Again, it's about for the white aggro player, it's about getting that first spirit down and then getting the discount going into turn 2 to really put a big board out. We saw yet another game from white aggro where Admasu had 4 spirits out on turn number 2. He was threatening, possibly lethal even, right?
Right.
So yeah, it is a deck that can come at you real fast if it's allowed to go first. So yeah, I think Tim Rivera, he'll probably want to lean on that side. We'll see what he ends up picking in the end.
All right, and so players are about to proceed into the mulligan. I'm really curious to know what they ended up sideboarding. We can sit here and, daydream and wonder about what Tim Rivera ended up sideboarding, but with Admasu, I mean, obviously you're not putting in your Fullas. I don't think you need Dern Dyna, and then what was the last card again?
It was, let me double check.
Oh, Suppression.
Suppression.
I would sideboard Suppression.
Okay.
Would you?
Yeah, possibly. It might be like a nice little surprise if you need to take out a Giganorex or something like that, or some other crucial card. There is the element that if you want to go fast, sometimes it can kind of just like stuff your hand full of things that are not fast spirits to play. So, it's there's aggro and then there's aggro, and white aggro leans on the side of just completely absolute low to the ground, gotta go fast, aggro, right? There's no subtlety to it. There's definitely skill, but there's not a lot of I feel like room for slowing down your playstyle in most situations. You either get in there and you finish the job, or you lose in 99 cases out of 100.
Okay, and both players have elected not to mulligan. Tim Rivera on the play and Dino Man turn 1. Very powerful turn 1. This is arguably the best turn 1, honestly. Yeah,
great turn 1. Dino Man, he's certainly going to provide you with the most battle power on turn 1. It's 6,000 because he gets that free level 3. The other good ones would be like Bearded Eagle, some of the other things we've seen. But yeah, I would say just in sheer strength, probably the best drop turn 1 for a red Pterosaur player.
And so wondering what Admasu's response is going to go ahead and be. It could be a Curiosity. It could be a Bullet Fish. It could be really a couple of things. But the important thing is that you get spirits to stick around. And so looks like he's debating if he wants to play the Curiosity. And Curiosity's a pretty good one.
Yeah, pulls it back to his hand at the last moment here.
It'd be funny if you Valkyrie missed turn 1.
I don't know. I don't know about that, man. That would be a bold move. He does decide to go with the Heavy Tank Curiosity there.
Yeah, Curiosity being at level 2 does mean if it should be attempted to be destroyed by, say, Volcanic Break, it will keep itself up. But I didn't notice it, but Tim Rivera actually does have a burst set. So, as we pointed out, this could very well just be the Absolute Ice Shield.
Yeah, there's that cornered Flame Rat again. Again, a card that we didn't see on stream at all until today.
It'd be funny if, I was about to say, it would be really funny if that was Flame Fish this time around.
I'm getting so trolled. Hey, it was the glare on the table, all right? The sun was in my eyes.
I was about to say something, and then our wonderful tech support put it on the screen before I got to it.
Somebody give me a wall size monitor so I can actually.
But yeah, so it does look like the mobile golem is going to come on out. So really great setup coming out with the heavy tank curiosity, and both of these spirits are going to have a little bit of that protection against destruction.
Yep. The look on Flamefish's face is like the same as mine. You know, let's put that out there.
So curiosity is going to diminish a little bit of the flamefish value just because you can't actually end up popping anything.
Yeah.
So I think that may become something really relevant. No win summon effects have been activated, so you can't tell whether or not that is Starblast Draw.
Yeah.
If I had to guess, it's probably an Ice Shield.
I think you know, based on what we saw before, almost certainly, yeah. And again, you know, this mecha heavy list. Showing its strength here. You know, there are multiple different white aggro lists. Some of them lean more towards, you know, ice princesses and things like that. Oh, okay.
Volcanic Break.
Huh.
And Curiosity is going to go down. Am I missing something?
I want to look up Volcanic Break now.
I'm about to say, let's double check this.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested to see.
Is that a starter card?
Volcanic Break?
Yeah.
I don't actually remember. It might be main set. But yeah, really curious to see how the rest of this turn pans out. During either attack step. Oh, there you go.
Yeah. All right, they got us with the attack step again.
Yeah, so in the main phase, Volcanic Break will actually be successful in removing the Curiosity. So really great play from Tim Rivera.
Yeah.
He recognized what we didn't, so.
I mean, there you go. Well, I mean, that's the reason why they're there and we're here.
Exactly.
But, yep, Heavy Tank Curiosity goes down, and so that protection no longer existing. Or the Golem.
All right, and then he's just going to go ahead put everything down. So this is now a 7,000 BP, so it's pretty large.
Yeah.
I definitely will say that that knowledge, knowing that Curiosity is only immune during the attack step, really does shake up quite a bit of this matchup dynamic, I would say.
Yeah, I mean, it's still hard to get around, right? Because, you know, the attack step is still where most of the action happens, you know, with the flash effects and things like that. So it's still very good, and you know, it doesn't change anything I said about, you know, really enjoying this mech list as far as white aggro goes. But it does kind of make you play around it in a different way.
I definitely do agree. Tim Rivera now on the play after taking a single damage from the mobile golem. Wondering if we're going to see the appearance of Jurassic King. But no, Bearded Eagle is the play instead, sitting at currently what I believe is 7,000 BP. Or it might be larger, actually. 9,000? No, 7,000. 7,000.
4 cores gives it 7,000. Yes. Yep. And gonna attack with the Drag-Ron Trooper.
It messes me up. I'm not gonna lie that it's Drag-Ron.
Yeah.
And not like Dragon.
Oh, I know. Like, I'm surprised Golem isn't like Golmolm or something.
Gomlum.
Yep.
But also, because there are 4 spirits on this board, that Dino Man is going to lose out on its level 3, and I believe he did reinvest a couple more cores, so it is sitting at there's only 2 cores on it, I believe.
On
Dino Man? Yeah.
Yeah, it looks like 2 cores.
So
it's like right in his dark torso, so it's kind of hard to spot for us.
Yes.
But yeah, it looks like 2 cores.
So it should only be level 1, I believe, because Dino Man does require 3 cores to actually achieve level 2.
Yeah. Yep, that's right. Level 2 and 5,000 BP, if I remember right.
Yes.
Yeah. All right, so Admasu Williams taking his first point of damage here. There might be more to follow.
And it looks like he's actually contemplating using the suppression, which he goes ahead and uses it. So that will redirect the Flamefish's attack, and the Golem is still at 7,000 BP, so no Flamefish procs going off here.
Exactly, yeah. Flamefish can destroy anything with 4,000 BP or less, so yeah, suppression will keep the Golem alive.
Yep, and it looks like the turn has been passed over.
Yep.
Completely understandable. You don't want to leave yourself too susceptible to being aggroed down. And with Admasu on the play, I'm curious to see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, we'll see. Going through his hand, we're trying to take a look at it too. I mean, you know, we've been trying to not talk about what's in players' hands too much for a couple different reasons here, but Admasu definitely likes to be methodic about what he plays. Another Golem.
Yeah.
All right.
Is it Golem or Golem?
Golem, whatever. Tomato, tomato. Yeah. You're both.
Who says tomato?
I don't know. People in like the 40s. You haven't ever heard that song? Like a famous like song from a musical or something.
Really?
Tomato, tomato. You say tomato, I say tomato.
I've never heard it in
Oh
a
my
song
gosh.
form.
You're so young.
I am pretty young.
You're so young, Hoang. It's okay. I'm so old.
All right, but looks like the turn did actually pass over back to Tim Rivera. So I'm just kind of curious. We haven't seen Giganorex yet this set.
No, I mean, Tim would love to draw it, I'm sure, right about now. That said, that's a very high BP bearded eagle coming in.
Yeah.
4 cores, like you mentioned earlier, brings up to 7,000. Gonna have to be a block from the mobile golem to prevent that life loss. Does send the cores back to the reserve, so does enable Admasu Williams to play something from hand if he desires to.
Yeah, and knowing that
Gets the turn.
Admasu is running the suppression, you kind of assume that he's running, I would presume, at least more than one. So it's
for sure.
a little bit hesitant to swing anything less that could just get suppressioned away.
Yeah.
So I would be kind of scared in that position. Of course, everything on Tim Rivera's side is lower than the 7,000 to begin with. So either way.
I see Librarian Saga come in. All right. So a way to kind of, mess with your core generation a little bit, give yourself a little bit more resources to play from time to time. But I believe she needs does she need the soul core?
No, if she brings back a soul core from the trash,
that's what it is.
Then she will receive the 3,000 BP.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
Currently at level 2, she will go up to 5,000 BP, which actually trades perfectly with the Bearded Eagle.
Yep.
Of course, that's assuming no suppression shenanigans.
Right. Will Admasu play anything else? Will the attack come in? This is the grand finals, man. If there's any game you want to really take your time deciding each play, this is going to be the one to do it.
I would almost say, with so many cores left over on Admasu's side, he could even go to level 3, and then with the plus 3,000 BP, he would hit 6,000, thus triumphing over anything on Tim Rivera's side. So I think
quite possible.
If you're looking for a more aggressive line of play, I think that's what you could possibly do. It did catch a little bit of a glimpse. He does have the regain, so that's another really huge factor there.
And we can see him moving a couple cores over to the mobile golem now. Again, during your main step, you can move cores around as much as you want.
Right.
You can put him on a spear. You can take him off. You can do whatever you want, basically, in the mobile or in the main step with cores.
No, mobile phase. Mobile phase?
The mobile phase.
The
main phase. Mobile golem phase. He's played a lot of mobile golems this game, right?
This is very true, yeah.
But this is tournament game for Admasu Williams. If he wins this one, he wins the whole thing.
Looks like he's about to play Valkyrie Mist, potentially.
Could be.
Yeah, it looks
like a glimpse of it in his hand.
It looks like he was hovering it for a little bit, contemplating if he wants to do it. If you bounce anything that isn't the Dino Man would end up being level 3.
Definitely something he's thinking about,
Yeah. So really tough decisions right here. I think, Satellite Falcon? Yeah. All right. That's the choice we've made. So that is it should be level 3, actually. If I had to guess, 6,000 BP? 7,000 BP? 5,000, man.
Wah, wah. It is a mecha, though, interesting enough. Despite the fact that having an animal name, it is one of the few that is not a machine beast. It is a mecha.
Yeah, and so it looks like he's going to go ahead, swing in the Librarian, gain back that Soul Core, and he will now be swinging for 5,000 BP. You could guard with this Bearded Eagle, trade it away a little bit, but then if you get hit with, like, suppression from, like, Flash Step, then, like, you're kind of sad. But actually just going to go ahead and use his Trooper for fodder.
Now, there's still a card in Burst for Tim Rivera as well. So, based on what we've seen so far, probably going to be an absolute Ice Shield. We'll see if he gets pushed to play that. For now, going to take a life of damage, go down to 3 to just give himself that extra resource.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm curious to see whether or not that one additional core from that swing is going to end up punishing Admasu. It might lead to Gigano, for example.
Could be. 7 resources in the bank right now, with a few more on the spirits themselves. So a lot to work with for Tim right now. Okay, Overraptidon rather.
That name will never sit well.
Overraptidon.
Overraptidon.
This card game has the hardest names of any card game I've ever played.
Oh, if they hadn't put it up, I was going to ask you, do you think that's a Flamefish or a Corner Flame Rat?
He always puts it right in the worst glare on the table too. Yeah. Oh, another cornered flame rat.
Yeah, but going pretty wide. He knows Admasu has no absolute Ice Shield either. It looks like he's just gonna all out commit.
I like the idea too, because if you can get some of the attacks through with the cornered flame rat, you get to draw cards as well, right? If it is only if they're level 2 though, so you need a couple more cores on each of them to do that.
Right.
Yeah, so just simply presenting more attacks right now, just simply trying to go wide and get a lot of swings.
Okay, so Bearded Eagle at 5,000 is going to go ahead and swing in. The Satellite Falcon could potentially trade here, but you do have 4 life, so I don't know if you actually need to. Yeah, exactly. You don't actually need to trade here. And again, another 5,000 BP Bearded Eagle.
Yeah. No bursts, of course, for Admasu Williams. We know he doesn't run that absolute ice shield. And frankly, a lot of white aggro players choose not to run that.
All right, here's the corner Flame Rat. This is one you do want to block.
Yes, that's what he was waiting for. He could take a little damage until the Flame Rat came in. Does block that, does prevent the card draw. Now the second one comes in. Where's the defense?
All right, there is the regain. Gonna go ahead, use the Golem.
Yep.
These Flame Rats are at level 1, so even if hypothetically they were to connect, they would be getting the card draw, but still taking them off the board does mean that you don't have to worry about that in your future turns.
Yeah.
But at 2 life, there's still 2 attacks left.
Yeah.
So technically,
there we go.
Technically still representing lethal actually. Over Raptordon, so you either need a suppression or you need another regain to really hold out here, or Dream Bomb.
You gotta do something. Takes one more damage. Here's the last attack coming in for Dynaman. Does
that's
Admasu
it.
Williams.
Going to game 3.
Oh, that's right. Going to game 3 of the Grand Finals. Wouldn't have it any other way. And Tim Rivera ties it up.
All right, and you know he showed it briefly at the end. He did have a suppression actually. So yeah, going into game 3 now, that's kind of crazy.
Yeah, absolutely crazy. And I'm excited. Like I said, I don't want it any other way. The last thing you want is for the Grand Finals to end in a 2-0, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
All right. So going into game 3, I'm really curious to see what adaptations you actually go ahead and go with from your sideboard. That suppression really did come in handy for Admasu's side, but notably, I think that's the only card you could really truly sideboard in this matchup.
Yep. So, the tension mounts as we go towards Game 3, the final game of the Battle Spirit Saga Grand Open. Tim Rivera versus Admasu Williams. Pterosaur, Red Pterosaur versus White Aggro. And it's just been a good match. It's just been a close one between both players. Admasu had a pretty dominating game number 1. Tim playing game number 2 in a careful, measured way, you know, moving, like we said, a bit more into that mid-range style and doing a good job handling things.
Yeah, and so going into this game 3, Admasu does decide whether he wants to go first or second. And the players that have gone first in these aggressive matchups throughout the entire day, going first seems to be the play.
It can make a big difference, yeah. You know, again, like we'll reiterate, where White Aggro wants to go first because it wants to develop that first spirit, it wants to get that discount earlier. It does make a big difference.
Yeah. So I would imagine Admasu ends up wanting to go first. Maybe Tim Rivera ends up siding in some cards that give him a little bit of an edge going second. I don't foresee a Nexus or anything, but I definitely will say I kind of like the Flamefish. Yes, it didn't gain any value game 2, but just its presence alone really pretty good.
Well, the big thing is that it demands a response.
Exactly.
Right? Either you lose a card, or you have to use something like a suppression, like we saw Admasu Williams do. So that's the main thing, is that you want cards that demand responses from your opponent. And in this matchup, Flamefish is just a really good one to do that with.
You know, my favorite thing that Flamefish does is it makes Doa over here try to second-guess himself on if it's a Flamefish or a cornered Flame Rat.
I didn't have this problem until Tim Rivera sat down at the table and decided to play cornered Flame Rat.
But yeah, so going into game 3, really excited to see this outcome. This has been an absolutely fantastic weekend.
Yeah, it's been a great tournament.
Yeah, so finally we're about to put a nice little bow on top of it, so let's see how it goes out.
Yeah, great tournament down to this. The final game of the Grand Finals. Tim Rivera once again on that Red Pterosaur deck versus Admasu Williams on White Aggro. Players shuffling each other's decks as you do in Battle Spirit Saga, and we are moments away from the first turn. The final game of the weekend.
I think every game so far in the top 16 has been a 2-1, or you know, like goes to game 3.
Yeah, every game on stream at least we've seen go to game 3. Yeah.
Whereas yesterday it was all 2-0s until like what was it, the 7th round?
Something like that. Yeah. Saw a lot of good games yesterday too. It was a long game. It all flows together at this point, but it was a good one. Yeah. All right, so I would assume Admasu is going to be on the play. I believe that was his
draw for not mulligan. Yeah.
Well, it looks like 5 cards in hand at the moment. So
yeah, because I think Tim is still deciding if he wants to mulligan or not.
Okay, yeah. I was going to say, yeah.
Yeah, so Tim going to go ahead. Actually, he does proceed to mulligan.
Ooh, interesting. Huh. That must have been a really rough hand. I mean, to go for the mulligan, right? I mean, you might have had like a triple Gigantorex or something like that in there. But, man, that is not how you want to start the final game of a Grand Finals for Tim Rivera. 1 card down. That is a little bit rough.
Well, it's also very possible that in Game 3, Tim Rivera opted to have a much more quality hand. He wanted the best perfect opener that he possibly could do.
Mm-hmm. Handshake. As the players get started here, like to see a little bit of sportsmanship in any TCG, obviously.
I miss you on the play.
Yeah, that's right. As you would imagine. So, what will the first spirit be? Does he find the Pegastyle?
No, it's Curiosity.
Curiosity. All right. Hey, but you know, the thing is you're happy about that. It's only a level 1 right now. It doesn't have that level 2 effect online, but you know, you're not too concerned about it on turn 1 right away. Bearded Eagle is going to be the response from Tim Rivera. And we'll see what Admasu can do as far as developing the board in his next turn.
Yeah, so this is going to be a 5,000 BP Bearded Eagle. I'm not going to swing out just yet, so playing a little bit slower, more cautiously going into this Game 3. But this Heavy Tank Curiosity, I can possibly see it going to level 2, if not establishing a new creature.
You know, you only need 1 more core to send it to level 2, so it is cheap to do that. Mechwing Duck, though, so the Curiosity effect.
Oh, Satellite Falcon.
Now a little bit more important because you do have 2 mecha on the table here.
Oh.
Whoa, just going wide, and this is what we're talking about, man. Once again, we see turn 2, a white aggro player with 4 spirits on the board, threatening quite a bit.
So do you think he just completely swings out of here, puts him to 1 life right off the bat? Are you just like feeling it?
I mean, I think you got it. I think if you're not ready to swing on turn 2 with this board state, you shouldn't be playing white aggro. I don't know. Yeah, the question is, you know, how aggressive does he make it? You know,
actually gonna
shuffling cores around a little bit. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, not a bad idea.
Interesting. So I'm curious what the thought process was as to why putting the Soul Core on the Valkyrie Mist.
I think.
Or the Duck.
Okay. Let's see.
Interesting. Okay, we're playing a little game of musical chairs with the cores.
Yep.
Does Duck specifically need a Soul Core?
I don't believe so. No, it does not.
No, it does not. Interesting.
Yeah, it does not. But part of it is like what you expect to die too. You know, you may want a situation where you want to free up your Soul Core for something a little bit later. So that's what you're kind of thinking about.
That's
here
true.
Is,
that's true.
You know, what do you expect to not make it through the turn? And you know, are you gonna find a way?
We're gonna move it out around a little bit more. All right.
All right. Sure.
All right. And so
same thing is true.
Yeah, Valkyrie Mist is going to go ahead, swing in. No reason to waste one of your flash responses on this. And then Satellite Falcon, going to go ahead. That's another damage. And then, he's going to completely swing on out. Going to put Tim Rivera at 1 right off the bat.
I think that's a great decision.
Or is him respond and stop the lost damage.
I mean, you could respond, right? And that's always something that you're going to, like, accept if you're Admasu Williams. And there we go.
There's the Burning Force.
Yep, Burning Force. And, you know, I say you go for it. You know, I 100% am behind that play from Admasu Williams, attacking with all 4 of them. Either they have it or they don't. He does manage to take 3 life off of Tim Rivera. Still 2 spirits on the board. And now we'll see what Tim's response is going to be. A lot of 3 more resources, obviously, from that last life.
Yeah, so I'm really interested because Tim could have used a Burning Force much earlier to snipe the Valkyrie Mist and snipe the... what was it? It was the what was the one drop that he just killed? Mechwing Duck, right? So he could have done it earlier, right?
Yeah.
But he didn't. So it kind of leads me to assume that he needed the cores in order to actually use the Burning Force. So taking the damage, really smart on his play.
Yep. And a lot of times when you'll see players taking that repeat damage early on, it is to save up for a spell. Yeah. Or they just don't have a choice. One of the 2 things. But okay, so Dino Man does not get the free level 3, but again, you know, it's all about establishing bodies to swing with, you know, or bodies to block with. And it is going to be the turn sent back over to Admasu Williams now. And we'll see if he can keep the pressure on.
Yeah, so with 3 blockers now staring him down, and of course red is that one color that has the Burning Force, you have the Volcanic Break, you really just have a plethora of responses that you can hit Admasu with, and of course Heavy Tank Curiosity is a pretty strong card.
Yeah, it certainly is. It certainly is during the battle step,
Yeah. Both of the spirits currently on Admasu's board are mechs, so they will receive a little bit of that protection. He's going to go ahead and level up Curiosity to level 2, so that protection is now online.
Yep, and I mean, there's still a chance to maybe snipe it during the main phase like we saw in game number 2 if you decide to do something like that. But once the attack step begins, then that protection comes online where your mecha will be exhausted but not destroyed by your opponent's destroy effects.
Right. And so... do you follow up with another spirit at this point?
If you can.
Oh, looks like we might actually just go ahead and swing on out with the 7,000, no, 5,000 BP satellite.
All right, so that is going to be enough to at least equal. I'm trying to remember, is Bearded Eagle 4,000?
5,000.
5,000, okay.
Yeah, so it will trade evenly, actually.
Okay.
Okay.
I think you're okay with that, getting that Bearded Eagle off the board. That is one of the bigger vanilla threats from Pterosaur.
And I don't think you actually swing the Curiosity. Oh, you do, actually. So going to go ahead, threaten that last bit of damage, and this is a 6,000, so it needs suppression.
You got to have yeah, I was going to say, as soon as he attacked with that, I'm like, he's got to have a suppression in hand.
Yeah, you have to have that suppression response.
Yeah, he definitely does. And you know, Tim's saying, all right, if you've got it, and Admasu has it.
So now I'm curious, does Admasu have a response? Doesn't look like it, actually. So yeah, Dino Man is going to go on down. Ended up trading. Oh, no, didn't trade. Curiosity's still on the board. I blanked momentarily.
Well, so this is an interesting approach from Admasu Williams, right? Because now you've got the situation where he's just trying to present enough pressure to keep his opponent's board small. And that gives you another opportunity to, you know, with enough cards to flood the board again, present a lot. But look at this, you know, Flamefish and a cornered flame rat.
Both. Yes, it is
both hitting the board at the same time. And so Tim Rivera building right back up again.
Oh, and immediately the Volcanic Break, getting rid of the Curiosity, and the Flame Rat is at level 2, so this will draw a card if it connects. So if you were in this position, would you waste any flashes to deny the corner Flame Rat? I don't think so. You're still at 5 life. You're pretty healthy.
Yeah.
Yep. Okay. So gonna go ahead, take it.
Yeah.
All right, going into the play, Admasu Williams doesn't have any spirits on his board, but his hand is not too shabby in terms of like its size. And of course, Tim sitting here with 3 spirits, and I believe he has 2 cards in hand at this moment.
Yeah, I mean, the scary thing with Admasu is, and white aggro is that you don't have the greatest card draw in the world. So you do sort of run out of cards compared to a player playing red who has like Star Plus draw a lot of times. They've got the cornered flame rat, which does occasionally get through, as we've seen. So the draw, you know, is a little bit better for the red player. So that does put the onus on the white aggro player to, you know, again, make more things happen sooner.
Yeah, so going to go ahead and expend a couple of his cores in order to get out the golem. And it looks like he's going to follow up with a different spirit, looking like the mech wing duck.
Yep.
Oh, and another one, actually. Okay, so we're kind of just hitting the gas pedal right now, looks like it.
Yeah, and this seems kind of like, speaking of the gas pedal, this seems kind of like the last gasp here for Admasu Williams, because this is most of his hand here.
Yeah.
This board represents most of what Admasu Williams has left.
Okay, gonna go ahead. He's gonna reallocate some of his resources onto his mech wing duck. It is now at level 2, 2,000 BP. So I believe it does actually swing over the raptor.
Could be. Yep.
Yep, there it goes. Okay, so he is forced to block with the Flamefish. Flamefish does not have the Soul Core on it, actually, so you would not be able to use the Flamefish proc. The Raptor's going to go ahead, block out, and yeah, Raptors does go at 1,000. Golem swings in, Flamefish blocks it. No Soul Core proc, unfortunately, but yeah, okay, back to Tim Rivera.
1 life remaining for Tim Rivera. 1 life between him and second place here at the Grand Open.
The second corner Flame Rat coming right on down. No
another
cards
rat.
to block, and a Starblessed draw.
Yeah, okay, so that's pretty nice. He's got a lot of resources to spend yet. 2 Rain Needles, he's going to toss them on the board.
He technically has lethal here.
Immediately, I believe he does.
He has lethal.
Unless there's some sort of surprise from
This would
Admasu.
Is it a regain? Is it a suppression? It has to be something crazy here.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing. Admasu's gonna gain a couple resources from these attacks.
Yeah, and the Flame Rats are gonna keep drawing cards.
Yeah.
And that's it. Tim Rivera is your champion. Red Pterosaur takes the finals.
And, you know, again, you can't blame Admasu for going for it at the end.
Not at all.
I mean, we saw his hand. He used what he had to do what he could, but Tim Rivera had the answers. He will be the Battle Spirit Saga Grand Open champion. And, hey, the prophecy is fulfilled, man. Red Pterosaur takes the tournament, the deck everyone was talking about. But you know what? It can be the greatest deck in the world, but it takes a great pilot to actually make it work. Tim Rivera is that pilot.
And I think the craziest part is that the Starblessed draw, the final moment where everything seemed kind of dark, and out of nowhere, draw 2.
Yep.
Draw 2 went kind of crazy.
Hey, that's what everyone's talking about with red, right? I mean, they've got the board part, but they've also got the draw engine, and that's what's going to give you the edge in a lot of matchups. That's what makes this deck so powerful, is that it can go toe-to-toe on the board, but it can replenish the hand in a way that a lot of other colors can't do right now with just the initial set. And so, on that note, we're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to come back with some player interviews for you. So do not go anywhere. A little bit more before we close out the day here at the Battle Spirit Saga Grand Open.